inclusive and dignified work environments across all our project sites. We are gathered here at the HSR Kalyana Vedika, Thulluru, Amaravati, the people's capital. Let's begin this day on the note of purpose and clarity, because today we haven't just discussing constructions but laying the foundation for responsible and sustainable infrastructure. To officially commence the program, we now invite our dignitaries to take on the stage. I invite the World Bank and the ADB team on the stage to please take the seats. Sir and Madam, please come on the stage.
I request Chief Engineer sir also please come and take the dais. I request HODs also please join the stage. So today's session are especially designed for contractors and project management consultants, focusing on environment and social aspects of the construction management and the contract management as well. And ESMU unit and the World Bank and ADB teams are all here. So to begin the day, I now invite the dignitaries for the welcome address. So I request CMD Madam, Lakshmiparthasarathi Madam, to give the welcome address.
Officers of CRDA and ADC and everybody else present here. I'll just take about a couple of minutes just to tell you that ADCL along with CRDA is in this process of building the new capital of Amaravati. And as far as these aspects are concerned, ADCL is going in a big way. I was told that yesterday the members were able to also see our tree transplantation program, which we have taken up, and also Sakamuru Reservoir. We have identified about 4 or 5 very nice areas where we will be taking up lovely green and lung spaces. Along with, the idea is that where we take up plantation, we have 320 kilometers of road network. We have 100 kilometers of canal buffers. We have almost 10 to 12 ponds, apart from river front development. And we also have a lot of median development. Apart from this, we are doing all the infrastructure works, the camps, the facilities, to ensure that all the environmental aspects are looked after, whether it's noise pollution or dust pollution, or safety of the workers who are working, as well as the facilities which will be made available. We can only assure the members here that we have taken up this very seriously, and I think our participants in management, all the contractors, are also joining us in a big way, and they are also participating very actively and ensuring that all the facilities which we have been requesting them. In fact, for the first time, I think they also have technical specialists and scientists in their group who are able to take up these kind of works. I can tell you that as far as greening and environmental aspects are concerned, the concept, we've had very detailed discussions with Mr. C.R. Babu and his group and all the members who were here last week. Now, their concept is that Amaravati is that kind of a terrain where you have water, you have greening, you have, this is where we want both of them to be mingled. In fact, you will see in some of the canal buffers which we are doing, it automatically moves on to and ends up with the road network. So the idea is that we don't lose a drop of water. Everything goes into the swale, everything gets into the stormwater drain. At the same time, we are able to make use of it. And at the same time, we are able to bring in that kind of plantation, which will be, with the carbon sink and oxidized plants. We have made a very wonderful list of all these plants, and we have also procured them. We have a very good nursery, which we have had, I think, for the past 7 to 8 years. In the last regime itself, we had it. So the idea is that we don't just plant or we just don't do the canal buffers. We do everything which goes along with the zonal restrictions and zonal regulations on the roads, because canal buffer, which goes on 100 meter or on 100 kilometer, it's about 48.5 kilometers. If you take both sides, it would be about 100 kilometers. Part of canal buffer gets into, residential. Part of it is on the side of commercial. Part of it is on multi-use zone. So we want to make use of it in such a manner that the green cover which the residents want, at the same time the kind of plants which are very, very helpful to the residents and to the people of Amaravati to control pollution, to control natural, we would also like to take up a lot of natural wetlands, and at the same time we have also identified areas for a wonderful biodiversity park, where we hope that along with biodiversity we are also able to bring in Miyawaki in a big way. And our Chief Minister's dream has always been that don't give me only one kind of park or one kind of greening. He wants the Japanese culture to come, he wants the Korean culture to come, he wants the Ayurveda, the herbal, the sacred plants which we have. All these have to be brought out in a big way and showcased to educate the people of Amaravati. We are still on the job, we are still working out, and we are still able to implement. And I hope at the end of this session, under your guidance, we'll be able to go forward with greater zeal and enthusiasm. Thank you very much.
Sites and practical tools, and your words have inspired us to move ahead with conviction. Next, we have the core purpose of today's gathering: understanding the project scope, institutional framework, and the crucial roles of stakeholders, including the World Bank and ADB during the implementation. I now request our Additional Commissioner, sir, to please take on the stage and say a few words.
అందరికీ నమస్కారం. ఇక్కడికి విచ్చేసిన సిఎండి ADCL మేడంకి అండ్ ప్రపంచ బ్యాంక్ మరియు ఆసియా అభివృద్ధి బ్యాంక్ సంస్థల ప్రతినిధులకి, వివిధ సంస్థల నుంచి విచ్చేసిన కాంట్రాక్టర్స్ వారి సిబ్బందికి, ADCL CRDA అధికారులకి, PGMC సుర్బానా జురాంగ్ సంస్థ నుంచి విచ్చేసిన వారి సిబ్బందికి, వివిధ PMCs వారి యొక్క సిబ్బందికి కూడా హృదయపూర్వక స్వాగతం. ఇది చాలా ముఖ్యమైన రోజు మనందరికీ కూడా. ఎందుకంటే మన ప్రాజెక్ట్ ఒక ఇంపార్టెంట్ స్టెప్ తీసుకునే ముందు ఏ విధంగా మనం ముందుకు వెళ్ళాలి, ఎటువంటి బాధ్యతలు మనం నిర్వహించాలన్న దాని గురించి ఈరోజు మొత్తం కూడా మీకు వివిధ సెషన్స్లో చాలా వివరణాత్మకంగా మీకు ప్రతిదీ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయడం జరుగుతుంది. దీనికి ముఖ్య ఉద్దేశము మన ప్రాజెక్టులో పర్యావరణ హితంగా ఎవరికి ఎటువంటి ఇబ్బంది కలగకుండా, ప్రజలకి మరియు పనిచేసే సిబ్బందికి కూడా ఎటువంటి ప్రమాదకరమైన పరిస్థితులు లేకుండా మనం ప్రాజెక్ట్ని ఏ విధంగా ముందుకు తీసుకెళ్తాము అన్నదే ఇక్కడ ఉన్న ముఖ్య ఉద్దేశం. సో దీనికి సంబంధించి మనకి ఎటువంటి నియమ నిబంధనలు ఉన్నాయని తెలుసుకోవాలనుకుంటే ముందుగా మనకి ఒక క్యాపిటల్ సిటీ యాక్ట్ ఉంది. తద్వారా క్యాపిటల్ సిటీ రూల్స్ ఉన్నాయి. దానికి లోబడి మనము అమరావతి నగరానికి మొత్తానికి 217 స్క్వేర్ కిలోమీటర్ల నగరానికి మొత్తానికి కూడా ఎన్విరాన్మెంటల్ క్లియరెన్స్ అనేది తీసుకోవడం జరిగింది. ఆ ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ క్లియరెన్స్తో పాటు మనకి EMP ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ మేనేజ్మెంట్ ప్లాన్ అనేది జత చేసి దానికి సంబంధించిన కంప్లైన్సెస్ మనం ప్రతి 6 నెలలకి సెంట్రల్ గవర్నమెంట్కి, ప్రతి నెల రోజులకి ఇక్కడ స్టేట్లో ఉన్న ఇంప్లిమెంటేషన్ కమిటీకి, ప్రతి 3 నెలలకి సెంట్రల్ గవర్నమెంట్లో ఉన్న సూపర్వైజరీ కమిటీకి సబ్మిట్ చేయాల్సిన అవసరం ఉంటుంది. అది మొట్టమొదటి కీలక అంశము పర్యావరణానికి సంబంధించి. దానికి తోడుగా స్టేట్లో కానీ సెంట్రల్లో కానీ వివిధ రకాల చట్టాలు నియమాలు కూడా ఉన్నాయి మనకి. చాలామంది లేబర్ రాబోతున్నారు. వాళ్ళకి సంబంధించిన BCOW యాక్ట్ కానీ, బిల్డింగ్ అండ్ అదర్ కన్స్ట్రక్షన్ వర్కర్స్ సంబంధించిన యాక్ట్, అదే రీతిలో చాలామంది మహిళలు ఉంటారు. అదేవిధంగా మన చుట్టుపక్కల ఉండే గ్రామాల్లో కూడా వారి ప్రజలు ఉంటారు. వాళ్ళకి సంబంధించిన సెక్షువల్ హరాస్మెంట్ చట్టము, చైల్డ్ లేబర్ సంబంధించిన ప్రొహిబిషన్ యాక్ట్, ఇవన్నీ కూడా మనకి వర్తిస్తాయి. సో ఇలాంటప్పుడు ఏది ఎలా చేయాలి అండ్ దేనికి లోబడి మనం చేయాలని చెప్పి ఆలోచించి ప్రపంచ బ్యాంక్ మరియు ఆసియా అభివృద్ధి బ్యాంక్ వారి సూచనల మేరకు ఒక స్టాండర్డ్ ఆపరేటింగ్ ప్రొసీజర్స్ అనేది మనం రెడీ చేసుకున్నాము, SOPs. అవి మీకు అందరికీ కూడా అందించడం జరిగింది, PMCస్కి, కాంట్రాక్టర్స్కి అందరికీ కూడా. ఈ SOPs ఒక 7 అంశాల గురించి వివరంగా కాంట్రాక్టర్స్ పనులు చేసేటప్పుడు, చేయబోయే ముందు, పనులు అయిపోయిన తర్వాత కూడా, ప్రీ కన్స్ట్రక్షన్, డ్యూరింగ్ కన్స్ట్రక్షన్, పోస్ట్ కన్స్ట్రక్షన్, ఈ 3 విభాగాల్లో ఎటువంటి జాగ్రత్తలు ఈ 7 అంశాల గురించి తీసుకోవాలన్నది చాలా వివరణాత్మకంగా మనము అన్నీ కూడా క్రోడీకరించాము. అదేవిధంగా ప్రతి కాంట్రాక్టర్ కూడా మన బిడ్ డాక్యుమెంట్ ప్రకారము అగ్రిమెంట్ చేసుకునే ముందు ఒక కాంట్రాక్టర్ సోషల్ ఎన్వైరన్మెంట్ మేనేజ్మెంట్ ప్లాన్ CESMP అనేది సైట్ కండిషన్లు బట్టి ఫీల్డ్కి వెళ్ళి వాళ్ళు చేయబోయే ఏరియాలో ఎటువంటి ఇబ్బందులు రావచ్చు, ట్రాఫిక్ పరంగా ఎటువంటి డైవర్షన్ తీసుకోవాలి, చుట్టుపక్కల నివాస గ్రామాలు కానీ ఏమైనా ఉంటే వాళ్ళకి పొల్యూషన్ పరంగా కానీ ఇబ్బంది లేకుండా ఎటువంటి జాగ్రత్తలు తీసుకోవాలి, సైట్లో పర్యావరణానికి ముఖ్యంగా ఉండే ఏదైనా స్పీసెస్ కానీ మొక్కలు కానీ ఉంటే దాన్ని ఏ విధంగా పరిరక్షించాలి, మనం సెట్ చేయబోయే లేబర్ క్యాంపులో ఎటువంటి ఫెసిలిటీస్ కలిగించాలి, వీటిలన్నింటినీ కూడా వివరణ ఇస్తూ ప్రతి కాంట్రాక్టర్ కూడా మనకి ఒక CSMP తయారు చేసి సబ్మిట్ చేశారు. దాని తర్వాతే దాన్ని అగ్రిమెంట్లో మనం జోడించి అగ్రిమెంట్ని కంక్లూడ్ చేసుకోవడం జరిగింది. మిగతా ప్రాజెక్ట్స్కి దీనికి ఉన్న ఒక ముఖ్యమైన డిఫరెన్స్ ఏంటంటే మన బిడ్ డాక్యుమెంట్లోనే ఈ కండిషన్స్ అన్ని కూడా మనం పెట్టుకున్నాము. ఇది ఆంధ్ర రాష్ట్ర ప్రభుత్వము పర్యావరణంగా కానీ సామాజికంగా కానీ ఎటువంటి లోటుపాట్లు లేకుండా ముందుకు తీసుకెళ్లాలన్న దృక్పథం ఇందులో కీలకంగా కనిపిస్తుంది మనకి. అదేవిధంగా కాంట్రాక్టర్స్ ఏదన్నా అదనంగా పర్యావరణానికి సంబంధించి కానీ సామాజికంగా కానీ జాగ్రత్తలు తీసుకోవాలనుకుంటే దానికి ఖర్చు అవుతుంది, అది కూడా ప్రభుత్వమే భరించాలని చెప్పి ప్రతి ప్రాజెక్టులో 1% ఖర్చు ప్రతి ప్రాజెక్ట్కి సంబంధించి అది కూడా మనము జోడించి టెండర్స్ పిలవడం జరిగింది. పర్టికులర్ సైట్ కండిషన్లో సడన్గా ఏదైనా చేయాల్సి వస్తే కన్సర్న్డ్ CE కానీ ఆ ఇంజనీరింగ్ స్టాఫ్ డైరెక్షన్స్తో ESMU యూనిట్ వారి సూచనలతో కొత్తగా పర్యావరణాన్ని రక్షించడానికి కానీ సామాజికంగా జాగ్రత్తలు తీసుకోవాల్సినవి కానీ లేబర్ క్యాంపులో తీసుకోవాల్సిన జాగ్రత్తలు కానీ వాటిలన్నింటినీ కూడా ఈ అదనపు బడ్జెట్ ద్వారా మనం చేసుకోగలుగుతాం. సో ఇన్ని జాగ్రత్తలు ఇంత గైడెన్స్ తీసుకున్నా సరే మరలా ఒకసారి ప్రతి కాంట్రాక్టర్కి, ప్రతి వాళ్ళ దగ్గర ఉన్న సైట్ ఇంజనీర్స్కి, వాళ్ళ దగ్గర పనిచేస్తున్న E&S సిబ్బంది, ఎన్వైరన్మెంట్ అండ్ సోషల్ సిబ్బందికి కూడా మరలా ఒకసారి అన్ని విషయాలు కూడా కూలంకుషంగా చెప్పడానికి అందరి సమక్షంలో, ఎందుకంటే ఇందులో ఉన్న కండిషన్స్ మన దగ్గర నుంచి కొన్ని వచ్చాయి, కొన్ని ఈ అభివృద్ధి సంస్థల వాళ్ళ బెస్ట్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్సెస్ నుంచి, ఇంటర్నేషనల్ బెస్ట్ ప్రాక్టీసెస్ నుంచి కూడా తీసుకుని మనం అన్నీ జోడించి ప్రిపేర్ చేయడం జరిగింది. కాబట్టి అందరి సమక్షంలో అందరికీ క్లియర్గా అర్థమయ్యేటట్టుగా మరలా ఒకసారి చెప్పాలి. దాని ద్వారా మనకి ఎక్కడైనా చిన్న చిన్న ఇగ్నోరెన్స్ ఉన్నా సరే వాటికి ఏమీ తావు లేకుండా మనం ముందుకు వెళ్ళొచ్చని చెప్పి ఒక మంచి ఆలోచనతో ఈ కార్యక్రమం మనం ఏర్పాటు చేయడం జరిగింది. దీనికి ముందుగా లాస్ట్ టైం మనము చిన్న కోఆర్డినేటింగ్ మీటింగ్ కూడా ఏర్పాటు చేసుకున్నాము. పోలీస్ సిబ్బంది సూచనల మేరకు జిల్లా SP గారు కూడా రావడం జరిగింది. ఆ రోజు ఆ రోజు మనం ముఖ్యంగా ఫైర్ మరియు సేఫ్టీ పరంగా ఎటువంటి జాగ్రత్తలు కాంట్రాక్టర్స్ తీసుకోవాలి అండ్ సిఆర్డీఏ కానీ ఏడీసీఎల్ కానీ ఏ విధంగా దాన్ని ముందుకు తీసుకెళ్లాలని చెప్పి మనం డిస్కస్ చేశాము. ఇప్పుడు అందుకే మరలా ఇంకొకసారి మనము పోలీస్ నుంచి వారి సిబ్బందిని, ఫైర్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ సిబ్బందిని, ఉమెన్ అండ్ చైల్డ్ డెవలప్మెంట్ వారి యొక్క అధికారులని, లేబర్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ యొక్క అధికారులను కూడా మనము ఈరోజు ఈ సమావేశంలో వారిని కూడా ఆహ్వానించడం జరిగింది. జిల్లా యంత్రాంగం నుంచి కూడా వారి టీం కూడా ఆహ్వానించడం జరిగింది. సో ఈరోజు తర్వాత మనము ముఖ్యంగా ప్రతి సెషన్లో కూడా ఏమైతే మనము నేర్చుకున్నామో దాన్ని బట్టి మధ్యాహ్నం సెక్షన్లో ప్రతి కాంట్రాక్టరు ఒక 5 నుంచి 10 నిమిషాలు వారి లెర్నింగ్స్ ఏ విధంగా వారి ప్రాజెక్ట్స్ని ముందుకు తీసుకెళ్తారు ఇంకా దృఢంగా అన్న దాని మీద ఒక 5 నుంచి 10 నిమిషాలు ప్రజెంటేషన్ కూడా ఇవ్వాల్సిన అవసరం ఉంది. సో దానికి కూడా అందరూ ప్రిపేర్ అయ్యారు బాగా. మన టెలికాన్ఫరెన్స్లో కూడా వాళ్ళకి వివరించడం జరిగింది. సో ఇందుచేత నా రిక్వెస్ట్ ఏంటంటే దీన్ని ఏదో ఒక సెషన్ లాగా రోజు జరిగే మీటింగ్లా కాకుండా చాలా ముఖ్యమైన మీటింగ్లా భావించి చెప్పే ప్రతిదీ కూడా రాసుకోవడము, దాని తర్వాత దీనికి సంబంధించిన ఏదైనా క్వశ్చన్స్ ఉన్నా క్లారిఫికేషన్స్ కావాల్సినా సరే లాస్ట్లో ఒక 10 నిమిషాలు ప్రతి సెషన్ తర్వాత మన టీము అదేవిధంగా అభివృద్ధి సంస్థల వారి బృందం కూడా మీకు అందుబాటులో ఉంటారు. ఏ క్వేరీ వచ్చినా సరే కూలంకుషంగా అడగండి. దీంట్లో ఎటువంటి మొహమాటం లేదు, దేనికి భయపడక్కర్లేదు. క్లియర్గా అడిగితే మీకు కూడా చాలా క్లారిటీ వస్తుంది ఏ విధంగా మనం ముందుకు వెళ్ళాలని చెప్పి. నేను ఒక 3 అంశాలని చాలా స్ట్రాంగ్గా చెప్పి ముగిస్తాను. ఒకటి, చైల్డ్ లేబర్. ఈ ప్రాజెక్ట్లో మనకి చైల్డ్ లేబర్కి సంబంధించి ఎటువంటి తావు కూడా లేదు. సో చైల్డ్ లేబర్ సంబంధించి ఏదైనా ఉంది అని తెలిస్తే మాత్రం చాలా కఠినంగా వ్యవహరించడం జరుగుతుంది, క్రిమినల్ కేసెస్తో సహా. 2, సెక్షువల్ హరాస్మెంట్ లేకపోతే మహిళల మీద దాడులు కానీ అసభ్యంగా ప్రవర్తించడం కానీ క్రిమినల్ చర్యలు ఏదన్నా తీసుకున్నా సరే దానికి చాలా స్ట్రింజెంట్ యాక్షన్ అంటూ ఉంటుంది. 3, అన్సేఫ్ కండిషన్స్. మనం చేయబోయే వర్క్ సంబంధించి ఎవరికి ఎటువంటి ఇబ్బంది రాకూడదు. ఈ నగరంలో చాలామంది ప్రజలు ఉన్నారు. వారి పనులకి మనం వేయబోయే రోడ్ల మీద ట్రావెల్ చేసి వెళ్తూ ఉంటారు. మీ స్టాఫ్, మీ వర్కర్స్ కూడా మీ పని ప్రదేశాల్లో ప్రతిరోజు కూడా వాళ్ళు టైంకి వచ్చి వివిధ రకాల పనులను వాళ్ళని అటెండ్ చేస్తూ ఉంటారు. ఎవరికి కూడా అన్సేఫ్ కండిషన్స్ అనేది ఉండకూడదు. యాక్సిడెంట్స్ కానీ డెత్ కేసెస్ కానీ దట్ హ్యాస్ టు బి డెల్ట్ విత్ ఏ 0 టాలరెన్స్. సో దాన్ని కూడా చాలా కఠినంగా పరిగణించడం జరుగుతుంది. సో చట్టపరంగా ఏవైతే తీసుకోవాలో అన్నీ కూడా తీసుకోవడం జరుగుతుంది. ఈ 3 నాన్ నెగోషియబుల్. సో ఇవి కాకుండా మీరు ఇంకా ఏదైనా బెటర్గా చేద్దాము, లేకపోతే ఇక్కడ చేయలేకపోయాం మరలా సరిదిద్దుకుంటామంటే మన ఈఎస్ఎంఈ బృందం మరియు పీజీఎంసీ మీకు అన్ని వేళ మీకు చేదోడు వాదోడుగా ఉంటూ మీతో కలిసి మేమందరం కూడా నడుస్తాము. కానీ మీరు మనకి చేయాల్సిన ప్రామిస్ ఏంటంటే ఈ 3 అంశాల్లో ఎటువంటి అజాగ్రత్త, ఎటువంటి అలసత్వము ఉన్నా సరే దాన్ని చాలా కఠినంగా పరిగణించడం జరుగుతుంది. సో దాన్ని కొంచెం దృష్టిలో పెట్టుకుని చిన్న చిన్న జాగ్రత్తలు, మనం ఇచ్చిన ఈ గైడ్లైన్స్ ఫాలో అయిపోతే అందరికీ కూడా ఎటువంటి ఇబ్బంది ఉండదు. చాలా ప్రతిష్టాత్మకంగా ఈ ప్రాజెక్టు రాష్ట్ర ప్రభుత్వం కానీ భారతదేశ ప్రభుత్వం కానీ ముందుకు తీసుకెళ్తున్నాము. ప్రజలందరూ కూడా చాలా ఆశలతో అమరావతి కోసం ప్రతిరోజు కూడా వివిధ రకాల ఛానల్స్ ద్వారా చూస్తూ ఉంటారు. దేశవ్యాప్తంగా మరియు ప్రపంచవ్యాప్తంగా మన నగరం గురించి మాట్లాడుతున్నారు. అటువంటి పరిస్థితుల్లో మనము ఎటువంటి చిన్న కలంకానికి కూడా దారి ఇచ్చే స్కోప్ మనకు లేదు. సో అందుచేత మనందరం కూడా ఒక టీమ్గా పనిచేద్దాము, అన్ని జాగ్రత్తలు తీసుకుని ముందుకెళ్దాము. మీకు ఎటువంటి ఇబ్బంది ఉన్నా సరే మేమందరం మీతో ఉంటాము, మీకు ముందు ఉండి నడిపిస్తాం. మీ అందరినీ కూడా అందరం కోఆర్డినేట్ చేసుకుని మేము అంటూ ఎటువంటి భేదాలు లేకుండా ఒక సింగిల్ టీం అమరావతి కింద ముందుకు వెళ్తే ఈ ప్రాజెక్ట్ని అనుకున్న టైంకి, అనుకున్న సమయానికి, అనుకున్న బడ్జెట్లో మనం పూర్తి చేయగలుగుతాము. ఈరోజు ఇక్కడికి విచ్చేసిన స్టేజ్ పైన ఉన్నవారికి అండ్ స్టేజ్ కింద ఉన్నవారికి అందరికీ కూడా హృదయపూర్వకంగా ధన్యవాదాలు తెలుపుకుంటూ చాలా ప్రొడక్టివ్గా యూటిలైజ్ చేసుకుందాము, చాలా జాగ్రత్తగా విందాము అండ్ సురక్షితంగా పర్యావరణ హితంగా నగరాన్ని నిర్మించుకోవడం, మాస్టర్ ప్లాన్లను పెట్టుకోవడమే కాకుండా కన్స్ట్రక్షన్ టైంలో కూడా పాటించాము అనే మంచి పేరు మీకు, మాకు, ఇక్కడున్న ప్రజలందరికీ కూడా కలగాలని చెప్పి ఆశిస్తూ ధన్యవాదాలు. జై హింద్.
In case of emergency, use staircase and do not use the elevator. Don't rush around, walk slowly. We have main exit door and through the staircase and assemble on the main gate. Thank you. I now request Mr. Nitin Sharma and Mahesh Babu to take over the stage and guide us on the SOP1.
Environmental management in the project and CSMP implementation. Next slide, please. So this is the agenda for the today's session. Actually, we'll have the agenda is breakdown into initially starting with SOP1, and all the SOPs will be followed later on. Next slide, please. Yeah. So as you all know that ESME unit was formed as per the government orders, and under the ESME unit actually it was categorized and hierarchy was given, and it was as subunits like environment management unit, that is one unit, and there is a OHS team and landscape and forest team, and again a social aspects as well, the social development team as well as lands team and the GRM team looking after all the activities, and all the team was formed and looking after all the areas covering everything. And similarly this, in ADCL as well. Next slide, please. Yeah, similarly in ADCL also the team was created. Actually the main reason for creating this team is to supervise all the activities in the contract level, PMC level, PGMC level, and across cutting all the areas to oversee these aspects. So now I request our director Nitin Sharma, who is looking after the environment management unit and monitoring environmental aspects in the project. Thank you.
ఒక పాయింట్ నేను ఎంఫసైజ్ చేద్దామని చెప్పి అనుకుంటున్నాను మీ అందరి కోసం. ఈ ప్రాజెక్ట్ మొత్తానికి కూడా మీరు డైరెక్ట్గా కాంట్రాక్టర్స్ పిఎంసీస్తో మాట్లాడుతుంటారు. పిఎంసీస్ని గైడ్ చేస్తూ మన పీజీఎంసీ ఉన్నారు. ఓవరాల్గా ఏపీసీఆర్డీఏ అండ్ ఏడీసీఎల్ తరపున ఒక ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ అండ్ సోషల్ మేనేజ్మెంట్ యూనిట్, దాంట్లో ఒక 40 మంది సిబ్బంది ఓన్లీ ఈ అంశాల మీద పనిచేస్తున్నారు. సో వీరందరినీ కూడా మనం 4 టీమ్స్ కింద డివైడ్ చేశాము. ప్రతి టీము ఒకరు లేకపోతే ఒక ఇద్దరు కాంట్రాక్టర్కి అసైన్ చేస్తున్నాము. మీ సిఎస్ఎంపి ప్రిపరేషన్ అప్పుడు కూడా ఇదే టీం మీతో కొలాబరేట్ అయ్యి మీతో మాట్లాడుతూ గైడ్ చేస్తూ కొలాబరేట్ అవుతూ చేస్తున్నారు. సో ఇక్కడ చూపించిన టీం ఏదైతే ఉందో అది ఏపీసీఆర్డీఏకి ఏడీసీఎల్కి ఉన్న కంబైన్డ్ టీము. వారి కాంటాక్ట్ నెంబర్స్ తీసుకోండి, ఎవరు ఏం చూస్తున్నారని చెప్పి వాళ్ళతో మీ టీం టచ్లో ఉంటే ఫర్ ద నెక్స్ట్ 2 years మనం ఇవ్వాల్సిన కంప్లైన్సెస్ కానీ, మంత్లీ రిపోర్ట్స్ కానీ, సెమీ యాన్యువల్ రిపోర్ట్స్ కానీ వీరి ద్వారా వెళ్తాయి. మీకు ఎటువంటి ఇష్యూ ఉన్నా సరే వీళ్ళు మీకు ఫస్ట్ పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ కాంటాక్ట్ కింద ఉంటారు ఫ్రమ్ ద ఏపీసీఆర్డీ అండ్ ఏడీసీఎల్. థ్యాంక్ యూ.
For this particular section we have 7 SOPs. SOP1, which is basically assessment and management environmental and social safeguards. SOP2, labor and working conditions. SOP3, resource efficiency and pollution preventions. SOP4 is basically community health and safety. And 5 is a biodiversity conservations. And 6 is a GRM. And 7th is a GVB and GRM. Actually, all these SOPs are basically dealt with a different person who are sector expert in this particular field. I'll be covering SOP1, SOP3 and SOP5. Next, please. So SOP1 basic objective is basically to integrate environmental and social aspects in our project activity day in and day out, because we all know environmental and social plays a very crucial role in the development of any nation or any city. So this basically SOP talks about like what we have to do in day-to-day activity in our construction sites or as well as a labor camps. which is basically applicable to all PMC, PGMC and contractors or consultants. And the key outputs for this SOP is basically ESIA, ESMP and risk categorization. So this particularly ESIA is basically social environmental impact assessment. For initial stage for certain projects we have already carried out. You might have already got the information in terms of SOP. For the new projects you have to carry out if it is any new project which is not enlisted earlier. For this you need to carry out what all procedures, guidelines and who to contact, which ministry to follow. All those informations are already provided in the SOP1. As an annexure you can go through that later on. And ESMP is basically environmental social management plan. You might have been working continuously for the last almost 15-20 days. Our team in association with your concerned persons, they might be, actually they have dealt with you. So you might be working on the same aspects. And risk categorization basically deals with what all risk we can have if we come up with a project activity in environmental sensitive zone or area which requires special attentions. All those details are there in the SOP annexures. Some of it we'll be discussing in detail in the following slides. And this reference table is again I've mentioned like SOP1 annexes are there which you can refer for more details. Next please. An environmental, social and risk assessment screen is nothing. It's basically a tool. EIA is basically environmental impact assessment tool which governs and asks any organization if you have to carry out any activity, what all condition in terms of legal or in terms of environmental safeguard they need to carry out. So this basically comes under EIA notification 2006. Till date we have many more notifications, but they are actually amendment. But basic notifications follows in this environmental notification which is basically enlisted in 2006, which talks about primarily three categories: screening, scoping and methodology and further assessment. Screening is nothing, it's basically defined whether your project activity really required comprehensive or the detailed one or a small one or a rapid EIA. And the scoping is basically defined what all category you need to consider, what all sectors you will be involved, and whether your stakeholder consultation would be required or not. All those aspects are actually given in that. So primarily, if doing that, after doing this, we'll get to know like what all environmental risk in terms of air pollution, or you can say water contaminations and the loss of biodiversity, which includes your niche habitats in terms of flora and fauna like plants, vegetations, and the local people who are actually niche to existing conditions, and soil degradation, which is basically a main concern in our environmental conservation and the protection if we talk about. And the social risks, that also gives like land acquisition, livelihood disruption, which we'll be dealing in further as an RNR, rehabilitation, resettlements. And the format, how we have to do, it already is mentioned in the template, which is the following two existing SOPs. And the mitigation plan, if we talk about, basically there is a hierarchy of control which we need to follow in the environmental aspects also. Like first and foremost thing is we try to avoid the situation which may cause change in existing environmental condition, which includes your air, water, land and soil, right? So first and foremost thing is we need to see if we can have any alternative in order to protect or preserve the environment. If not, then we need to make sure that whatever impact we are going to create on the soil, that should be minimum in nature. And if it is again the third step, if we need to follow, then we need to see what all mitigations measures we will be covering. If not, then offset. Offset is nothing. It's the same process being carried out in a responsible or energy efficient or renewable sectors in some other way, other location for which credit actually considered for this particular activity. All those things will be going in detail in the following sections like SOP 1, 3 and 5. And monitoring, if we talk about, we have this ICT tool starting in the mid of 2015, because all the reporting we just spoke about, like we have to have monthly, biannually and quarterly reports. All those reports has to be through this ICT. Nothing is as in a hard copy, but it has to be made through this particular tool. And there are we define pre, post and during construction. The post construction environmental monitoring, what all parameters we need to define, that will be dealing in detail in the following sections. And the format for this, how monthly report will look like and what all content we need to put in, up to what level we need to provide, all those information are there in monthly reporting for templates. So as such, we have 14 key parameters, or you can say indicators for this particular projects to make it success. Like first and foremost thing is environment clearance and the consent or NOC from the authorized agencies. What all those things are there, we will be discussing in detail. It's just a crux what all we need to. First is basically legal requirement. Second is basically wherever we are involved with the labor, we need to take a labor related norms we need to follow, like BOCW and other. And the supply of basically work specific PPs, like we know like people are from outside also, so they are not aware of what all hazards and what all risks associated with their existing activity for which they need to carry out. So it is our responsibility, our duty to make sure that we'll provide them adequate or suitable PPEs, which includes minimum like safety shoes, helmets and the jacket, reflective jackets. Then we need to see that traffic management plan is also in place, which is basically site specific, because our material would be carrying across the area which may have sensitive locations like hospital, school, college and some area which requires special attention like biodiversity area, forest area. For those things we need to take a special remedial measures, and that should be documented, rather it is documented in your project specific traffic management plan. Then environmental monitoring as per CPCB. Then occupation health and safety applicable labor law. Then signages and display on EHS aspects, like what all environmental best practice we can do inside, that has to be displayed and documented, so that if person is visiting outside or person who is actually doing a job rotation like from one site to another location in terms of labor, they also be well versed like what best practice we are actually doing it. And the rehabilitation and resettlement, actually we said reinstatement, that will be dealt in detail. And the insurance is basically, it's a public litigation insurance act basically, where we need to see if we are dealing with any hazardous material and we are crossing legal limits in terms of storage. Public liability insurance act, that has to be done, because this is basically safeguard for all of us. If somehow, God forbid, should not happen, if it happens, then we'll be on a safer side. And for the mitigation measures as per the relevant applicable like standard and guidelines, and GB guidelines and others related aspects will be dealing in detail. And the capacity building, this is the main aspects of it, because everyone actually feel that they are expert in this field. It is actually not the case always. So we need to make sure that if person is actually on a rotation, if he's moving from one project to other locations, if he's actually given a separate task which is not of his routine task, then they need to be briefed and they need to be provided a training what all need to be done in terms of environmental and social aspects. And definitely waste management, we have to see as per the CPHO manuals and the CPCB. What all these requirements are there, we'll be dealing in detail now, please. Next slide. Yeah, this is a statutory competition if we talk about. This is basically the pictures you can see. These are environment clearance we got for the projects. Likewise, we have existing environment clearance for the existing projects. If not, if we come up with or decided to come up with any new projects activity, then you need to seek environment clearance from Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change. We call it as MOEFCCC. All the reference and websites are there in the annexures. This environment clearance actually nothing, it gives you idea or gives you certain condition where you need to work upon before, during and after project activity. Before means you need to take care of what all water contamination is going to happen because of our activity, what all air emission or you can say air pollution is going to happen because of our project activity. That includes both the components, basically fugitive emissions and the point source or the non-point source actually, and the solid waste management, what kind of waste we would be generating and how it has to be managed. And the ecology. Ecology is nothing, it's basically biodiversity where we are need to interact with the existing water bodies, existing forest area, existing trees or existing natural habitat. If we need to deal with them, somehow if we have to remove them from our existing site, what all measures we need to do that are enlisted in ecology sections. And the resettlement and rehabilitation, it is nothing, it's basically ask about if we need to shift something from the existing scenario, what all measures we need to provide them, be it a human or be it a biodiversity case. Or a disaster management system is nothing, it's basically if we somehow come across, have any natural calamities. Can you list what all natural calamities we have? Because I want to make it interactive. Flood, very good. Earthquake, very good. Cyclone, very good. Chemical flood, very good. So that's really good actually. I can feel that you are actually having interaction and all those things. Very good. Okay, so that things are already enlisted and they are basically project specific. And environmental management and during construction phase, environmental management and monitoring system we will be dealing in detail. Next slide please. Yeah, environment statutory clearance, like we just spoke about, first is basically EC we need to take for the project activity. Once we got a EC, we need to take a certain consent condition from State Pollution Control Board or Andhra Pradesh Pollution Control Board or respective states, which is nothing, is basically consent to establishment. We call it here in CFO or CFE, and consent to operate. Before execution of any project activity, even before laying down of our material, we need to take a consent to establishment. Once it is done, then we need to go for a consent to operate, and that is basically given for 7 to 14 years. I mean, that depends on the complexities of the project activity which we are dealing with. And hazardous waste authorization, in generally, Pan India, even in the case of Andhra Pradesh also, it is a part of consent to establishment and consent to operate. If not, because certain project activity may not ask you or require you to go for a consent to establishment and consent to operate, you can go for hazardous waste authorization, which includes your oil, diesel, and other chemicals compound which we will be using in a site. And biomedical waste management, basically is this infectious waste we need to take, and registration of hazardous waste management and e-waste recycle. All those things we'll be dealing in details. Next slide, please. Now, these are the EC condition. We know Krishna River is actually perennial river in our case, so we need to make sure nothing goes inside it from our construction activity, be it a solid, liquid or gaseous form. Right? This is our primary responsibility, and this is our EC condition also. And the drinking water quality which should meet, rather I would say must meet 10500. This is a ICE standard, which is basically potable drinking water category. Whosoever we supply water, that should meet with the criteria. And we also do a proper storm water drainage system, which includes flood mitigation measures also, if somehow it is happened, which basically nothing is basically wherever we have a periphery or your project activity, need to make an outer drain, which can accommodate a flood if it is there, or a water if it is high in precipitations. And the cleaning of stormwater drain at least 3 times a day, pre, during and the post monsoon seasons. And the Dangaram sewer system, so whatever sewer system we have, that should be 100% with all in collections, connections, and the treatment and the disposal. All these 4 components should meet in. And the water bodies which we have existing scenario, that should be pre-monitor, which we are already doing, and the post-monitoring. This is nothing, it's basically just to give an essence that contamination, whatever, if somehow is there, it is not because of our activity. Next, please. Then environment management during construction is, the thing is a safeguard, we told, like Delta Bot, we need to provide a safe hygiene conditions, like toilet with all drainage facilities, and our wastewater treatment facilities, and safe accommodation, and whatever soil area where we need to work on in terms of topsoil, that has to be preserved, and maintenance of construction equipment during activity. We need to make sure that periodical maintenance, so that the noise which would come out of from them, or the emission in terms of air pollution, may reduce before it happens. And the use of dampening material. These are the material which actually observe the noise and the vibration when it actually generating from the source itself. Instead of making it in the existing environment, we have to use it so that this should not spread out. And the groundwater shall not be used for the construction activity. This is the prime most important things we need to keep in our mind. We are not at all actually authorized to use the groundwater. And the solid waste management activity, we need to segregate in the solid waste into different categories. What all categories are there, we'll be dealing in detail, because these are the EC condition which I am giving you. And the control and scientific disposal of sludge, which we have already decided, like there is a STP which is governed, and we have a tie-up with them. You can actually approach them for the sludge disposals. And ensure the proper collection, disposal, and the treatment for the hazardous waste through only authorized recycler. The list of authorized recycler, you can get it from SPCB, State Pollution Control Board, or MOEF. And we need to make sure whatever waste is being generated from our side, it should be done in a responsible manner. And what is responsible manner, that will be dealing in details in the following slides. And the air emission, we need to see like whatever fuel we are using in terms of DG. First and foremost thing should be, DG should always be a standby as an emergency backup. And whatever fuel we use, it should be green. Either it should be low sulfur content or a CNG or a hybrid of it would serve, not purely on a diesel base. And they should also comply with the Environmental Protection Act rules, basically in terms of noise and the emissions. Next, please. Next slide. Yeah. Ecology, like we just dealt about, like whatever existing flora and fauna we have, we are not supposed to make any disturbance to them. We have to carry out our activity in terms of making them a safeguard, like topsoil preservation, and stacking the soil for the restoration purpose, and whatever existing water body, their bank should be properly channelized, affirmed, so that when we have to carry out any activity, their sludge or sedimentation should not move into the water body. And we also need to make sure, like whatever discharge we are generating, they are not directed or diverted towards the existing water bodies. Next, please. Yeah, these are some contractual conditions you might be aware of, already being given to, like for CESMP, we need to take a prior approval, and there is some penalties clauses also there. It has to be, otherwise it would be difficult for us to follow. So these are basically two major categories, non-conformities we talk about, major and the minor. And other is basically whatever code of conduct you have already made an agreement that has to be followed, and is for, as per GOC 94118 actually, designated grievance redressal officers that we also have in place. If you have any issue, you can directly come and contact us. And designated SE and SHE coordinators are already there. So these are contractual conditions you might be aware of. Next, please. Yeah, this is basically a post-construction activity where we need to take, just discuss about, we need to take a license or the insurance for the local and the migrant workers in terms of BOCW, Building and Other Construction Workers Actually Act. And that is basically ensure, like we need to make sure these 2 points are basically primarily for all of us who are working on this project from this construction point of view, or you can say contractor agency's point of view. Like we need to obtain a license and insurance for the laborers, and second, we need to make them register as per the rules, and medical checkup during pre and the post activity, so that later on should not be the case that labor should come and say like I'm affected this disease because of I have worked in your premises. So that will actually safeguard ourselves in future if there is any chances in such case. Next slide, please. And this pre-construction stage, like in terms of environmental monitoring, we need to make sure like whatever water quality we are generating, if it is a surface water or a groundwater, there has to be monitoring. They should be tested by approved agency as per the respective standards. And the noise level monitoring, we need to carry out 2 times, daytime and a night time. Technically, it is basically 24 hours, day and night time, and both of them have different standards in terms of it is exceeding their limits, so that we need to make sure it is being conducted during our construction activity and before that. Because why before I'm asking is because that will act as a baseline for that, because there are cases where the State Pollution Control Board or existing norms have a limits which are very low or which are not actually acceptable in a present scenario. So during construction or pre-construction, if we see, then we may have a comparison. This is what actually we did and we got before carrying out of any activity. And the soil quality parameters we need to make sure, because there should not be any contamination. That will also give us, if there is any contamination of heavy metal or any chemical compound in existing scenario. And once we start our project active, we also do the same thing. That will give a comparison that because of our activity, we do not have created any contamination in soil quality. Then the air quality, these are the basic 6 parameters or 7 parameters we need to see: SOx, NOx, PM10, PM2.5, O3, and the CO and the VOC compound. These are the mandatory parameters we need to see during and before constructions. And formation of given resolution committee we already have in place, and you also need to come up with your respective thing. If there is any issue, that should be properly channelized. Same thing will be how it is and who will be the nodal point of contact for this thing. We'll be dealing in detail in the following slide. And the formation of ICC is basically informal complaint system which we have in your internal system, like complaint of any time, whether it's a contamination, whether it's a harassment, or whether it's anything related to workers or a labor, there should be channel for these things. Yeah. And this basically, again, the signage is in display board. We need to follow all IRC's guidelines actually, where we traffic in involved. And the capacity building introduction training I told about, like when any new worker comes into your place, you have to provide as an induction training, what all activity he need to carry and what all things he need to make sure, so that he should have a minimum impact on himself as well as on the environmental, because he's not aware of the hazard associated with it. And the training is basically capacity training, working on training, on-site training, awareness training, and a mock drill. Mock drill is actually a best and the foremost things we need to make sure, because he might not be aware of the existing scenario in the project locations. Next, please. That's all. I request my colleague Mahesh to say in a local language if something I missed. Mahesh, please.
మీరు APCRDA వెబ్సైట్లో ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ సెక్షన్లో SOPs ఆల్రెడీ అప్లోడ్ చేసి ఉంది. మీరు డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకొని SOP కాపీని రీడ్ చేయండి. కమింగ్ టు ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్, ఇప్పుడు ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ గురించి ఆల్మోస్ట్ 30 minutes నితిన్ గారు ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేశారు. ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ ఎందుకు మనం ప్రొటెక్ట్ చేయాలి? రీసెంట్గా నేను ఒక కాన్వకేషన్కి వెళ్తే ఆ కాన్వకేషన్లో ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ డిస్కషన్స్ అని అయిపోయిన తర్వాత వీ హ్యావింగ్ ఎ క్యాజువల్ డిస్కషన్, అందరం క్యాజువల్గా మాడుకుంటే వన్ ఆఫ్ ద గై ఈజ్ సేయింగ్ దట్ వేస్ట్ మేనేజ్మెంట్ ఆర్ వేస్ట్ క్రియేషన్ ఈజ్ నాట్ మై ప్రాబ్లం, ఇట్ ఈస్ నెక్స్ట్ జనరేషన్ ప్రాబ్లం, దే విల్ టేక్ కేర్. మనం జనరేట్ చేసే వేస్ట్కి నెక్స్ట్ జనరేషన్ వాళ్ళు సఫర్ అవుతున్నారు. సో ఎవ్రీ వన్ హ్యాస్ ఎ రెస్పాన్సిబిలిటీ ఇన్ టర్మ్స్ ఆఫ్ వేస్ట్ మేనేజ్మెంట్. ఈ రీసెంట్గా రిపోర్ట్స్ కూడా వచ్చేసినాయి ఆల్రెడీ దట్ ఇన్ ఎ బ్లడ్ స్ట్రీమ్ ఆల్రెడీ వీఆర్ ఫైండింగ్ ద మైక్రోప్లాస్టిక్స్. సో దట్ ఈస్ ద రీజన్. మీ అందరికి క్లియర్గా ఏం చెప్తున్నామంటే మనకి ఇక్కడ మనం బిగినింగ్ స్టేజ్లో ఉన్నాం. వీ హ్యావ్ ఆపర్చునిటీ టు చేంజ్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్. వీఆర్ బిల్డింగ్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్ ఫ్రమ్ స్టార్టింగ్ నౌ. సో waste management, wastewater generation in the labor camps as well as in the project sites. We have that management of the grey water things, solid waste management in terms of air pollution. So now government also brought all the rules. Meek already CPCB approved DG sets, government authorized చేసిన DG sets available ga unnai, so that by using them we can control the air pollution. And coming to the wastewater and waste management, I have already explained. Coming to statutory clearances, already APCRDA, ADCL, Amaravati projects and interlinked projects annitiki environment clearances, consent from Pollution Control Board, anni we are already taken care of. Now, మీరు ప్రాజెక్ట్లో తీసుకోవాల్సిన కన్సెంట్స్ అవన్నీ పొల్యూషన్ కంట్రోల్ బోర్డు వాళ్ళకి కూడా ఇంటిమేషన్ చేశాం. సో మీ ప్రయర్ అప్రూవల్స్ అన్నీ వచ్చేటట్టు. సో మీరు ఆ ప్రయర్ అప్రూవల్స్కి అప్లై చేసేసి అంతే. ప్రజెంట్ అంతా ఆన్లైన్ సిస్టమే. ప్రజెంట్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్ ఈజ్ ఆన్లైన్ అండ్ ఈజ్ ఆఫ్ డూయింగ్ బిజినెస్ ద్వారా మనకి ఈజీగా అయిపోతున్నాయి ప్రాజెక్ట్స్ అన్నీ. సో అన్ని కన్సర్న్స్ స్టాచ్యుటరీ క్లియరెన్స్ తీసుకోండి. మీకు ఎలాంటి డౌట్స్ ఉన్నా ESMU టీంలో ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ మేనేజ్మెంట్ యూనిట్ ఉంది, ADCలో ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ మేనేజ్మెంట్ యూనిట్ ఉంది, PGMCలో ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ ఎక్స్పర్ట్స్ ఉన్నారు, PMCలో ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ ఎక్స్పర్ట్స్ ఉన్నారు, ఈవెన్ కాంట్రాక్టర్ లెవెల్లో కూడా ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ ఎక్స్పర్ట్స్ ఉన్నారు. సో వీ కెన్ వర్క్ టుగెదర్ అండ్ వీ కెన్ సార్ట్ అవుట్ ఇఫ్ ఐ హ్యావ్ ఎనీ ఇష్యూ. And our additional commissioner sir is keenly monitoring every activity. Sir, మీరు డైలీ ట్రాక్ చేస్తున్నారు, కన్సర్న్స్ తీసుకున్నారా, అన్ని యాక్టివిటీస్ అన్ని ఫుల్ఫిల్ చేస్తున్నారా కాంట్రాక్టర్స్ అన్ని. మీరు ఎనీ టైమ్ వీ కెన్ అప్రోచ్ అస్ సో దట్ వీ కెన్ హెల్ప్ యూ ఆల్. సో కమింగ్ టు ఎన్విరాన్మెంటల్ మానిటరింగ్. సో అందరూ ప్రాజెక్ట్లో బేస్ లైన్ ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ మానిటరింగ్ స్టార్ట్ చేసి వీ ఆల్రెడీ కెప్ట్ ఏ మెకానిజం. మంత్లీ మానిటరింగ్, క్వార్టర్లీ మానిటరింగ్ యాక్టివిటీస్ అన్ని ఆల్రెడీ డిఫైన్ చేసి ఉన్నాయి. సో దాని ప్రకారం మీరు ఎన్విరాన్మెంటల్ మానిటరింగ్ క్యారీ ఫార్వర్డ్ చేస్తే మనకి ఇఫ్ దేర్ ఆర్ ఎనీ గ్యాప్స్, ద రీజన్ ఫర్ ద మానిటరింగ్ ఈజ్ టు ఫైండ్ అవుట్ ద గ్యాప్స్ అండ్ వీ కెన్ అడ్రస్ దట్. ఏమైనా స్టాండర్డ్ వాల్యూస్ ఏమైనా ఎక్సీడ్ అవుతున్నాయా, సో వాట్ మిటిగేషన్ మెజర్స్ వీ కెన్ టేక్, హౌ వీ కెన్ కంట్రోల్ యూజింగ్ దట్. దట్ ఈస్ ద రీజన్ ఆఫ్ మానిటరింగ్, జస్ట్ నాట్ టేకింగ్ రిపోర్ట్స్ అండ్ ఫర్ ఫైలింగ్. సో వీ అండర్స్టాండ్ ద గ్రౌండ్ లెవెల్ సిచ్యువేషన్ అండ్ యాక్ట్ అకార్డింగ్లీ in terms of reducing the air pollution and environmental aspects and all. In this project, one activity is that we are creating a ICT tool. So once the ICT tool, that is nothing but an online tool, చాలా ఈజీగా ఉంటుంది. మీరు అన్ని డేటా, ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్, రిపోర్ట్స్, ఎన్విరాన్మెంటల్ రిపోర్ట్స్ అన్నీ ICT టూల్లో మీరు అప్లోడ్ చేసేస్తే ఆటోమేటిక్ హైరార్కీ ప్రకారం అవి APCRDA హైయర్ అథారిటీస్కి రిపోర్ట్స్ వచ్చేస్తాయి. So no need to submitting the manual reports and sending the files here and there. It is lying in someone tables. It's not like that. Everything is online now. The ICT tool is being created, so you can report every aspects there. So with this, I think holistically I covered all these things. One major thing is even our bank team also very much impressed. That's trees translocation and storing them and replacing in the green buffer area. ఈ ప్రాజెక్ట్లో మనకి అడ్వాంటేజ్ ఏంటంటే అన్ని ఏరియాస్లో ఎక్స్పర్ట్స్ ఉన్నారు. ప్రాజెక్ట్లో హార్టికల్చర్ టీం ఉన్నారు, ల్యాండ్స్కేపింగ్ టీం ఉన్నారు, ఫారెస్ట్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ ఉన్నారు. ట్రీస్ మీ ప్రాజెక్ట్ సైట్లో ఎక్కడన్నా ట్రీస్ మీరు ఐడెంటిఫై చేసి మార్క్ చేసి ఇఫ్ యూ హ్యావ్ ఎనీ డిఫికల్టీస్ in terms of replacing them or run, you can take the help of the ADCL and APCRDA team. They will guide you. We have a team here who are doing this translocation at all the places. And even in the labor camps also, you are already setting up the tree plantation. That is a very great initiative. Why? Because it gives a cooling effect to the laborers during the 3 years of time. So in a World Environment Day రోజు already government initiative తీసుకుంది tree plantation ki. So similarly, it can continue and gives a cooling effect. So recently, people are saying that everyone know that every person ఒక 3 plants కనుక సర్వైవ్ అయ్యేలా చేసుకుంటే కనుక అతని లైఫ్ కార్బన్ న్యూట్రల్ అయిపోతుంది. ఒక పర్సన్ 3 plants కనుక సర్వైవ్ చేస్తే అతను యూజ్ చేసుకునే ఆక్సిజన్ అంతా ఆ 3 plants ఇస్తుంది. సో టేక్ కేర్ ఆఫ్ దట్ అండ్ వీఆర్ దేర్ టు గైడ్ యూ ఆల్.
And just to understand how many of only engineers, in the sense primarily to understand this particular program, you know, in the structure of the whole thing, there is a contractor, primarily it is all meant for you. In the contractor team, there are 3 people, as Praveen sir and all has told that, you have an occupational specialist, environmental specialist and social specialist, who have to help you, the contractor, in all the things whatever is being just said right now, being explained by Sharma ji and Mahesh, that they have to help you out in fulfilling and all that. And to monitor and supervise, to guide you, there is a body called PMC, Project Management Consultant. Exclusively, there are people similar like environment, social, occupational health and all, with whom your team, contractor team, have to interact. Any doubts, any clarifications, any concerns have to be clarified with them. Primarily, they will supervise your work. Any lapses, any issues, they will bring up. On the overall, there is a body called Program Management Consultants, who oversee all the contracts and PMC. Why I am reiterating this is, many people may know, some people may not know completely. This is the structure which you have to do. Now, a couple of points I just want to tell you. Why all these things? Construction in the world, in the country, for us is not new. We have been doing for long, from times immemorial. But what is something different in this one is, we all working for the construction, for the development intervention that is sustainable. As all we know that the climatic changes and sudden rains and drought, whatnot, all this we are been experiencing day to life. So what are the primary things to be focused is environment and social. Therefore, this particular project is very, very concerned and serious about social and environmental aspects. Therefore, contractor is not just building a road with minimum no harm to the environment, building a road with minimum least disturbance to the people and assets surrounding. That is the addition, which is there already in the government of India and all legislations. But now your team and ours and all of us trying to implement this. They are not just remain in the legislation, they are not remain in the policies. This force and the force on the here and all, we work together and try to achieve. This is the second point which I want to make. Third one is, you might be hearing different words like SOPs and all. What is SOP? Standard Operating Procedure. This is ultimately the team PGMC APCRDA has brought down into different procedures which the contractor at the end has to refer. If something is happening in this air pollution, solid waste, water, so this is the document which you need to refer. That will give you guidance, that will give you inputs and all that, which are there, amalgamation of all the rules and regulations in the country and the state and all that. So SOP is a kind of the procedure which you have to refer and do. So the bottom document for the contractor is, what is the document? Is CESMP, Contractor Environment Social Management Plan, which is the basic document on which you are implementing. That is nothing but contractors, as you know the language of DPR, detailed project report, and BOQ, bill of quantities and all those. This is the language. Now, this CSMP is, because of my construction, because of my all these things, there are different possible impacts will be there. Water pollution will be like this, air pollution will be like this much of labor will be there. The labor is from somewhere, local, gender and all these things. Then the CSMP will give the details. These are all the things, these are my interventions. That is a blueprint which the APCRDA will see and review and approve. Basing on that, that will review and code and monitor and take appropriate actions. I just want to give a kind of overview on this one, just to make everybody on the same platform. The idea why I'm telling is, in the second half, we are going to have the group works. In the group works, the idea is, maybe Praveen sir has to confirm, will tell you further. The idea is the contractor and the PMC team will be sitting on different topics, will work out, and therein you have to reflect and come out what are the possible things, and you will be identifying what are the mitigation plans and all, and have to come and make a presentation, so that you have to develop better the insights. Every contractor must be having a team with you, your environment, social people. With those things you have to interact more. And I just stop here. These are things I just want to share with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Team. It was not just technical walkthrough, but it was a strong reminder that compliance is not a checkbox, but it's a culture that we all have to develop. Let's carry that forward into every site and every stage of the construction activity. Now we will disperse for the tea break, and after 15 minutes, we will start the session. Mr. Sheikh Tamiz, Mr. Ravi Kumar, and Mr. Sridhar Reddy to take over and guide us on these SOPs. Thank you.
Labor and working condition, this is a second SOP. This labor aspect is very important because we are going to mobilize more than 30,000 laborers in the Amaravati area. The key objectives of this SOP and labor welfare things are: ensure safety, fair treatment, lawful working conditions. These are the basic objectives of the labor and working condition. We have prepared the CSMB, and we have included one chapter as labor influx management plan and labor law compliances. The next slide. The risk related to environment and social aspect, basically due to the labor mobilization, is poor sanitation, and it leads to groundwater contamination, and other social aspects like GBV, SCI, such child labor, wage related disputes that can be occurred. The mitigation measures we can adopt it, which is very well explained in the CSMB. Labor management and welfare measures, the procedure we have to adopt, recruitment protocols, age verification. The recruitment process, we have to provide working arrangements for working facility for local laborers. The age verification, which is very essential because we cannot employ any child labor. So in some of the projects we have visited, and we have seen some good practices because in their documentation they have verifying their ages. They are keeping identity cards like Aadhaar cards, etc. And they are rejecting some people, some people below the age of 18. And we have observed. Another thing is working hours, pay benefits, no discrimination, grievance redressal. These are the important aspects. Working hours, recently the AP government has amended certain sections of Factories Act and the Shops and Establishments Act. Usually 9 hours is working hours, but it is now changed to 10 hours. Safe and hygienic practices, backside. Ensure safe and hygienic labor camps, sanitation, water, medical access, child care, enforce minimum space and water quality standards. These are to be ensured by the contractors. Safe and hygienic labor camps that we have seen in many areas. And water, drinking water should be provided, safe drinking water should be provided. Medical access, as per BOCDW Act, every labor has to be checked before deploying. So, pre-deployment medical checkup is a must thing. And child care, we have observed so many labor camps that many families are coming with their children and they are roaming around there. So, child care facilities like starting crash units or linking them with nearby Anganwadis, that is very essential. Medical access, the permanent medical facility should be established or periodical medical checkup should be conducted. Minimum space for workers, that is another essential thing. We have observed many labor camps are crowded and minimum basic space is not provided. That has to be changed. And the building must be constructed accordingly to accommodate all the laborers who are coming for work. Prevention of child labor and payment, timely payment is another important aspect. Grey water treatment and treatment before disposal, that is also another important thing. Many areas we have observed that wastewater is not properly treating or it is allowing to flow. That cannot be allowed. Applicable labor laws, these are not only the applicable labor laws, we have explained in detail in our CSMB. These are the basic laws which we have to taken care. Building and Other Construction Workers Act, BOCW Act, Interstate Migrant Labour Act and its AP rules, Contract Labour Regulation and Abolition Act, Workmen Compensation Act, Child and Adolescent Labour Prohibition and Regulation Act, Maternity Benefit Act, Minimum Wages Act, Equal Remuneration Act. This can get the license, registration, etc. But in our verification, last 1 month, we are verifying all these things. But we could see that only contract labor license is procured by the contractor, but other things are remaining to procure. The PMC has to follow up it, and the contractor has to take necessary license. Another important thing is Workmen's Compensation Act. The Workmen Compensation Policy has to be procured. Sometimes we can see that these contractors are reluctant to cover all the labours. If they are mobilized of 500 labours, then they will, some occasions, not here, in my experience, I have seen that they are procuring only for 100 or 250 numbers. That is not permissible. How many numbers you are mobilized, you have to take that much coverage under Workmen Compensation Act. And next slide. Labor law complaints, we are basically analyzing or the complaint status is verifying through three means. One is establishment level compliances, second one is periodical complaints, and the third one is incident level complaints. The establishment level complaints, nothing but it consists of procuring labor license and arranging basic facilities. If all these licenses are not obtained, we cannot say that you are complied with the establishment level things. So before establishing a unit, we have to take all the necessary license and registrations and arrange basic facilities. That is establishment level compliances. Another one is periodical compliances. Periodical compliances consist of maintaining essential registers like attendance register, wages register, and such things which are clearly mentioned in the SOP, or we will give another individual session if required with the concerned PMCs and contractors. And incident level compliances, it comes under it covers the reporting of all type of incidents like accidents, timely reporting of accidents and harassment complaints, and also keeping proper records for terminating the employees. All these things must be properly recorded, and then only we can consider as all the complaints are satisfied. Next slide. The contractor has to keep the details of workers, and sometimes when we are visiting, we cannot count the numbers. The people who are accompanying us don't know how much laborers are there, how much families are there, how many migrant laborers are there. That kind of things are happening, but it cannot be proceeded. So the contractor must keep a proper documentation of all the laborers they are working in their site. Essential basic requirement, basic facilities at labor camp site, grievance redressal mechanism, notice board to show the abstract of labor laws. 6 basic labor laws has to be published in the labor camp, and it must be in 3 languages, basically Telugu, Hindi, and any other language, English. Another thing is internal complaint committee as per Posh Act. It will be explained in the next session. Register of migrant laborers and essential registers as per SOP, that will be explained later. And another important thing is code of conduct. This register is also important thing. Sometimes we can see that the contractors are maintaining in their own way, their own manner, but it is not recommendable. We have in SOP we have explained all the formats like wages register format, attendance register format, deduction format, recovery format. All these things are clearly explained there. So the contractor must keep all the records in line with the SOP. Basic facilities, accommodation. Accommodation is another important thing. Basically, we have to treat these laborers as human beings. They are not like animals or anything. So their basic right is to provide the minimum required space. As per our Contract Labour Act, 6.5 square meter should be given to each individual. That is not seen in many of the labour camps. So try to improve it. And so families are coming along with their children and other family members. So they have to be given separate accommodation in the labour camp. Next. These are the explanation regarding the basic facilities, accommodation, weatherproof shelters, for separate male and female accommodation facilities that should be given. Proper ventilation should be there in these places. The heat is very high, so ventilation should be provided properly. Drinking water is another issue. In many places we have seen that otherwise required quantity of water is not providing, but it cannot be proceeded. So give adequate quantity of water and install water cans or water dispenser in each camp units near to their rooms. Sanitation, adequate sanitation facility should be given. Urinals and gender segregated bathrooms, male, female separate bathrooms, and also it should be labeled and marked separately. And another thing is kitchen or canteen. In most of the cases we have seen many people are cooking inside their rooms, but it is also not permissible, and also sometimes they are cooking outside. It leads to some kind of fire incidents and unhygienic conditions. So the contractor has to establish canteen facility for the workers. That is a mandatory thing as per BOCW Act. So try to otherwise, some people are saying that these people are coming from different states, they have different tastes, we cannot do common food for everybody. That kind of explanation we have had, but it is not permissible. You have to provide some cooking facility, common cooking area, common eating area, that has to be given. So, that's the basic things the contractor has to establish. And the electricity and lighting, we have seen that many places families are staying in unsafe conditions, and these are the very poor families. They are vulnerable to any kind of incidents. So provide proper lighting during the night time in entire camp area. Medical facilities we have already discussed. We have to provide necessary first aid kits, and also we have to tie up with local medical facilities. In some areas we have seen some small first aid kits. It is not feasible for addressing the entire workers. So we have to refer the Contract Labour Act or other acts which is clearly mentioned about the requirement as per the number of labourers. So arrange good facilities. Another thing is anybody cannot give the first aid facility. 1 or 2 persons or some people, some labourers or some office staff must be properly trained with through authorized agencies, and deploy them as first aid providers. That is only permissible. Keeping some first aid boxes is not only a good thing, but we have to establish this thing. Another thing is we have to create some first aid room, well neatly arranged, and with the proper facilities like a fan, bed, and such things. Also drinking water should be arranged there. Some easy materials like how to provide first aid assistance that can also be included there. Another thing is waste management. We have seen in many camps that the waste management is not properly. Even though you are started the project, it's very important thing. We have to educate the labourers how to segregate bio and non-bio waste, and how to keep them separate. And also the contractor has to provide necessary facilities like waste bins, rather than throwing around the labour camp. It will create a lot of nuisance, and it will create unhygienic conditions. So segregate the waste is a primary thing, and providing necessary facilities. And also ensure the treatment of biodegradable waste within the site or through authorized agencies, and also hand over the non-bio waste to the municipal authority for recovering materials. Another important thing is grievance redressal committee. Formation of grievance redressal committee is an important thing as far as this labour management is concerned. As per Industrial Dispute Act, those who are engaging more than 20 labourers on grievance redressal committee should be established. It consists of minimum 6 members, equal participation from management side and labour side, and the chairperson will be selected on rotation basis. And in this regard, my suggestion is the contractor has to issue one proceeding like we have established this kind of GRC committee for this camp, and also you have to put a notice board regarding the details of this GRC committee. Then only we can consider this as complied. Next.
Grievance committee అందరూ ఎస్టాబ్లిష్ చేసి మీ గ్రీవెన్స్ కమిటీలో ఎవరైతే మెంబర్స్ ఉంటారో ప్రతి కాంట్రాక్టర్ తరఫున వారి వివరాలు నోటీస్ బోర్డులో పెట్టాలి. అవి మీ దగ్గర పనిచేసే వాళ్ళకి, అక్కడ వచ్చిపోయే పబ్లిక్ కూడా కనపడే ప్రదేశాల్లో మనము ప్రదర్శించాలి. దానికి తోడు APCRDA మరియు ఆంధ్ర రాష్ట్ర ప్రభుత్వానికి సంబంధించిన పరిష్కార వేదికలు ఉన్నాయి 2. ఒకటి ఆంధ్రప్రదేశ్లో PGRS పబ్లిక్ గ్రీవెన్స్ సెటిల్మెంట్ సిస్టమ్. సో మీకోసం .gov.ap. ఏదైతే ఉందో అది APCRDA అండ్ ADCLకి కంబైన్డ్గా ఉన్న పరిష్కారం అనే పోర్టల్. ఈ పరిష్కారం అనే పోర్టల్ crda.ap.gov.inలో గ్రీవెన్సెస్ అనే కాలంలో వెళ్తే ఎవరైనా కూడా గ్రీవెన్స్ నమోదు చేసుకోవచ్చు. ఇది చాలా ముఖ్యమైన అంశము. ఎందుకంటే ఒకవేళ ఏదైనా మీ వర్కర్కి సంబంధించిన ఫిర్యాదు కానీ మీ సైట్కి సంబంధించిన ఫిర్యాదు కానీ ఫస్ట్ లెవెల్లో మీ దగ్గర పరిష్కారం అయితే ఎవరో కూడా APCRDA వరకు రారు. అది ఎస్టాబ్లిష్ చేసుకోకపోతే వివిధ స్టేక్ హోల్డర్స్ మీ సైట్స్ గురించి చాలా కంప్లైంట్స్ పెట్టే అవకాశం ఉంటుంది. అది మరలా మన వరకు వస్తే ప్రొసీజర్ ఫాలో అయ్యి మళ్ళీ ఎంక్వైరీ చేసి మిమ్మల్ని కూడా పిలిపించి డిస్పోజ్ చేయాల్సిన అవసరం ఉంటుంది. ఫస్ట్ లెవెల్లో మీ దగ్గరే కనుక గ్రీవెన్సెస్ వచ్చినట్టు నమోదు చేసుకుని మీరు గ్రీవెన్స్ రిజిస్టర్ మెయింటైన్ చేసుకుని యాక్ట్ ప్రకారము ఇండస్ట్రియల్ డిస్ప్యూట్స్ యాక్ట్ ప్రకారము గ్రీవెన్స్ కమిటీని పెట్టుకుని ఎవరెవరైతే గ్రీవెన్స్ మెంబర్స్ ఉన్నారో వాళ్ళ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ PMCస్కి ఇవ్వాలి. PGMC హ్యాస్ టు కన్సాలిడేట్ ఆల్ ద డీటెయిల్స్ ఆఫ్ ద గ్రీవెన్స్ కమిటీ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్. ఇది ఇంకా అన్ని చోట్ల కూడా కంప్లీట్గా జరగలేదు. సో దాంట్లో ఒక విమెన్ కూడా ఉండాలి. ఒకవేళ మీ సైట్స్లో విమెన్ అవైలబిలిటీ ఎవరైతే ఉంటారో వాళ్ళని పెట్టుకోవచ్చు. లేకపోతే మీ హెడ్ ఆఫీసెస్లో కూడా ఉంటారు చాలామంది విమెన్ ఎంప్లాయీస్, వారిని కూడా గ్రీవెన్స్ ఆఫీసర్ కింద మీరు నమోదు చేసుకోవచ్చు. సో ప్రతి క్యాంప్కి కూడా ఒక గ్రీవెన్స్ కమిటీ ఉండాలి. ఒకవేళ మీకు మల్టిపుల్ కాంట్రాక్ట్స్ వచ్చి ఉంటే కనుక ఒకే కమిటీని గ్రూప్ ఆఫ్ ప్రాజెక్ట్స్ కూడా పెట్టుకునే అవకాశం ఉంది. బట్ వాళ్ళందరూ కూడా డెడికేటెడ్గా దీని మీదే ఉండాలి. సో ఆ విధంగా ఏర్పాటు చేసుకోవాలి. లేకపోతే APCRDA వెబ్సైట్కి వచ్చి మీ మీద కంప్లైంట్స్ వచ్చే అవకాశం కూడా ఉంటుంది రానున్న రోజుల్లో. టెస్ట్ పొల్యూషన్ సంబంధించిన అవ్వచ్చు, వేరే ట్రాఫిక్ సంబంధించిన అవ్వచ్చు. దే కెన్ ఈజీలీ లోడ్ ద కంప్లైంట్ ఇన్ APCRDA. అందులో కూడా ఆల్రెడీ మేము ఒక సెపరేట్ ఫీల్డ్ క్రియేట్ చేశాము. అమరావతిలో జరిగే కన్స్ట్రక్షన్ యాక్టివిటీ సంబంధించి కూడా కాంట్రాక్టర్ రిలేటెడ్ కంప్లైంట్స్ కూడా ఒక సెపరేట్ ఫీల్డ్ క్రియేట్ చేసి పెట్టాం. కాబట్టి మన దగ్గర కూడా ఫెసిలిటేషన్ జరగబోతుంది. సో అందుచేత మీ టీమ్స్ యాక్టివేట్ చేయండి. కాంట్రాక్టర్ లెవెల్లో మీ సిబ్బందికి సంబంధించిన సమస్యలు కానీ లేబర్ సంబంధించిన సమస్యలు కానీ ఏదైనా సరే ఫస్ట్ లెవెల్లో మీ దగ్గర రిజాల్వ్ అయితే మేము వెరిఫై చేసుకోవడానికి అవకాశం ఉంటుంది. మీరు ప్రొయాక్టివ్గా ఉండేటట్టుగా మీ టీమ్స్ని కన్స్టిట్యూట్ చేసుకోండి. థ్యాంక్ యూ.
Males and female, and creche facilities for the children and accommodation of any Anganwadi teacher or any teacher for them to educate or for their working hours take care of them. So ఈ మొత్తం మనం ఏర్పాటు చేసుకున్న తర్వాతే మనం లేబర్ని సస్టైన్ చేసుకోగలుగుతాం. దాంతోపాటు మనం కొన్ని అప్లికబుల్ లేబర్ లాస్ ఆల్రెడీ డిస్కషన్ చేశాము. ఇండియాలో కొన్ని ఉన్నాయి, లైక్ BOCW యాక్ట్ కానీ, కాంట్రాక్ట్ లేబర్ యాక్ట్ కానీ, ఇంటర్స్టేట్ మైగ్రెంట్ వర్కర్స్ యాక్ట్ కానీ, ఇవి మొత్తం ఉన్నాయి. దీన్ని మనం ఖచ్చితంగా ఫాలో చేయాలి. ఎందుకు ఫాలో చేయాలి? బికాజ్ ఒకటి మన మోరల్ రెస్పాన్సిబిలిటీ, సెకండ్ థింగ్ ఈజ్ ద లీగల్ రెస్పాన్సిబిలిటీ. లీగల్ రెస్పాన్సిబిలిటీ ప్రతి ఒక్క సిటిజన్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియాకి ఉంది, అది మనం ఖచ్చితంగా ఫాలో చేయాల్సిందే. సో ఈ ప్రాసెస్లోనే మన APCRDA నుంచి మనం ఈ మొత్తం వెల్ఫేర్ ఫెసిలిటీస్ ప్రతి ఒక్కటి మన CSMPలో ఇన్కార్పొరేట్ చేయడం జరిగింది. దాన్ని మనం ఖచ్చితంగా ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేయాల్సిన బాధ్యత మనందరికీ ఉంది. సో యాజ్ సెడ్ ప్రవీణ్ సార్, GRC గ్రీవెన్స్ రెడ్రెసల్ కమిటీ అది ప్రతి ఒక్కళ్ళు ఖచ్చితంగా ఏర్పాటు చేయాలి. అది ఏర్పాటు చేసి వాళ్ళ వర్కర్స్ యొక్క గ్రీవెన్స్ మనం తెలుసుకొని దాన్ని మనం లిస్ట్ అవుట్ చేసి వాళ్ళని పరిష్కరిస్తే తప్పితే మనం వర్కర్ని ప్రశాంతంగా చూసుకోలేము. లైక్ మన ప్రాజెక్ట్ కూడా అల్టిమేట్గా ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ కాదు. అది మన కాంట్రాక్టర్లందరికీ ఖచ్చితంగా తెలుసు. సో అపార్ట్ ఫ్రమ్ దట్ మనం కొన్ని నోటీస్ బోర్డ్స్, నెక్స్ట్ స్లైడ్, మనం కొన్ని నోటీస్ బోర్డ్స్ అనేవి మనం ఇక్కడ డిస్ప్లే చేయాల్సింది ఉంది. లైక్ ద మినిమం వేజెస్ యాక్ట్ అబ్స్ట్రాక్ట్ ఉంది, అది డిస్ప్లే చేయాలి. పేమెంట్స్ ఆఫ్ వేజెస్ యాక్ట్ అబ్స్ట్రాక్ట్ డిస్ప్లే చేయాలి. ద ఎంప్లాయీస్ కాంపన్సేషన్ యాక్ట్ అబ్స్ట్రాక్ట్, BOCW రిజిస్ట్రేషన్స్ అండ్ వేజెస్ యాక్ట్, కాంట్రాక్ట్ లేబర్ యాక్ట్ అబ్స్ట్రాక్ట్, ఇవి మొత్తం మనం డిస్ప్లే చేసేసి వాళ్ళని అవేర్ చేయాలి. అవేర్ చేస్తేనే ఇది వాళ్ళ రైట్ ఏంటనేది వర్కర్కి తెలుస్తుంది. సో దే కెన్ ఆస్క్ ఫర్ దేర్ రైట్. This is a moral responsibility for every contractor as well as the legal responsibility. And some essential registers that we need to maintain: attendance register, wage register, recovery register, and nomination and declaration form. This is very, very important, because if any accident is happened at our site, then what we need to do? Whom do we pay, or whom to the labor department will pay? That is the main thing that we need to maintain. Name, nomination and declaration form, and overtime register. At what level they are working and at what extended hours they are working, that has to be recorded and that has to be paid to them properly. And advance register, if the contractor has paid any advance to the laborer, then we need to be recorded. like wage slips, other documents that we need to maintain, wage slips, employment card as per the contract labor, and display of notices regarding as discussed earlier. And another very important thing that is this is one of the conditions from the World Bank and ADB, like code of conduct of contractor personnel, not only the laborer, for each and every employer while doing the induction. మనం ప్రతి ఒక్కళ్ళకి ఇండక్షన్ ఇచ్చేటప్పుడే కోడ్ ఆఫ్ కండక్ట్ అనేది ప్రతి ఒక్క ఎంప్లాయీకి ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేసేసి దాని మీద మనం ప్రతి ఒక్కళ్ళ సైన్ తీసుకోవాలి. ఆ కోడ్ ఆఫ్ కండక్ట్లో ఏముంటుంది, వాళ్ళ పంక్చువాలిటీ, మన సైట్కి రావడం, ప్రొఫెషనలిజం, సైట్లో ఎలా ఉండాలి, ఎలా బిహేవ్ చేయాలి, హోస్ట్ కమ్యూనిటీతో ఎలా బిహేవ్ చేయాలి, రెస్పెక్ట్ ఫర్ అదర్ కలీగ్స్, మన కలీగ్స్తో మనం ఎలా బిహేవ్ చేయాలనేది, కంప్లైంట్స్ విత్ లోకల్ లాస్ అండ్ నేషనల్ లాస్, ఆ మొత్తం మనం ఎలా కంప్లీట్ చేయాలనేది ఆ కోడ్ ఆఫ్ కండక్ట్లో క్లియర్గా రాస్తుంది. సో ఆ కోడ్ ఆఫ్ కండక్ట్ని ప్రతి ఒక్కళ్ళు మనం ఫాలో చేయాలి. అది ఖచ్చితంగా డ్యూరింగ్ ఇండక్షన్ ప్రాసెస్ ఓన్లీ మనం అది కంప్లీట్ చేసేసి దట్ హ్యాస్ టు బి రికార్డెడ్ అండ్ సబ్మిటెడ్ టు ద APCRDA, ఆర్ ఎల్స్ ఇట్ కెన్ బి ఆడిటెడ్ ఎట్ యువర్ క్యాంప్ సైట్స్ ఆర్ ఎట్ యువర్ ఆఫీసెస్. అండ్ వన్ మోర్ important thing that APCRDA is making so many efforts to prioritizing the youth employment, employment and skilling from contractor roles. What are the contractor roles can do that one. So youth of Andhra Pradesh can, as a social responsibility, can be prioritized to get the employment for this project particularly. And over 30 నేషనల్ అకాడమీ ఆఫ్ కన్స్ట్రక్షన్ సెంటర్స్ నుంచి మనం ట్రైనింగ్స్ అనేవి కండక్ట్ చేస్తున్నాం, డేటా కలెక్ట్ చేసేసి వాళ్ళకి ట్రైనింగ్ కండక్ట్ చేయడం. అండ్ అకార్డింగ్ టు మన వరల్డ్ బ్యాంక్ కానీ ADB బ్యాంక్ నుంచి కానీ మనం 12,000 లోకల్ యూత్స్కి మనం ఎంప్లాయ్మెంట్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తాము అని చెప్పి దానికి రిలేటెడ్ టు మనకి అమౌంట్ కూడా సర్టెన్ అమౌంట్ మనకు రిలేటెడ్ ఉంది. వెన్ APCRDA గెట్ ద అమౌంట్ దెన్ ఓన్లీ యూ ఆల్సో గెట్ ద అమౌంట్, రైట్? సో మనం దానికి ఏం చేయాలంటే 12,000 ఎంప్లాయీస్ లోకల్ యూత్ని ఎంప్లాయ్ చేస్తానేది టార్గెట్ ఉంది. దట్ వీఆర్ ట్రయింగ్ టు గెట్ ఇట్ డన్ వెరీ సూన్. సో మీ అందరి కోఆపరేషన్ కావాలి, దానికి మీరందరూ కూడా దాన్ని సక్సెస్ఫుల్ చేయాలి. దెన్ కాంట్రాక్టర్స్ని కూడా ఎంకరేజ్ చేస్తున్నాం. మనం లోకల్గా లాస్ట్ 2 days నుంచి మనం స్కిల్ డెవలప్మెంట్ ఇక్కడ లోకల్ జాబ్ మేళా పెట్టాము స్కిల్ డెవలప్మెంట్ సెంటర్ దగ్గర. అక్కడ కూడా మనం జాయిన్ అయిపోయి మీ దగ్గర నుంచి లాస్ట్ టైం మనకి ప్రవీణ్ సార్ కూడా రిక్వెస్ట్ చేశారు ఓవర్ టెలికాన్ఫరెన్స్, లైక్ కాంట్రాక్టర్స్ ఇఫ్ యూ హ్యావ్ ఎనీ వేకెన్సీస్ ఇన్ దేర్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్స్ దెన్ దే కెన్ కమ్ ఫర్ ద జాబ్ మేళా అండ్ దే కెన్ రైజ్ దేర్ వేకెన్సీస్ అండ్ దే కెన్ రిక్రూటెడ్ ద ఎంప్లాయీస్. అండ్ we are making some such efforts like RPL, recognition of prior learning, like మన లోకల్లో ఉన్న పెయింటర్స్ కానీ ఎవరైనా కానీ, నాట్ ఓన్లీ పెయింటర్స్ ఆర్ ప్లంబర్స్, ఎవ్రీవన్ ఇస్ దేర్. సో వాళ్ళని రికగ్నైజ్ చేసేసి మనం వాళ్ళకి ట్రైనింగ్ ఇచ్చేసి ఒక సర్టిఫికేట్ ఇచ్చేసి దెన్ యూ కెన్ గెట్ ద జాబ్ ఫ్రమ్ L&T or యూ కెన్ గెట్ ద జాబ్ ఫ్రమ్ NCC. సో such kind of efforts are made, such kind of efforts are doing by the APCRDA. So for this successful completion all the contractor has to be support this one.
అంటే ఈ RPL రికగ్నిషన్ ఆఫ్ ప్రయర్ లెర్నింగ్ అనేది స్కిల్ ఇండియా ప్రోగ్రాంలో భాగంగా ఉన్న ఒక కేటగిరీ ఆఫ్ స్కిల్లింగ్. చాలామందికి స్కిల్ ట్రైనింగ్ అవ్వకుండానే వాళ్ళకి ఒక స్కిల్ సెట్ అందుబాటులో ఉంటుంది. చాలామంది ఎలక్ట్రీషియన్స్ కావచ్చు, ఫ్లోర్ లేయింగ్ పీపుల్ కావచ్చు, లేకపోతే సీలింగ్ చేసే వాళ్ళకి కూడా, కానీ వాళ్ళ దగ్గర ఒక సర్టిఫికేట్ అంటూ ఉండదు. అందుచేత ఆన్ ఫీల్డ్ జాబ్ ట్రైనింగ్ తీసుకుని మన స్కిల్ డెవలప్మెంట్ ఏజెన్సీ ద్వారా వాళ్ళకి ఇంకేమన్నా మెలకువలు నేర్పాలంటే అవి కూడా చేస్తే RPL కింద ఒక సర్టిఫికేట్ ఇవ్వచ్చు. దట్ ఈజ్ వ్యాలిడ్ అక్రాస్ మల్టిపుల్ కంట్రీస్. ఆ సర్టిఫికేట్ ద్వారా వాళ్ళు మీ దగ్గర కానీ వేరే ఏజెన్సీస్ ద్వారా కానీ వాళ్ళు ఇంకా మంచి ఎంప్లాయ్మెంట్ పొందే అవకాశం ఫ్యూచర్లో ఉంటుంది. దాన్ని యూటిలైజ్ చేసుకున్న వాళ్ళకి అంతకుముందు కంటే బెటర్గా ఎంప్లాయ్మెంట్ రావడము, బెటర్ శాలరీ రావడం కూడా చాలా జరిగినాయి ఇటువంటి కేస్ స్టడీస్ అని. ఇది మనందరికీ కూడా ఒక నైతిక బాధ్యత. కాంట్రాక్టర్స్ దగ్గర చాలామంది ట్రెడిషనల్గా కంటిన్యూ అవుతూ ఉంటారు. వాళ్ళకి ఉన్న స్కిల్కి రికగ్నైజేషన్ పరంగా ఒక గవర్నమెంట్ సర్టిఫికేట్ వ్యాలిడ్ అక్రాస్ మల్టిపుల్ కంట్రీస్, వ్యాలిడ్ అక్రాస్ ద ఇండియా, అది RPL కింద ఇచ్చే అవకాశం ఉంటుంది. సో దాన్ని అందరూ కూడా సద్వినియోగం చేసుకోవాలి. దానికి కావాల్సిన టైప్ మన దగ్గర ఆల్రెడీ ఉంది. మన APCRDA ఆఫీస్ తుళ్ళూరులో కూడా ఒక బ్రాంచ్ ఆఫీస్ ఉంది APCRDAది. అందులో సీనియర్ స్కిల్ డెవలప్మెంట్ పర్సన్ ఉన్నారు. అలాంగ్ విత్ దెమ్ స్కిల్ డెవలప్మెంట్ ఏజెన్సీ నుంచి కూడా ఉన్న డైరెక్టర్ కూడా అక్కడే ఉంటారు. సో వాళ్ళతో కోఆర్డినేట్ చేసుకుంటే మనము మీ దగ్గర ఉన్న వాళ్ళని RPL కింద చేసి వాళ్ళకి మంచి సర్టిఫికేట్ కూడా ప్రొవైడ్ చేయడం జరుగుతుంది. థ్యాంక్ యూ.
Thank you, sir. And community donating their lands for developing this capital city. So వాళ్ళ కోసం మనం ఏం చేస్తున్నాం, ఫస్ట్లీ ఆ కమ్యూనిటీ పీపుల్, దీస్ విలేజెస్ ఆర్ ద హోస్ట్ కమ్యూనిటీ ఫర్ అస్. ఈ హోస్ట్ కమ్యూనిటీకి మనం అప్రాక్సిమేట్లీ 30 to 40,000 మెంబర్స్ దే ఆర్ గోయింగ్ టు అకామిడేట్ హియర్. వాళ్ళ కమ్యూనిటీ మీద ఏం ఎఫెక్ట్స్ వస్తాయి, వాళ్ళ కమ్యూనిటీని ఎలా మనం మిటిగేట్ చేయాలి, వాళ్ళకి ఎలా కంట్రోల్ మెజర్స్ ఇచ్చి వాళ్ళని సేఫ్ గార్డ్ చేయొచ్చు అనేది ఈ కమ్యూనిటీ హెల్త్ అండ్ సేఫ్టీ పార్ట్లో మనం డిస్కషన్ చేసుకున్నాం. ద సేమ్ వాజ్ ఇన్కార్పొరేటెడ్ ఇన్ ది సిఎస్ఎంపి దట్ హ్యాస్ టు బి ఇంప్లిమెంటెడ్. ఫస్ట్ పర్పస్లో దీనికి మనకి లేబర్ ఇన్ఫ్లెక్స్ ఎక్కువ ఉంటుంది, దాని తర్వాత ఎస్సీ ఎస్హెచ్ఏ కేసెస్ ఎక్కువ రికార్డ్ అయ్యే ఛాన్సెస్ ఉన్నాయి. సో దానివల్ల మనం వీటికి మిటిగేషన్ మెజర్స్ క్లియర్గానే ఐడెంటిఫై చేసేసి వాళ్ళని సేఫ్ గార్డ్ చేస్తే మనం క్లియర్గా పనిచేసుకోవచ్చు ఇక్కడ. ఆర్ఎల్స్ దట్ ఇట్ మేక్స్ సమ్ లీగల్ ఇంప్లికేషన్స్, ఎవ్రీ వన్ మేక్స్ సమ్ ఇట్ విల్ కమ్స్ ఇన్ టు న్యూస్ పేపర్, సమ్ న్యూసెన్సెస్ ఆర్ దేర్. సో దీన్ని మొత్తాన్ని మనం డైవర్ట్ చేయడం కోసం మనం హోస్ట్ కమ్యూనిటీని కూడా జాగ్రత్తగా చూసుకోవాల్సిన బాధ్యత మన దగ్గర ఉంది. అండ్ దిస్ ఆల్సో హ్యాస్ సమ్ ఇంపాక్ట్ ఆన్ ఎన్వైర్న్మెంట్ లైక్ డస్ట్, నాయిస్ అండ్ కెమికల్ స్పిల్స్. సో యూసేజ్ ఆఫ్ హై laborers at a time we are going to be have. Next slide. And noise, dust, traffic. Nowadays we have some lesser traffic at this area. In future లో మనకు చాలా ట్రాఫిక్ రావచ్చు, హెవీ కన్స్ట్రక్షన్ వెహికల్స్ మూవ్మెంట్ అవుతాయి. సో
దాని 1 minute. ఇంతకుముందు ఉన్న స్పీకర్స్ కూడా మీకు సియా ఎస్హెచ్ SCA/SH అని చెప్పి చాలాసార్లు చెప్పారు. దాని ఫుల్ ఫామ్ తెలుసా ఎవరికైనా? SCA అంటే ఫుల్ ఫామ్ ఏంటి? మా సిఈ గారికి తెలుసు, వెరీ గుడ్. బట్ వారి కాంట్రాక్టర్స్కి ఎంతమంది తెలుసు? సో SC అంటే సెక్షువల్ ఎక్స్ప్లాయిటేషన్ అండ్ అబ్యూస్, SH అంటే సెక్షువల్ హరాస్మెంట్. సో రానున్న ప్రజెంటేషన్స్లో కూడా ఈ యాక్రోనిమ్స్ యూజ్ చేస్తారు కాబట్టి యూ షుడ్ బి నోయింగ్. క్యారీ ఆన్ తమిళ్.
చోరీస్ జరగవచ్చు, లైక్ దొంగతనాలు కానీ, లేదంటే ఎనీ అన్కండిషనల్ యాక్టివిటీస్ మైట్ బి హ్యాపెన్. సో దాని గురించి మనం వీళ్ళని ఎలా ప్రొటెక్ట్ చేస్తామనే దాని గురించి SC SHలో మనం డిస్కషన్ చేశాము, మనం CSMPలో కూడా కవర్ చేశాము. సో అది అందరూ ఎన్షూర్ చేయాలి. బిఫోర్ మూవింగ్ ఇన్ టు OHS పార్ట్, నెక్స్ట్ స్లైడ్. ఫస్ట్ ఐ వుడ్ లైక్ టు సే ఆక్యుపేషనల్ హెల్త్ అండ్ సేఫ్టీ, అది నాట్ ఓన్లీ ద రెస్పాన్సిబిలిటీ ఆఫ్ ద సేఫ్టీ పర్సన్. ఐ హోప్ సో. ఈజ్ ఇట్ అగ్రీడ్? ఎనీవన్? You agreed? I would like to get the information from Surya Sai Garu, NCC. Are you agree? Because safety and environment is not only the responsibility of a single person, that is who is leading the safety department or environmental department. This is the responsibility of each and every person who is working in this capital city. He might be a worker, he might be an employee, he might be a MD, or he might be any commissioner also. That is our motto. Because we all can eliminate the hazards by showing our commitments, our leadership. That is the main thing of the OHS and environment. And these are some legal requirements that we need to follow at our site levels, building and other construction wars and rules and welfare cess acts also, the Factories Act, the Motor Transport Workers Act, the Motor Vehicle Act, and the Electricity Act, the Petroleum Act, etc. These are not limited. So many other rules are there that we need to be covered during course of the construction. The next, so these are the OHS objective. Firstly, demonstrate our leaderships and commitments towards our roles and responsibility towards our workers who are working here. Then only we can achieve this one. And preparation and implementation of E&S policy of APCRDA as well as your own EHS policies and OHS policies. And ensuring safe working environment for the workers. మన వర్కర్కి కూడా సేఫ్ వర్కింగ్ ఎన్వైర్న్మెంట్ ఇవ్వాలి, యాజ్ వెల్ యాజ్ ద పబ్లిక్ సేఫ్టీ ఆల్సో అవర్ ప్రయర్ కన్సర్న్స్. అండ్ ఎన్ష్యూర్ ఆల్ ఎంప్లాయీస్ ఆర్ ట్రైన్డ్. మన ప్రతి ఒక్క ఎంప్లాయీకి కొన్ని ట్రైనింగ్స్ మనం CSMPలో పెట్టాము. ఆ ట్రైనింగ్స్ వితౌట్ ఫెయిల్ ప్రతి ఒక్క ఎంప్లాయీకి మనం ఎన్ష్యూర్ చేయాలి, అతను ట్రైన్డ్ అయ్యాలి. ఆ ట్రైన్డ్ అయిన ఎంప్లాయీ మాత్రమే మన వర్కింగ్ జోన్లో ఉన్నారు. ఓకే, దెన్ స్టాచ్యురీ రిక్వైర్మెంట్స్ అండ్ గైడ్స్ already we have discussed, and 100% compliance of CSMP. That is one of the major. If you comply the CSMP, then you automatically comply all the statutory requirements, because we already added the statutory requirements in the CSMP, and encourage to report all the APCRDA programs. Next slide. These are the OHS targets, and you can say zero tolerance. Every frequent time our additional commissioners are used to say that one, these three should be followed very strictly, like prohibition of child labor, that at no cost we are going to be allow child labors, and sexual exploitation and abuse and sexual harassment. These are also we are not going to be tolerate, and reportable injuries or fatal incidents. These have the zero tolerance. It may attract some penalties or any disciplinary actions, if we violate these zero tolerance. The next slide. And this is the OHS organization, a indicative organization, how it works, like the project manager or project director and then OHS manager and his downstream team, how it works. Like the project manager is the overall responsible for the implementation of the OHS or E&S or ESMP, what you can say. Okay, and the OHS manager, he has to be ensure that when all the CSMP indicatives what we mentioned that are in place and where all the workers are trained or not, whether all the incidents are reporting or not, these all things are under the OHS manager's responsibility. I am not going to very detailed because we have limited time. Okay, and the next slide. This is one of the major role that we are going to select a worker or employee, whatever it may be. This is the screening and induction format, how we are going to do. First, contractor induction at planning stage, what we need to do, collect the screening forms from the time office, and then screening by the site in charge, the particularly construction manager or project engineers who are there, they have to be skill evaluate the workers and they have to be provide them allot them a suitable work area. And then issue of the ID cards. Once the screening by the engineer or site engineer is over, then it goes to the ID card generation, and ID card has to be mentioned serial numbers and authorized signature at time office only, and then medical checks. This is another very important thing. This is while we are employing the workers, all the workers and employees has to be go a thorough medical examination as prescribed in the contract labor as well as in the BOCW rules. So when we go to that one, then we can avoid the unfit workers. Is there have any existing diseases, then we can avoid. So this is idi mana flow chart. Idi prati okkallu manam implement cheyalsindi. Before engaging any worker, that worker should have a proper identity card and after completion of the induction. Next slide. So personal protective equipment. Here we have shown some indicative PPEs that we are going to be mandatorily used at site level, like shoes, helmet, ear plugs and safety harness and gloves, everything. And we were made some effort to display some PPE at outside of this conference. I hope so. While taking you have gone through that one. Just take a look and get the details which PPE is suitable for your working activities and why the PPE is required. It is a legal requirement, and another thing, it is required to protect ourselves and detection of workplace incidents. And one more thing, all the contractors should maintain at least 10% of the PPE buffer stock. That was already mentioned in the CSMP. Okay, next. Safety signages and communication. Manam elanti signages pettali. ఎలా కమ్యూనికేట్ చేయగలుగుతాం? ఫస్ట్ సేఫ్టీ సైనేజెస్, వార్నింగ్ సైనేజెస్ వచ్చేసరికి మనకి ఎల్లో కలర్లో ఉన్నాయి. ఎల్లో కలర్లో ఉన్న మొత్తం వార్నింగ్ సైనేజెస్, సంథింగ్ ఈజ్ దేర్, ఇట్ ఈజ్ వార్నింగ్ యూ. అండ్ మ్యాండేటరీ సైనేజెస్, సమ్ పీపీస్ మనం బ్లూ కలర్లో డిస్ప్లే చేస్తాం పీపీస్ మొత్తాన్ని, లైక్ దోస్ ఆర్ ద మ్యాండేటరీ సైనేజెస్, అవి ఖచ్చితంగా మన సైట్లో ఇంప్లిమెంట్ అవ్వాలి. దెన్ ప్రొహిబిటరీ సైనేజెస్ లైక్ సర్కిల్ అండ్ క్రాస్. సో దానికి ఏంటంటే మాది ప్రొహిబిషన్, ఎంటైర్లీ మనం ఆ లొకేషన్లో ప్రొహిబిటెడ్, ఎయిదర్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఏ కన్ఫైన్డ్ స్పేస్ ఆర్ ఎక్స్క్వేషన్ ఏరియా, వెదర్ యూ ఆర్ గోయింగ్ టు స్మోక్ ఇన్ ద వర్కింగ్ లొకేషన్, ఈ మొత్తం. అండ్ సేఫ్ కండిషన్, గ్రీన్ సైనేజెస్ దట్ యూ హ్యావ్ టు బి మెయింటైన్ ఎట్ యువర్ వర్క్ సైట్, ఆల్ ద సైనేజెస్ హ్యాస్ టు బి మెయింటైన్. అండ్ OHS communication, OHS communication, how we are going to communicate with the employees, workers, any visitors. Like there are 4 steps, like by combining safety campaigns and toolbox talks, training programs, and conducting of committee meetings, safety alerts, advisory notes. ఈ మొత్తం మనం సర్క్యులేట్ చేసి సేఫ్టీ పోస్టర్స్, వన్ ఆఫ్ ద మేజర్ థింగ్, అండ్ సేఫ్టీ బ్యానర్స్, నోటీస్ బోర్డ్స్. These are the communication mode that we are going to communicate with our employees as well as the workers and the visitors. The next slide. So OHS training to build the capacity of the workers. మనం వర్కర్స్ని ట్రైన్ చేసేసి వాళ్ళ కెపాసిటీని ఎన్హాన్స్ చేసుకోవడం కోసం ఈ ట్రైనింగ్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ అనేది చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్ థింగ్. దీంట్లో సమ్ ట్రైనింగ్స్ వీ హ్యావ్ లిస్టెడ్ అవుట్ హియర్. అపార్ట్ ఫ్రమ్ దీస్ ట్రైనింగ్స్ వీ హ్యావ్ మేడ్ సమ్ మ్యాట్రిక్స్. I mean all the contractors, they have during submitting their CSMP, they have made some matrix. In that they were clearly mentioned which training going to be conducted for the person. Like for director, what kind of training, for worker, what kind of training, those are mentioned. Some major trainings we have covered here: working at height, scaffold safety and crane safety, that is lifting activity, and welding safety, lifting and rigging, electrical safety, traffic safety for marshals, and defensive driving training. And refreshing training, that is every 6 months, all the workers has to be attend the re-induction training program. Not only the workers, even the employees. So one more major obligation, responsibility for the contractors, as per the BOCW rules, every contractor, ప్రతి ఒక్క కాంట్రాక్టర్ మనకి OHS కమిటీ అనేది ఫామ్ చేయాలి యాజ్ పర్. అందులో సమ్ ఆఫ్ ద మెంబర్స్, ఆ మెంబర్స్ ఎవరు ఉంటారు అనేది కూడా మనకి BOCW యాక్ట్ ఆల్రెడీ డిస్కస్ చేసింది, అది ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేసింది కాబట్టి జస్ట్ ఇట్స్ ఏ ఇండికేటివ్. దాంట్లో లేబర్ వెల్ఫేర్ ఆఫీసర్, ఇన్ఛార్జ్ ఆఫ్ ప్లాంట్ అండ్ మెషినరీ, ఇన్ఛార్జ్ ఆఫ్ సైట్ ఎలక్ట్రిక్స్ లైక్ ఎలక్ట్రిసిటీ హూ ఈజ్ హ్యాండ్లింగ్, senior managers or engineers heading the departments or functions, and subcontractors representatives, labor contractors representative, workers representative, OHS staff and employers representative also will participate in that one. So ప్రతి ఒక్కళ్ళు ఈ కమిటీ every month conduct అవ్వాలి. First, what we need to do, we have to form a committee. The circular has to be distributed to each and every employee and member, and then the circular has to submit it to the APCRDA for the formation of the committee. And then this committee has to be meet at least once in a month with the duration between the gap of 21 days between two committee meetings. And what we are going to discuss in these committees: policies and practices, review of OHS trainings, OHS monthly reports, review the unsafe acts or conditions, welfare facilities, first aids or any non-conformity reports received from external or APCRDA or any internal NCS that we are going to discuss in this committee, and we will get the conclusion to finalize the recommendations based on the committee meetings. The next slide. So one more thing, the contractor needs to do work method statements and HERA. This is very important thing. బిఫోర్ స్టార్టింగ్ ఆఫ్ ఎనీ యాక్టివిటీ, మనం ఏ యాక్టివిటీ స్టార్ట్ చేసే ముందైనా కానీ మనకు వర్క్ మెథడ్ స్టేట్మెంట్ని ప్రతి కాంట్రాక్టర్ ప్రిపేర్ చేయాలి. దాంతోపాటు ఆ వర్క్ మెథడ్ స్టేట్మెంట్తో పాటు హీరా అనేది ఒకటి ప్రిపేర్ చేయాలి. ఆ హీరాలో ఆ యాక్టివిటీ వల్ల ఏం హజార్డ్స్ ఉంటాయి, దానికి మనం ఎలాంటి కంట్రోల్ మెజర్స్ పెట్టుకోగలుగుతాము, ఆ కంట్రోల్ మెజర్స్ సఫిషియంటా, ఆ కంట్రోల్ మెజర్స్ వల్ల మనం వర్కర్స్ని సేవ్ చేసుకోగలుగుతున్నామా అనేది చెక్ చేసుకుని ఆ కంట్రోల్ మెజర్స్ ఒక రిస్క్ మ్యాట్రిక్స్ తయారు చేసి ఈ వర్క్ మెథడ్ స్టేట్మెంట్తో పాటు పంపించాలి. ఈ వర్క్ మెథడ్ స్టేట్మెంట్లో ఎవ్రీథింగ్, రోల్స్ అండ్ రెస్పాన్సిబిలిటీ ఆఫ్ ద కాంట్రాక్టర్, రోల్స్ అండ్ రెస్పాన్సిబిలిటీ ఆఫ్ ద ఇండివిజువల్ ఎంప్లాయీ అండ్ వర్కర్ హ్యాస్ టు బి కవర్డ్, అండ్ సీక్వెన్స్ ఆఫ్ ద వర్క్ సీక్వెన్స్ హ్యాస్ టు బి కవర్డ్ ఇన్ దట్ వర్క్ మెథడ్ స్టేట్మెంట్. అది మనం ఖచ్చితంగా చేయాల్సిందే. సమ్ హెరార్కీ ఆఫ్ కంట్రోల్స్, లైక్ మనం రిస్క్ అసెస్మెంట్ చేస్తున్నాం, దీన్ని మనం మైండ్లో పెట్టుకోవాలి. లైక్ ఫస్ట్ ఇది ద ఎలిమినేషన్ ప్రాసెస్లో మనం రిస్క్ని ఎలిమినేట్ చేయాలి. వెన్ ఇట్ ఈజ్ నాట్ పాసిబుల్, మనం అది చేయలేకపోతున్నప్పుడు హజార్డ్స్ని రెడ్యూస్ చేయాలి. అండ్ దెన్ ప్రివెన్షన్ కాంట్రాక్ట్ అనేది చేసుకొని దెన్ ఆఫ్టర్ సేఫ్టీ సిస్టమ్ ఆఫ్ వర్క్స్ పెట్టుకుంటాం. దెన్ పీపీ ఈజ్ ద లాస్ట్ రిసోర్స్. బిఫోర్ ఇంజనీరింగ్ కంట్రోల్ మెజర్స్ ఉన్నాయి మనకి, దాంతోపాటు ఎలిమినేషన్ సబ్స్టిట్యూషన్స్ ఉన్నాయి. ఈ మొత్తం అయిన తర్వాత పీపీ అనేది లాస్ట్ ఆప్షన్, దాన్ని మనం ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేసుకోవాలి. నెక్స్ట్, some health and welfare activities we need to implement at site level as well as the labor camp, that is already discussed at labor camp management. So like first aid, provision of ambulance, provision of toilets and canteens, etc. Next slide. Emergency preparedness plan. This is one of the most important thing. If in case of any emergency, మనకు ఎమర్జెన్సీ అయితే ఏం చేయాలి అనేది తెలుసుకోవడానికి ఫస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ మనం ఎమర్జెన్సీ ప్రిపేర్నెస్ ప్లాన్ని తయారు చేసుకోవాలి. ఆ ఎమర్జెన్సీ ప్రిపేర్నెస్ ప్లాన్లో ఏమేమి ఉండాలి, మాక్ డ్రిల్స్ కండక్ట్ చేయాలి, దాని తర్వాత ఎమర్జెన్సీ టీమ్ని సెటప్ చేయాలి. ఈ మొత్తం చేసేసిన తర్వాతే మనం ఫర్దర్గా ఎమర్జెన్సీని ఎవ్రీ మంత్ మాక్ డ్రిల్స్ కండక్ట్ చేసి మనం ఎమర్జెన్సీ ప్రిపేర్నెస్గా ఉంటాము. దెన్ ఓన్లీ ద వర్కర్స్ కెన్ బి సేవ్డ్ ఫ్రమ్ అవర్ ఎండ్. నెక్స్ట్, సో దీస్ ఆర్ ద మెంబర్స్. ఎమర్జెన్సీ రెస్పాన్స్ టీంలో ఏ మెంబర్స్ ఉండాలనేది ఇక్కడ ఇండికేట్ చేసాము. ఈ మెంబర్స్ షుడ్ బి అవైలబుల్ ఇన్ ది ఎమర్జెన్సీ రెస్పాన్స్ టీమ్ ఫ్రమ్ ఈచ్ అండ్ ఎవ్రీ కాంట్రాక్టర్. అండ్ సమ్ లిస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఎమర్జెన్సీస్ మనం యాజ్ పర్ BOCW ఇచ్చాము. ఫైర్ ఎక్స్ప్లోజన్, కొలాప్స్ ఆఫ్ లిఫ్టింగ్ ఎక్విప్మెంట్స్, కొలాప్స్ ఆఫ్ స్ట్రక్చర్స్, ఫాల్స్ ఫ్రమ్ హైట్, ఎక్సెట్రా. దీస్ న్యాచురల్ కెలామిటీస్ ఆల్సో మనం ఇక్కడ ఐడెంటిఫై చేసాము. So all the contractor has to prepare their own emergency response plan for the site specific emergency response plan. Site specific ga manam prepare chesi adi manam implement cheyali. That has to be trained it, and every month manam mock drills anedi conduct cheyali. Next, so traffic diversion plan or traffic management plan manam ప్రతి ట్రాఫిక్ మేనేజ్మెంట్ ప్లాన్ సైట్ స్పెసిఫిక్గా ఉండాలి. మన రోడ్స్, మన లాజిస్టిక్స్ ఎటు నుంచి వస్తున్నాయి, ఎటు నుంచి వెళ్తున్నాయి, క్వారీస్ లొకేషన్స్ ఏమున్నాయి, అవి మొత్తం అక్కడ ఇండికేట్ చేసి అక్కడ ఎలాంటి సేఫ్టీ మెజర్స్ మనం తీసుకోవాలి అనే దాని గురించి ఈ ట్రాఫిక్ మేనేజ్మెంట్ ప్లాన్లో మనం డిస్కస్ చేసుకోవాలి. Some of the major construction activities that we identified here, like excavation, those are applicable to our CRDA project also. Excavation, lifting activities, working at height, confined space entry, hot works, energy isolation, land transportation, permit to work system that has to be implemented by each and every contractor. Next slide. So OHS inspections audit, that is already mentioned in the CSMP. Like OHS inspection, we have 4 kinds of OHS inspection: planned inspection, routine, specific, and other inspection. Planned inspection daily, weekly, it will be happen. Weekly inspections will be done by the project managers along with their team. The PMC will be the witness for this weekly inspection. That has to be ensured. And routine inspection, plant and machinery inspections, scaffold, power tools, and lifting tools and tackles. And specific inspection, electrical safety, critical lifting activities, working at height, excavation. So we have to be thoroughly carry out this inspection to prevent the incidents. And other inspection, employers inspection or inspection by enforcing authority. Some audits we are listed out here, like monthly safety audit, Mars. Based on this monthly safety audit score, every contractor will be awarded. So if you get more score in this monthly safety audit, you will get the first number and you will get the award from the APCRDA, that we have discussed in later slide also. And monthly electrical safety audit. This is one of the important thing because electricity plays a major role. And one more thing I would like to say, 26th June. 26th June is the electrical safety day. So all the contractor has to be celebrate that one. I mean, create the awareness program about the electrical safety to all its workers and employees. That has to be documented and submitted to the APCRDA, which is listed out in the CSMP as the days to be celebrated. Next slide. So these are the reports that those are already mentioned in the CSMP. The contractor has to submit the employer on monthly basis. On every month, before the 7th of every month, the contractor has to submit, like monthly OHS statistics details specified in the employer's requirement, OHS committee details of OHS training conducted in that month, and OHS inspection and labor camp inspection, OHS internal audits, what they have conducted, like electrical audit and Mars audit or safety audit, whatever maybe, and health and welfare activities, what they have conducted, health and welfare, safety walk down conducted by the contractor project manager in the month. That I already discussed in the previous slide. And OHS activity planned for the next month. The contractor has to prepare a general plan for the OHS activity, what they are going to be do in the next month. That has to be submitted along with the OHS report to the employer on before 7th of the every month. And incident accident register, medical checkups of the workers, and monthly mock drills, what they have conducted. All the checklists and registers prescribed in the SOPs, employers SOP like SOP 2 and SOP 4, we already shared with you. As per the SOPs, you need to share these details to the employer. Next slide. So incident management flowchart, this is very, very important thing that how the contractor has to be report to the employer in case of any incident. Like if the incident is happened at site, then whom to report, at what time. If the incident is happened, then the contractor has to be immediately report to the authority over phone call or message, whatever it may be. And the preliminary report has to be submitted within 24 hours to the authority. And joint investigation team, contractor, subcontractor, PMC, PGMC and APCRDA and ADCL will be participated. And detailed investigation 48 to 72 hours. The contractor has to be conduct the detailed investigation and it has to be submitted to the authority. And review and approval, what the investigation done based on the facts of the investigation, that has to be reviewed and submitted to the APCRDA and PGMC, PMC. And action implementation, based on the recommendation, what actions you have been taken, that has to be captured in the documents and you have to be later on submit to that like compliances to the authority. And final closure of report within 7 days. The next slide. This is very important thing that all we have discussed here. So if we fail to implement all these things as per the CSMP or as per the bid document or as per the statutory requirement, we can attract the penalties. So to avoid all those penalties, we need to implement all those things. So not only we are going to penalize you, we are going to reward you also. So based on the audit scores, based on your performances, APCRDA will award the contractors on quarterly basis based on their performance. OHS and environmental performance, we are going to award you also. Okay, thank you.
I request all of you to stand for taking the safety pledge. I also request to repeat the lines after I say. Thank you. On this day, I solemnly affirm that I dedicate myself to the cause of safety, health, and protection of environment, and will do my best to observe rules, regulations, and develop attitudes, habits, conducive for achieving all these objectives. I fully realize that accidents and diseases are a drain on a national economy and may lead to disablements, deaths, harm to health, and damage to property, social suffering, and general degradation of the environment. I will do everything possible for prevention of accidents and occupational diseases and protection of interest of self, family, community, organization, and nation at large. Thank you. Is equal to the safe environment. Thank you, speakers, for reminding us that construction doesn't only build the infrastructure, but they shape lives. Thank you. We now turn to the ecosystem, how biodiversity, resource efficiency, and pollution control are built into construction management covered under our SOPs, that is SOP number 3 and SOP number 5. I invite to explain this Mr. Nitin Sharma and Mr. G. Praman Kumar.
Hope you all are here, right? Okay, very good. So I just request my colleagues to, and your other contractors also, please stand up, who all are from the environmental background, from contractor side. Please stand up and introduce yourselves, 3 things only, your name, your organization, and your role basically. Can we have mic? Yes, all contractors.
My name is Rakesh, sir, and Environment Manager from Mega Engineering.
Great, sir. Thank you. Can I have another one? Yeah, you can rotate it.
Infratech India Limited.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, myself, Murali from MAR, sir.
Thank you.
Sachin Pipal from BSR Infra India.
A bit louder, please.
Okay.
Sir, myself, Ram Mohan, NCC.
Okay.
Sharma Mega Engineering.
Okay.
Myself Lokesh Verma from RVRH.
Okay.
From LNT.
Myself Chiranjeevi from KME Projects. Myself Satyanarayana from Shapurji Palanji, Admin Head.
Okay. Do we not have any environmental person actually? Yes, or yet to join?
Myself Antaryam Das, EHS Manager, Shapurji and Palanji.
Okay. But how about the environmental person in that organization? Yet to join or what?
Yes, to join, yes, sir.
Okay. We have another one? You already introduced, right?
Yes.
Myself Gopi Krishna from MVR IPPL, Social.
Okay.
Myself Nilanchal from LNT OHS Manager.
Okay.
This is Muthukumar, HS Managers and Environment Specialist. And Admin and Labor Officers also is there in this.
Right.
They are standing behind it.
Okay,
Yeah, this is Sura from NCC, Social Mobilizers.
thank you. So we have all representations from contractor side, right?
Let me introduce myself. Good afternoon all.
Very good afternoon.
I am Dheeraj Gupta, Project Manager L&T LPS Zone 7.
Great, sir. Thank you. Okay.
I am Bhaskar Reddy, team leader from RV.
Okay.
Good afternoon, sir. Myself P. Jagdish, team leader from RV Associates.
Myself Karibullah Basha.
A bit louder, please. We can't hear.
I am Ramachandran, team leader, package 402, RV Associates, ADCL Roads.
Okay.
I am Sudhir, team leader, Tractable.
I am Chandrasekhar Rao, Social and Labor Manager, RV Engineering Limited. I am Varun Kumar, Social and Labor Manager, RV.
Okay.
Mars.
Okay.
I am Mr. Mastan, team leader, Tractable, sir.
My name is Anand, Social and Labor Expert from Tractable, sir, PMC.
Myself, Ham Sundar, OHS Manager from Mars. Myself, A. Manikyal Rao, PMC, TIPSA, along with MER. So,
Myself, PSN Swami, Environment Manager, Feedback and Process.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am myself N. Narasimhamurthy from Feedback Infra, OHS Manager. Thank you.
So myself, T. Narendra from Tractable, sir. I am a OHS specialist.
Sir, myself G. Prabhakar, sir, Environmental Manager from LASA. Sir, myself Madhu, Social Labor Manager, LASA.
Manager from RV Engineering Consultants.
Thank you, ma'am.
Myself G. Ravi Kumar, Environmental Manager, RV Consultant.
Thank you. So,
From our team and ADCL Environment and OHS team also, can you please introduce yourself?
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Ramalangeswara, Senior Environmental Specialist from ADC.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dr. Sangeeta, Junior Environmental Specialist from ADCL.
Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Venu Madhav, OHS Specialist, ADCL.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pradeep, OHS Specialist, APCRDA.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Chaitanya, Environment Specialist from APCRDA.
Hi, good afternoon all. Myself Paul Sudhakar, OHS Specialist, APCRDA.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hari Krishna, OHS Specialist from APCRDA.
Hi, myself Raghavendra. I'm working as a Sustainable Specialist for APCRDA.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nitisha. I'm the GBV Specialist at APCRDA.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gopi Krishna, Senior OHS, APCRDA.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Naresh Babu, OHS Specialist from ADCL.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Gauri Shanti, Senior Planner, APCRDA.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Mr. PBN Kumar, Assistant Conservator of Forest on Foreign Deputation to APCRDA from Forest Department. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is G. Venkatesh, Grievance Officer in ADCL.
Good afternoon, everyone. Myself Aaron Paul, Junior OHS Specialist from APCRDA.
Good afternoon, all. I am Gauri Dikshit. I am GBV Specialist. I am from ADCL. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is M. Venkateshwarlu, Labor Officer from ADCL.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Anita Vani, Assistant Commissioner of Labor, deputed to APCRDA as Labor Management Specialist.
I am Hari Prasad, looking after Landscape and Environment Division as Additional Director. Thank you.
by the government, which is to handle both APCRD and ADCL. So, ఇప్పుడు మీరు ఎవరైతే ఉన్నారో, you might have got the sense that we have 40 people within APCRD and ADCL from the Labor Department, Environment, Biodiversity, Gender, Grievances, Lands, and Horticulture and Landscaping. So, ఈ 40 people will be directly interacting with the contractors on day-to-day basis. Initially, నేను చెప్పాము, we have divided the whole team into 4 groups. ప్రతి గ్రూప్లో కూడా all the subject matter experts ఉంటారు. Mandate given by us is they have to be on the field at least half of the day. We have arranged vehicles for them. So ప్రతిరోజు first half కానీ second half కానీ they will be in one or other project. They might have interacted with you. This is the constant affair for next 2 years for them. In the initial month, we will be guiding the contractor and everyone to ensure that all the safeguards are done. And from the next month onwards, they will be reporting to us if there are any non-compliances. And we have already floated a tender for getting an ICT tool for the construction management as well as the quality management. Inherently, there is a module in that for E&S and OHS management also. PMCs will be reporting on day-to-day basis. They will be reporting the monthly reports from the particular application only. Similarly, the contractor will be doing the reporting from the application only. All the NCRs, whenever our team visits the field, if they feel any non-compliances to the CSMPs, EMPs, they will be raising the NCR record through the application only, where contractor will be notified through a message, email, and WhatsApp automatically. So these 3 things will be automatically notified to the contractor through WhatsApp, through SMS, and through email whenever they raise the NCR. So, ఇంతకు ముందు ఏదైతే తమీజ్ మీకు చెప్పారో దాంట్లో ఎనీ నాన్ కంప్లైన్సెస్ విల్ బి రైజ్డ్ బై అవర్ టీమ్ హూ విల్ బి ఆన్ ద కాన్స్టెంట్ ఫీల్డ్ విజిట్ ఆన్ ద డే టు డే బేసిస్. సో అందుచేత ఇట్ ఇస్ బెటర్ దట్ వీ డోంట్ రైజ్ ఎనీ ఎన్సీఆర్స్. ఇఫ్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్ ఈస్ కంప్లీట్ వీ వోంట్ రైజ్ ఎనీ ఎన్సీఆర్స్. Since that this team will be reviewed on day-to-day basis by me and Commissioner, so we'll be having a weekly reviews with them. If you have any issues, this team can convey the same to me. Similarly, I'll be interacting with you on maybe weekly basis or bi-weekly basis over the teleconference, maybe monthly in a physical meeting. So you can also come back to me and raise any other issues. Apart from that, we are going to fly the drones. 4 teams we are trying to deploy to identify any unsafe conditions and any unsafe work practices. So they are going to capture all the hotspot locations and all the work conditions. Somebody will be analyzing the footage and it will be recorded. So all these safeguards are kept in place not to threaten anyone but to ensure that all the compliances are done. Because if a life is lost, it is lost. So we cannot bring anyone back. So we have to do everything even before that. సో అందరికీ అర్థమైందని చెప్పి అనుకుంటాను. అట్ ద సేమ్ టైం ఇందాక ఒక పర్టికులర్ ఆస్పెక్ట్ ఎంఫసైజ్ చేయలేదు, స్నేక్ బైట్స్. సో సిన్స్ లాట్ ఆఫ్ ఎక్స్కవేషన్స్ వుడ్ బి డన్, స్నేక్ బైట్స్కి ఎక్కువ ఛాన్స్ ఉంటుంది కాబట్టి మీరు పెట్టే అంబులెన్సెస్లోను మీరు పెట్టే మెడికల్ ఫెసిలిటీస్లో కూడా ఖచ్చితంగా ఈ యాంటీ వీనం ఏఆర్వీస్ కానీ ఏఎస్వీస్ అందరి దగ్గర ఖచ్చితంగా ఉండాలి. బోత్ ఏఆర్వీస్ అండ్ ఏఎస్వీస్. దేర్ ఇస్ ఛాన్స్ ఫర్ డాగ్ బైట్స్ ఆల్సో కాబట్టి ఏఆర్వీస్ అండ్ ఏఎస్వీస్ ఖచ్చితంగా పెట్టుకుంటే కనుక దేర్ ఇస్ ఏ ఛాన్స్ ఫర్ రెడ్యూసింగ్ ద ఎనీ యాక్సిడెంట్స్ ఫ్రమ్ దిస్ రిగార్డ్. ఓకే,
give you the crux. These are the mandatory requirements. Without giving any excuse, we have to follow on the side, right? And other things which you may like if you want to go for in details, all those things are, all informations are there in the annexes. So I'll start from SOP 3, please. Like since we have decided like SOP 3 goal is basically just to go for the reductions and reutilization of aspects in terms of energy, material and management of the pollution, which we'll be covering in the following slide. And this you have to take in a 3 stages like planning stage, construction and operation stage. How it has to be done, we'll be dealing in details. And the further details, if you want further more specific, which is related to your project site or project activity, you can go for the annexures. Please, next. Yeah, like since we discussed also yesterday, EHS parks, basically we need to develop site-specific contractors, environment and safety management plan, which is we are already doing it. Based on that, we need to assign environmental, social and safety related persons in execute or carry out the activities on day-to-day basis, which we are already doing it. And implementation aspects, if we talk about whatever we have mentioned in CSMP, these all are actually a mother document, so you can say Bible for us, for this project to be executed. As and when there is any amendment or changes, we'll let you know, and we'll also help you to incorporate in the existing systems so that we can have a smooth transition or the execution of these projects. And if we talk about the tracking systems, we know we have to have a continuous monitoring on the air, water and the water quality. These are the primarily main requirements for us. There are others also, but these are the main thing we need to ensure, and we need to make sure like whatever risk assessment we have carried out, all those assessments has to be mitigated and they should be at site. Next slide. Yeah, if we talk about the stormwater and the soil erosion control, 3 things we need to ensure and make sure like we are actually installing silt fences on all our sedimentation tanks. We know we have these water bodies inside these villages. Do we have or not? Yeah, please say loudly so that I can also listen. And second is we need to avoid any digging or a construction or excavation activity during rainy time. Right? I won't say during monsoon, but yeah, definitely if it is raining, then we need to avoid. Why do we need to avoid that? Can anyone answer me? Can we have a mic? Please be quick and fast, because I want to make it interactive because people should not sleep.
Water will be accumulated into the excavation and it will be danger to the people living surroundings of the public.
Basically sedimentation trap you're talking about, right? Sedimentation will go into the water body. That will actually affecting the carrying capacity of water body, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And we need to cover the loose soil or stockpiles. Why do we need to cover it? Yeah, to prevent erosion or to prevent its fertility, right? Can we have next slide, please? Yeah, this pollution prevention measurement and water resources, there is a bit of tricky actually things. Most of the people are confused. What is the difference between prevention, pollution, or pollution prevention and control of pollution? There are 2 terminologies we are interchangingly used. Control of pollution and pollution of prevention. What is the difference? Anyone? Why am I using this terminology? These are the words which you will be frequently hearing from us whenever we do a site visit.
Prevention is an advanced proactive method to prevent this thing. And another thing is after occurrence, the effective measures to be taken. So that is the difference between these 2.
Perfect, sir. It's a proactive approach and second one is a reactive approach. So which one we should follow?
Actually, proactive is always better.
Proactive.
Prevention is better than cure.
Great. So this is what this particular slide or picture represents you. Like wherever we need to see a proactive approach. Can you have a next slide, please? And in terms of resource efficiency, like we need to see integrated approach. What does that mean? Integrated means whenever we need to come up any activity, we need to start from the planning itself. Like, okay, if we are going for purchase any equipments, we need to see at the planning stage, it should be energy efficient. In terms of any means, water efficient, energy efficient, and other related activities. Second is, we need to see whatever resources we are using, they should be efficiently used in terms of water, energy, raw material and other natural resources. And this also includes your energy efficiency system, which will impact a low to environmental. Why do we need to go for energy efficient systems? Any 2 good reasons? Very good. Economy and the less pollution. Why I have answers from this side also. Are these people sleeping over there or like are they not getting what I'm saying? Do you need a translator or is it okay? Sorry? You need a mic? Okay. Can you please give it a mic to him? Yeah. Sir, please, can you stand up so that our people can see where you are? We can go for the next slide, please. Please be interactive, otherwise interactive because this is your baby. You have to nurture it further. You have to take it further, right? Anyways, second point which I was asking, why do we need to separate is because two aspects are, one is economy, second is environmental. Why economy? Because when we need to carry out or set up any wastewater treatment facility, we decide it based on the MLD, right? How much quantities we are going to generate per day, based on that we decide the capacity. If we merge both the capacity, grey water and the black water, then the capacity would be lesser or higher? Higher. That means we need to invest more on it, right? So if we segregate it further at the initial stage, then we need to spend less on environmental protection. So by this we'll be having a win-win situation. It doesn't mean that we need not to spend any on it, but I'm just giving an idea how we have to take proactive approach, because if we need to consider everything at the planning stage, and reuse of treated wastewater, which we just discussed about the grey water primarily for the flushing activity, and the scientific disposal of sludge, which like direction you might have already received. We have a STP plant where you can send your sludge to be disposed in an environmental responsible manner. And whatever necessary, like environmental statutory permission we discussed this morning, you need to take out CTO, CTE, and EC if there is any new project activity. And we need to also make sure like what all safety provisions in terms of sedimentation tank and training the person who has to carry out on such activity, like which are involving safety hazards or which are involving deep excavation works. We need to make sure they are properly trained. Next please. And for air pollution, actually, we have categorized into two aspects. First is basically air pollution prevention measure, which you rightly pointed out, it's a proactive approach. Second, we have actually measured what if it happens somehow, we cannot do actually at the, what should be done? Like regular water sprinkling, installation of barrier or enclosure all along your dust generating activity, and water sprinkling in two aspects, which is basically stockpile of your batching plant, and whatever raw material you're using at site, that should be covered either with a tarpaulin or they continuously 24/7 if they should be either wet if we are not covering with any material. Second is whatever vehicle we have, they should meet with the BS4 standard or have a valid PUC certificate. Without checking all this, minimum bare document, any vehicle should not enter in your premises. Whenever we visit a site, yeah please sir.
Actually, with respect to the black water and the grey water, what we are saying, generally in our country, because we are designing the underground sewage system by collecting both the things in the sewer line. Okay, nowadays. That entire thing will be collected and sent to the STP through that intermediate pumping stations or lift station like that. So this is mainly to reduce the dilution factor. It will also be helpful. Apart from that, to maintain the cleansing velocity of the system, underground sewage system, that will be helpful. But now we are not separating separately black water or grey water. That is being collected separately, the house service connection are being given to the underground sewage system in any town. So that is the thing existing, sir.
Sir, we will do, that's what we are here to discuss, right? Thank you for your valuable inputs. Yeah, I was talking about the second point is batching plant. Wherever you have a batching plant, you have to have a sedimentation tank. What will that do is, whenever your TM, transit mixture, carry any material, it has to be washed, right? So that has to be washed only at the designated location. It should not be the case that you're dumping here and there and on some other premises, because I've been traveling, like I've been doing a site visit for the last 3 days. I've seen several instances where you do not have as such any designated location. This is a must go on process. Without this, nothing is going to happen at the batching plant, because we have already seen in our previous or past experience, batching plants is a worst location to visit because it's continuously slushy. Do you agree it or not? Say loudly here. I mean, sir, yeah. And after that, vehicle, whatever vehicle we have, if it is loaded, then the load should be covered. First thing is they should not be overloaded. Second, they should always be covered whenever they are traveling from your premises to outside. And we need to have this wheel wash facility for the vehicle which are actually leaving your premises. To the points we can directly do. For the non-premises, we need to carry out ambient air quality monitoring or ambient this environmental monitoring that we need to see. And for batching plant particularly, we have a conveyor belt and the hoppers where we put all the materials, and materials actually loaded from one location to another. All those materials should be covered so that we can control measures at the place itself, so that we should not have a like air pollution or other aspects. And your whatever building area where we are working, all the premises, outer periphery of a building should be covered with a green net. Because we'll be doing this grinding activity, we'll be doing a cutting activity. These are the primary source of air pollution generations like dust generation, PM10 and other parameters. So we need to cover the building wherever we are working, area, irrespective it's a village area or irrespective it's a area where we have already have inhabitants. Next please.
And we have ambient air quality station, one at Secretariat, the interim government complex. And we are establishing 3 more such stations, which will be reported directly to the Central Pollution Control Board website. So automatically, if you don't take these measures, the air quality, the particulate matter PM 2.5 and PM 10 will keep reflecting in the air quality index. So please ensure that the source control takes place for all such activities. Simultaneously, the important aspect regarding the wheel washing and maintaining the batching plants in a proper shape is really crucial. So this is not being done now. So we are emphasizing, and I am again emphasizing because please go back and please rework all these things which are not in a good shape. Please carry on.
Thank you, sir, for making. What we will do is wherever we have to use horn, particularly during night time, if we have to carry out any activity, we'll be using a blinkers or a light instead of horn. Okay? Yes? No? Yes. We'll not be blowing any horn during night time.
Anyone from the traffic? DTC? You're from the DTC? You're from the transport office? Okay. So that is why we have included all the relevant line agencies also. They will be speaking to you in the afternoon, because we are going to issue clear instructions to them to abate, to combat all these activities, to be trained on these things specifically. So a lot of vehicles are moving now. Lot of tippers, 15 to 18 cubic meters tippers, 5-unit vehicles. Lot of these are moving repeatedly, even in the VIP routes like N9 road, seed access road. So drivers need to be ensured all the safety precautions regarding the vehicle movements also, not to overtake, not to cross the lanes without the signals. So the basic things need to be followed, because multiple times we have been traveling in these routes. I see a lot of truck drivers overtaking, not even when they move the lane, they don't even put the signal. So please ensure that you go back again and train all your drivers also. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And other measures where we are actually having a high noise generating activity, that area should be highlighted as a high noise zone area. There should be some marking or earmarks, and we need to make some enclosures for that, so that this noise should not come out, because they should be trapped at the source itself. And for the noise barrier, if it is possible, wherever we have come across any sensitive location like school, college and hospital, we need to take a special emphasis on this. And dampness and silencers, we need to make sure it is being used. Next slide, please. And for waste management, since we have been discussing this morning, we'll be doing that and all. So this is the prerequisites and the basic things we need to carry out. Whatever kind of a waste, be it hazardous, non-hazardous, biological, non-biological, infectious in nature, construction and demolition waste, chemical waste, spillage, any kind of waste material. It should be first and foremost thing, it should be collected. There should be a proper provision for, based on the waste category, it should be properly collected. Second, it should be segregated. Why do we need to have a segregation? Anyone? Perfectly. Disposal process depends on the nature of the waste. Perfectly agree. So if I put up a question for you guys, like I have a normal waste, which say like rotten fruits or whatever it is we have.
Degradable,
biodegradable. From the kitchen waste, yes. And I have some oil soaked cotton, like you can say some engineer came and he did some maintenance of the diesel. Second is an engineer came actually, he did some maintenance for the diesel generator sets. Some oil and all those things they have removed, and filters are also there, and they actually mixed together in one area. So which category of waste you would call it, and how would you treat it? Is it a hazardous waste or it is a normal waste? Why it is hazardous? We have other waste also, right? Because of oil and all.
Oil and all, yes.
Okay, means priority is given to the kind of a waste. Perfectly agree. So if I ask you to separate into two aspects, in that case, is it advisable or it should not be? It is advisable. No, sir, I got your point, but my question was not on that. My question is, we have given you a scenario. If I ask you to separate the waste, so would you advise at that point of time, or would you say, no, it should not be done?
It can be separated into biodegradable and degradable.
I agree with the ma'am's confirmation, because once it is mixed, it is mixed. You cannot do anything in it. It has to be done at the source itself. Achha, what is the difference between segregation or separation? Because we have been talking a lot, right? It should be segregated, it should be collected, it should be separated. What is the difference? Okay, any other point?
Separation means only dry and wet. Segregation means each particular waste will be segregated.
Okay, any other point? Yes, I just out of this, nothing is wrong and right, but as per the legal requirement which I am talking about, actually two answers are very correct. One is from sir and second is from you only. Segregation is a source itself. And for waste category, if we have any hazardous category, separation is not at all applicable. So please make sure this thing in your mind, because whenever you are implementing such things in your site, if you do not follow such things, then you will be having a huge or piles of waste material which is hazardous in nature, and your cost will be on a higher side. Okay, next slide please. Yeah, next we just discussed. Second. I'll be just skipping slides because we just discussed while interactions. Next slide please. Yeah, this is a most important thing actually, topsoil. So topsoil, you know, top 15 to 30 centimeter. Why it is to be maximum of organic compound and interaction of biodiversity, which we cannot see from our naked eye. That is why it is called as a topsoil. It has to be scrapped before or after project execution. Before, who was telling after? It has to be collected before and it has to be kept at a particular location. It should be covered either with a grass, tarpaulin or any other material, so that we should not have it run off while we have a rain. And once our activity is complete, it should be used for the construction stage material which we discussed since morning. So I'll be skipping these slides. Same thing we discussed, nothing is new, but you have to again go for the annexes. Same thing we discussed, like DG should be approved. It should have acoustic enclosure, fugitive emissions, and exhaust emission from the vehicles. All those things need to be monitored if they are exceeding biodiversity, because we are lagging behind. All these things we discussed this morning. Yeah, again. Yeah. Now biodiversity, if we talk about, these are basic things we need to consider, and this is again a bylaws for us. I mean, it's like a Bible. We cannot go. First is basically whatever agriculture land we have, it should be protected, or if it is linked with the forest. Any answer for this? How come they are beneficial? What exotic do? Do they release toxins or what?
Environment, so they actually to enhance that particular environment of flora and fauna, that particular local vegetables or local things only, they give us those nutrients as an example, so as compared to exotic ones. So that
perfectly. I just put out, add on some few points. When we talk about it is good for us. Second is they are actually acclimatized to the ambience where we are already going to put them up. It is like we are going outside country and we are not favorable to their environment, so we may fall sick. It is like that. We may not be giving us 100%. Like the same thing, that is why we are emphasizing more on an indigenous species, because you don't have to do much on it. Second is whatever tree we are falling in our premises, if they are coming across an ROW, we need to take a prior permission from local authority or intimation to us. It's not either way, it's both the way actually we have to do. Both the things has to be complied with. And mitigation measures means like if we come across any biodiversity conservation plans, whatever remedial measures that will be suggested in that, we'll communicate to you and you have to implement it at site. Can we go for the next slide, please? Yeah. What to avoid? See, if there is any felling of tree or there is any activity which we need to do in the forest area or near tree, if we are having any nesting activity on it, or any sensitive area, or if it is a night time, we try to refrain such activity during those time. Second is what to protect. We need to protect natural corridor during work activity. Like if we have a near water body, canal, or forest area, or any particular tree, we try to make that, we should make minimum harm to that, instead of having our luxury of workspace, right? And engaging the translocation experts for relocation, we know some people think that it's very easy to uproot a plant from here to here. It is actually not the way. We need to take seek external, or you can say expert advice on it, and we need to seek it. And we'll definitely help you on this if you come across any of such activity. And legal, I've told you, we need to take a prior permission. Can we have next, please? Yeah, biodiversity conservation plan is, I've told you, this Tadepalli area, reserve forest area. This is a must go on activity, and this is basically defined by our EC condition. We are not supposed to touch it in either way during, before and after construction activity. So we have to be very cautious. If anything goes wrong against in this activity, then you all will be actually held responsible for this. Even we also part of it. We'll also make sure it should not happen actually. This is the area because they are preserved as a green lungs. If they are not there, then we will be able to breathe properly. Any answer? Yes, we won't be able to breathe properly. That is why they are called as a green lungs, and they are kept as it is without any disturbance. And we'll also make and sure like we should do social development or a sustainable development in terms of natural resources. Any idea what is a conservation or a protection? Because we have been, this is the word we keep on using, environmental protection, environmental conservation. What is the difference between two? Any point? Any environmentalist? Any other person? Guys, please pick up something. No one?
Protection, prevention, action, conservation, corrective.
Okay. Sir, I am just asking the difference. What is the difference between conservation and the protection?
Sources protection is protection, conservation is...
Yeah, sir, wait a minute. Can you give her, and please you carry on, sir. Mic to ma'am. Yeah, please, sir.
Protection, actually, conservation means conserve the natural sources. Protection also natural source protection.
So there is a slight difference. Yeah.
Biodiversity conservation is at present we should use it, as well as we have to save it for future generations also.
Perfectly. And protection?
Protection is at our own limits, we have to use it in a better way.
Perfectly. Actually, there is a very slight difference. Like conservation, we have to seek future generations' point of view also. And protection means protection. We can't do anything. And I believe it's second last slide for me. Yeah. For habitat management, if we have any existing population of any like flora and the fauna, how do we have to interact and how do we need to do this? Will we ensure that you need to inform your workers what to be done at site or what not to be done at site. If we are having any area which is sensitive or eco-sensitive in nature, like premises, and we need to make sure whatever we are using any fencing activity with a bush or shrubs or a herbs, they should be indigenous in nature. They'll act two ways. One is basically they protect the air pollution because they're making it as a trap for them, and second is they'll also enhance the greenery for the vegetation. Definitely oxygen will also be released. And we need to establish a buffer zone during the vegetation, buffer zone of vegetation in and around our premises. That will also give a pleasant appeal for the whoever is coming from the to the site. And we need to also follow whatever waste management plan that we have given it to you, that should be strictly followed, right? Segregation, treatment, collection, and transportation and disposal. Can we have next slide, please? This is the main point actually for the training. We know that people from different domain, different background actually working on this project. So we need to make sure whosoever is involved in that particular, they should be expert, at least competitive in nature in their respective domain. Be it an environmental person, be it a safety person, be it a contractual labor or a worker who has to work or carry out any activity in any premises. So training, basically on job site training and awareness training, that should be imparted. So if you have any question, or else I'll ask my colleague, Mr. Praman, to say a few words on it. You can directly ask him, otherwise I'm also here. Mr. Praman, please.
The points in the SOP 1 and now 3 and 5. I want to stress few points. కొన్ని ఇంపార్టెంట్ పాయింట్స్ని స్ట్రెస్ చేయాలనుకుంటున్నాను. ఇప్పటివరకు డిస్కస్ చేస్తున్న ఈ ఎస్ఓపీస్ తర్వాత సిఎస్ఎంపీస్ ఇవన్నీ కూడా మనం ఎక్కడి నుంచో తీసుకొచ్చి పెట్టినవి కాదు. ఫస్ట్ థింగ్, ఇవన్నీ కూడా కండిషన్స్ ఆఫ్ ఎన్వైరన్మెంట్ క్లియరెన్స్ ఇష్యూ టు ది క్యాపిటల్ సిటీ. సో మ్యాండేటరీగా అందరం, అంటే అది క్యాపిటల్ సిటీ సిఆర్డీఏ కావచ్చు, లేకుంటే ఏడీసీఎల్ కావచ్చు, ఆర్గనైజేషన్స్ తరపున వర్క్ చేసిన సంస్థలు కావచ్చు, మ్యాండేటరీగా అందరూ కూడా ఖచ్చితంగా ఫాలో అవ్వాల్సినవే. సో దాని నుంచి ఇవన్నీ కూడా మనకి వచ్చాయి. అక్కడ ఉన్న ఎన్వైరన్మెంట్ మేనేజ్మెంట్ ప్లాన్లో ఉన్న కండిషన్సే మనం ఇప్పుడు సిఎస్ఎంపీ కండిషన్స్ కింద మనం ఇన్కార్పొరేట్ చేయడం జరిగింది మీ యొక్క రెస్పెక్టివ్ ప్రాజెక్ట్స్లో. దట్ ఈస్ ఫస్ట్ థింగ్. నెక్స్ట్ వచ్చేసి ఇప్పటివరకు ఎవరు కూడా క్వారీస్ కావచ్చు, తర్వాత మీ ప్లాంట్స్ కావచ్చు, ఆర్ఎంసీస్ కావచ్చు, క్రషర్స్, వాట్ ఎవర్ ఇట్ ఈస్, ఐదర్ యు ఆర్ డైరెక్ట్లీ స్టార్టింగ్ ఏ ప్లాంట్ ఆర్ ఎల్స్ యు ఆర్ ప్రొక్యూరింగ్ ఫ్రమ్ ఎనీ అదర్ ఎక్స్టర్నల్ ఏజెన్సీ. మీరు ఎస్టాబ్లిష్ చేసిన బయట నుంచి మీరు తెచ్చుకుంటున్నా, యూ హ్యావ్ టు ఎన్ష్యూర్ దట్ వాళ్ళకి క్లియరెన్స్ ఉంది ఫ్రమ్ ది స్టేట్ ఎన్వైరన్మెంటల్ ఇంపాక్ట్ అసెస్మెంట్ అథారిటీ అనేది ఫస్ట్ ఖచ్చితంగా ఎన్ష్యూర్ చేసుకోవాలి. దట్ ఈస్ మ్యాండేటరీ కండిషన్ అండర్ law of the land as well as a bank condition also. Okay, when you are submitting complaints, the first thing we are going to see that one. మళ్ళీ చెప్తున్నాను, ఎక్కడి నుంచి మీరు మెటీరియల్స్ తీసుకొచ్చుకున్నా, ఎనీ క్వారీస్ నుంచి తీసుకొచ్చుకున్నా, తర్వాత ఎనీ ప్రాసెస్డ్ మెటీరియల్ తీసుకొచ్చినా ఎక్కడైనా ప్లాంట్ నుంచి మీరు ఎస్టాబ్లిష్ చేసినా, లేకుంటే క్వారీస్ మీకు హ్యాండ్ ఓవర్ చేసినా, మిమ్మల్ని ఆపరేట్ చేయమన్నా కూడా దానికి ఖచ్చితంగా ప్రయర్ పర్మిషన్స్ ఉండాలి. ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ క్లియరెన్స్ అయితే అది తీసుకోవాలి. అండ్ సబ్సిక్వెంట్గా యూ హ్యావ్ టు టేక్ కన్సెంట్ ఫ్రమ్ ది పొల్యూషన్ కంట్రోల్ బోర్డ్. ఇప్పటివరకు ఎవరైతే తీసుకున్నారో దట్ ఈస్ వెల్ అండ్ గుడ్. ఫ్యూ ఆఫ్ ద పీపుల్ హ్యావ్ షేర్ ది డేటా విత్ అస్. తీసుకున్న వాళ్ళు ఇంకా షేర్ చేయాల్సింది ఉంటే ప్లీజ్ షేర్ ద డేటా. అండ్ ఇంకా అప్లై చేయాల్సిన వాళ్ళు ఉంటే ఖచ్చితంగా అప్లై చేయాలండి. దట్ ఈస్ ఫస్ట్ థింగ్. నెక్స్ట్, రిగార్డింగ్ వేస్ట్ వాటర్ ట్రీట్మెంట్, ఆల్ ఆఫ్ యూ షుడ్ మ్యాండేట్. ఫస్ట్ సెషన్లో మీరు SOP 1లో డైరెక్టర్ ఎన్వైరన్మెంట్ హ్యావ్ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ యూ ది ఈసీ కండిషన్స్. ఓకే, సో దాని నుంచి వచ్చినది SOP 3 అనేది. సో ఆన్ సైట్ వేస్ట్ వాటర్ ట్రీట్మెంట్. సో రివర్ కృష్ణ, తర్వాత స్ట్రీమ్స్ అండ్ వాటర్ బాడీస్, ఓకే, ఇదేది కూడా మనము పొల్యూట్ చేయడానికి లేదు. వీఆర్ నాట్ సపోజ్ టు లెట్ ఐదర్ ట్రీటెడ్ ఆర్ అన్ట్రీటెడ్ ఇన్ టు ఎనీ ఆఫ్ ది వాటర్ బాడీస్ యాజ్ పర్ ది లా ఆఫ్ ది ల్యాండ్. ఓకే, దానికోసమని మనం పెట్టింది ఏంటంటే ఆన్ సైట్ వేస్ట్ వాటర్ ట్రీట్మెంట్ సిస్టమ్స్ ఖచ్చితంగా ఉండాలి. సో ఫర్ ఆల్ కైండ్స్ ఆఫ్ వేస్ట్ వాటర్, ఇదర్ కన్స్ట్రక్షన్ రన్ ఆఫ్స్ కావచ్చు, వేస్ట్ వాటర్ ఫ్రమ్ ది ఆర్ఎంసీ ప్లాంట్స్ కావచ్చు, తర్వాత మీ సీవేజ్ ఫ్రమ్ ది లేబర్ క్యాంప్ కావచ్చు, సీవేజ్ ఫ్రమ్ ది సైట్ ఆఫీస్ కావచ్చు. సో దీస్ పర్టికులర్ వేస్ట్ వాటర్స్ హ్యావ్ టు బి ట్రీటెడ్ ఆన్ సైట్ అండ్ యు ఆర్ సపోజ్ టు రీయూజ్ ఇట్ ఫర్ ది డస్ట్ సపరేషన్ పర్పస్ ఆర్ హార్టికల్చరల్ పర్పసెస్. దిస్ హ్యాస్ బీన్ ఇన్కార్పొరేటెడ్ ఇన్ యువర్ CSMPs. సో అన్ని రకాల వ్యర్థాలు, వేస్ట్ వాటర్స్ కావచ్చు, అవన్నీ కూడా మనం ఆన్ సైట్లోనే ట్రీట్ చేయాలి. దానికి సరిపడా ఫెసిలిటీస్ మనకి ఖచ్చితంగా మీ కన్స్ట్రక్షన్ సైట్లో కావచ్చు, లేబర్ క్యాంప్లో కావచ్చు ఖచ్చితంగా ఉండాలండి. దాని మీద రిపోర్టింగ్ ఉంది. దట్ ఈస్ వన్ ఆఫ్ ది KPIs ఆల్సో, కీ పర్ఫార్మెన్స్ ఇండికేటర్స్. అది వన్ ఆఫ్ ది కీ పర్ఫార్మెన్స్ ఇండికేటర్స్. సో ఖచ్చితంగా మీరు ఫాలో అవ్వాలి.
KPIకి సంబంధించిన కంప్లైంట్స్ సబ్మిట్ చేస్తే ఈ ఫండింగ్ ఏదైతే ఉందో వరల్డ్ బ్యాంక్ అండ్ ADB ఫండింగ్, అది డైరెక్ట్ లోన్ కాదు, అది బేస్డ్ ఆన్ సమ్ అచీవ్మెంట్ ఆఫ్ ద స్పెసిఫిక్ ప్రీ అగ్రీడ్ టర్మ్స్ అండ్ కండిషన్స్ మాట. సో దాంట్లో భాగంగా విల్ బీ సబ్మిటింగ్ కంప్లైంట్స్ ఫర్ దట్ KPI. దెన్ ఆ పర్టికులర్ KPIకి ఉన్న ఆ పర్టికులర్ టార్గెట్కి ఉన్న అమౌంట్ విల్ బి డిస్పర్స్ ఫ్రమ్ ద బ్యాంక్స్. సో అది అచీవ్ చేయలేకపోతే దట్ ఫండ్ విల్ నాట్ బి దేర్. సో దట్ విల్ బి అగైన్ ఇంపోజ్డ్ యాజ్ ఎ పెనాల్టీ బేసికల్లీ. సో అందుచేత ఆ కంప్లైంట్స్ ఈజ్ వెరీ వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్.
అలాగే దానికి మనము ఆర్గానిక్ వేస్ట్ కంపోస్టింగ్ అనేది ఆన్ సైట్ అనేది మనం ఎస్టాబ్లిష్ చేసుకోవాలి. అండ్ రెస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ది వేస్ట్, వేరే వేస్ట్కి, వేరే వ్యర్థాలకి విచ్ ఆర్ రీసైక్లబుల్, విచ్ ఆర్ హజార్డస్ ఇన్ నేచర్. దానికి మనము గుంటూరు అండ్ తర్వాత కృష్ణా డిస్ట్రిక్ట్స్లో ఆథరైజ్డ్ ఏజెన్సీస్ ఎవరైతే ఉన్నారో అది ఎస్పీసీబీ వెబ్సైట్లో కూడా ఉంది. మనం కూడా లిస్ట్ మీకు షేర్ చేసాము, కాంట్రాక్టర్స్కి షేర్ చేసాము. ఫ్యూ సిఎస్ఎంపీస్లో ఇన్కార్పొరేట్ కూడా చేసాము. మళ్ళీ మీకు కావాలన్నా కూడా మళ్ళీ మేము లిస్ట్ షేర్ చేస్తాము. వాళ్ళందరితో టైఅప్ అవ్వండి. అండ్ నేను ఫ్యూ ఆఫ్ ది కాంట్రాక్టర్స్ దే హ్యావ్ ఆల్రెడీ ఎంటర్డ్ MOU విత్ ఫ్యూ రీసైక్లింగ్ ఏజెన్సీస్, ఆథరైజ్డ్ ఏజెన్సీస్. దట్ ఈస్ గుడ్. ఇంకా ఎవరైతే టైఅప్ అవ్వాలో వాళ్ళు టైఅప్ అవ్వండి. మీకు ఇంకా కాంటాక్ట్స్ కావాలన్నా కూడా మళ్ళీ మీరు మా దగ్గరికి మమ్మల్ని సంప్రదిస్తే మేము షేర్ కూడా చేస్తాం మళ్ళీ మీకు. సో ఎస్పెషల్లీ రీసైక్లబుల్ వేస్ట్, తర్వాత యూజ్డ్ ఆయిల్స్, తర్వాత బయోమెడికల్ వేస్ట్కి, హజార్డస్ వేస్ట్కి, తర్వాత ఈ వేస్ట్కి, వీళ్ళందరికీ కూడా మనకి ఆథరైజ్డ్ ఏజెన్సీస్ ఎస్పీసీబీ వాళ్ళ లిస్ట్ వెబ్సైట్లో ఉంది. ఆ ఏజెన్సీస్ లిస్ట్ కూడా మీకు ఇవ్వడం జరిగింది. వాళ్ళతో ఖచ్చితంగా టైఅప్ అవ్వాలి. బయోడిగ్రేడబుల్ వేస్ట్కి ఖచ్చితంగా ఆన్ సైట్ మనకి ఆర్గానిక్ కంపోస్టింగ్ అని పెట్టుకోండి, వర్మీ కంపోస్టింగ్ అని పెట్టుకోండి. దట్ ఈస్ యాజ్ పర్ ది కన్వీనియన్స్ ఆఫ్ ది కాంట్రాక్టర్. దిస్ ఈజ్ ఆల్సో వన్ ఆఫ్ ది KPIs అండి. లిక్విడ్ వేస్ట్ అండ్ సాలిడ్ వేస్ట్ బోత్ ఆర్ ది KPIs. Regarding topsoil, few of the contractors who have already started their work, they have already started preserving the topsoil. It's a good practice. Please don't mix that soil with other excavated soils or other waste. It should be stored separately. And rest of the contractors also who are yet to start the work, please ensure that the topsoil is preserved and stored separately. And whenever there is a requirement for the greenery purpose, from other contractors or greenery done by the ADCL or APCRDA, that material will be supplied for the respective greenery sites. Okay. And regarding biodiversity conservation, one of the points shared by ACF Mr. PBN Kumar Garu, culinary killing is prohibited. So Wildlife Act ఏం చెప్తుంది అంటే hunting is prohibited అండి. Hunting is prohibited. So First point to be noted is we do not have any IUCN species, endangered or threatened species, vulnerable species ఏవి లేవు మన దగ్గర. అయినప్పటికీ కూడా లోకల్ బర్డ్స్ ఏదైతే ఉన్నాయో యూ హ్యావ్ టు ట్రైన్ యువర్ లేబర్. ఓకే, దేర్ మైట్ బీ సమ్ పీపుల్ హూ హ్యావ్ ఎ కల్చరల్ హ్యాబిట్ ఆఫ్ కిల్లింగ్ ది బర్డ్స్ అండ్ ఈటింగ్. అలాంటివి ఇక్కడ జరగకూడదు. ప్లీజ్ ట్రైన్ యువర్ లేబర్. మేము మీ లేబర్ క్యాంప్ సైట్స్కి వస్తాము, మేము కూడా ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తాము. But it is also your due responsibility to ensure that, especially from the environment personnel or project management team, you train your labor that culinary killing of the local birds is completely prohibited. Okay. And regarding trees also, existing trees also, already ADCL people, they have started translocation of large number of trees. Few of the contractors, they have already mapped the existing trees, including with the coordinates. Okay. So that data has to be shared to the ADCL team to ensure that whatever trees that are identified for translocation have to be transplanted. ఖచ్చితంగా చేయాలి అది. ఇప్పటివరకు ఎవరైనా ఇచ్చారండి లిస్ట్ అలా? Did anyone share the list of the plants? Ever, sir? Seed access road, it's good. Still any other contractor? ఎవరైనా ఇచ్చారా అలా? Which work అండి? NCC, good. So rest of the contractors, please ensure that none of the trees are cut. Okay, they have to be translocated.
No permission will be given for tree felling. మీరు అప్లై కూడా చేయక్కర్లేదు. We already intimated the concerned officers that not to give any permission for tree felling. Only plants have to be translocated. తప్ప there is no chance for tree felling. ఒక్క ట్రీని కట్ చేసినా సరే it lead to penalty against, not criminal case against everyone. So this is strict no again. So no tree felling, only translocation. Translocation cost అంతా కూడా CSMPలో ఏదైతే 1% అడిషనల్ ఫండ్ పెట్టామో దాని నుంచి కెన్ బి క్లెయిమ్డ్ కంప్లీట్లీ. సో కాంట్రాక్టర్ వాళ్ళ ఓన్ ఫండ్స్తో చేయక్కర్లేదు. సో దేర్ ఇస్ సెపరేట్ బడ్జెట్ ఆల్రెడీ. సో ట్రాన్స్లోకేషన్, వాట్ ఎవర్ ట్రీస్ ఆర్ ట్రాన్స్లోకేటెడ్, సిన్స్ దట్ విల్ బి అథెంటికేటెడ్ బై ద PMC, ద పేమెంట్ ఫర్ కంప్లీట్ దోస్ ట్రాన్స్లోకేటెడ్ ట్రీస్ విల్ బి డన్ ఫ్రమ్ ద CSMP అడిషనల్ అమౌంట్.
సో ప్రిజర్వ్ చేసిన వాళ్ళం అవుతాము. సో ప్లీజ్ ఎన్ష్యూర్ దట్ దోస్ ట్రీస్ ఆర్ ప్రిజర్వ్డ్ ఇన్ అ వెరీ unavoidable situations. We ensure that they are translocated, not cut. Okay, as part of habitat management in biodiversity. So apart from preserving and translocation of existing trees, we have to ensure that whatever other environment measures like not releasing of any effluents into the water bodies, okay, scientific management of waste, all these also contribute to the habitat management. So I want to say very last point, which is very important. మీరు అది వార్నింగ్ అనుకోవచ్చు, ఏదైనా అనుకోవచ్చు. See, irrespective of like who we are, what status we are and what background we have, okay, none of us are above the law. మనం ఎవరం కూడా చట్టానికి అతీతులం కాదు. Okay, you are going through the many such things which are happening in the country. Everyone who is violating the law has to face the consequences. మీరు ఏ బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ నుంచైనా కానివ్వండి, if we notice any such violations or non-compliances, you are responsible. అదే మేము తప్పు చేసినా, మీరు తప్పు చేసినా, we are responsible for that one. So please work with responsibility. Any share of the act of negligence, okay, అది గవర్నమెంట్కి చెడ్డ పేరు రాకూడదు. ఈ ప్రాంతంలో రైతులు ఎవరైతే భూమి ఇచ్చారో వాళ్ళని మనం ఫెయిల్ చేయకూడదు. ఓకే, యువర్ షీర్ యాక్ట్ ఆఫ్ నెగ్లిజెన్స్ షుడ్ నాట్ హ్యాంపర్ ది ప్రాజెక్ట్, అదొకటి గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి. థ్యాంక్ యూ అండి.
Okay, before that, facilities, I think project managers, team leaders, please focus on this aspect. Any project facility should be properly developed. Okay, the main issue is because you don't develop, there is no hard surface, it will create dust, it will create slushy environment, it will create all sorts of issues. So please focus that the project managers develop their facilities properly. So simple principle is wherever vehicle moves, that should be a hard surface. So please make this principle. So your construction facility is going to be there for 2 or 3 years, right? So you will be spending time and effort if you don't develop the facility, right? Labor camp or facility. So please make sure that hard surface is laid, right? Either CC, PCC, whatever you want, it should be there for future. So maintenance will reduce, our issues will reduce. That is the foremost thing. Similarly, same with the access roads, approach roads outside, which is your responsibility. They should be properly maintained, right? Any dusty road, you cannot control dust with that kind of dust. Even if you put every half an hour water, you cannot control, right? Even if you put chemicals, you cannot control. So it should be properly surfaced, these two things. Third, the tire washing facility or in the badging facility, the storage tank, everything should be properly constructed right now, okay? So then we will actually reduce lot of issues, your work will be smoothen up, okay? That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
To visit each and every of these locations, because you are the final instructing authority as per the bid document, to give direct instructions on the field on behalf of the APCRDA and us. So while established in the plants, routes, traffic diversion plans, labor camps, their offices shall be properly inspected by your team and give proper support for them. And there is no dearth of funds, basically. I would like to highlight again and again. There is no dearth of the funds for all these aspects. If we chetam valla, we are going to incur some cost, another question ledu. Because unlike in any other project, separate money in the part A of the contract, not in the part B. Part B అయితే మీకు మళ్ళీ సెపరేట్గా చేసుకోవాల్సి వస్తుంది. పార్ట్ ఏ ఆఫ్ ద టెండర్లోనే, విచ్ ఈజ్ పార్ట్ ఆఫ్ ద ఈసీవీలోనే ఈ అడిషనల్ 1% అమౌంట్ అనేది పెట్టడం జరిగింది. సో సమ్ కాంట్రాక్టర్స్ గాట్ 18 packages, సమ్ గాట్ 15 packages, సమ్ గాట్ 6 packages. సో అందుచేత the amount of money which is for the safeguards is very huge amount of money for every contractor. So దాన్ని కన్సర్న్ ఇంజనీర్తోని ESMU టీమ్తో మాట్లాడి do more additional safeguards so that we don't do any these kind of miscalculations or save unnecessary cost, because in the future again it will lead to more costly affair for you and for us also. అటువంటి మిస్టేక్స్ ఏం చేయకుండా ensure that we take all the safeguards, maintain all our facilities in a very, very professional manner, and we don't cause any disturbance to the local population also.
Capacity building in a way for you and for us and everybody. So నేను చెప్పొచ్చేది ఏంటంటే రెండు, ఈ కెపాసిటీ బిల్డింగు ఇంతవరకు జరిగింది. యాక్చువల్ ఆపరేటర్స్ ఫీల్డ్లో డ్రైవర్లు, వర్కర్స్ వీళ్ళందరూ ఉంటారు. సో చెప్పొచ్చేది ఏంటంటే యూ నీడ్ టు క్యారీ అవుట్ ద సిమిలర్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ డ్రిల్ capacity programs for your staff at the ground level. maybe for the truck drivers and for construction labor and all that, which you do otherwise differently. But ఒకసారి ఇది ఒకటి మీ గ్రౌండ్ లెవెల్ అది జరగాలి. రెండోది ఐఎమ్ జస్ట్ సజెస్టింగ్ APCRDA అండ్ PGMC మార్నింగ్ నుంచి మనం డిఫరెంట్ టాపిక్స్ మీద డిస్కస్ చేస్తూ ఉన్నాం. So let us explore the possibility of carrying out deep dive programs on specific things, maybe on solid waste management, maybe on traffic management, exclusively one capsule for the respective people. So get into more and more in detail for 1.5 hours like that, a limited thing. That will help them further. I stop it here.
Downstairs, so everybody can please proceed to have their lunch. There is one more session on gender-based violence, which we will conduct after the lunch. So I request everyone to back by 2:30 sharp so that we can finish our program within time. Thank you.
Very important topic. It's last but not least, in terms of importance. So what we will talk here is what is gender-based violence and why we are talking here in this kind of infrastructure projects, and because in the morning also you heard a lot from all the other presenters on sexual exploitation, abuse, sexual harassment, right? So many of you may not know exactly what that means and how it relates to these kind of infrastructure works. So we'll go into that first, and then we will come into what are some of the compliance that have been mentioned in the SOP. Okay, let me begin by what Gauri just started with, I'll give you one example, and you tell me what do you think it is? A project worker at a construction site sexually assaults a female worker. What do you think it is? Is it a sexual abuse? Is it a sexual exploitation? Is it a harassment? What it is? So I'll read again. A project worker at construction site sexually assaults a female worker. It's abuse, okay? It's sexually assault is to do physical force. When you use physical force, physical intrusion of a sexual nature, whereby, whether by force or under unequal or coercive conditions, okay? So it's an abuse. I'll give you another example. A project worker has a sexual relationship with an underage child. What is it? Okay, what is it? From this side, please. What do you think it is? Please read this, okay? So it's abuse. Abuse is the actual or threatened physical intrusion. When you have a sexual relationship with an underage child, it's an abuse because you're here using your power over someone. Okay, so you have to think it that way. I'll give you another example. A project worker sends a sexually explicit text messages to a co-worker. Okay, I hear harassment, right? That's correct. So when sexual harassment, when you read that, it says the sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, or any other behavior of sexual nature that might be expected or perceived to cause offense or humiliation to another is made of a condition of employment or creates an hostile, offensive environment, and that is harassment, and it usually happens within and among the co-workers, right? So that's correct. Now, okay, I have another one example. A project worker connecting water lines to homes requests a sexual favor for access to water connection. What is this? Okay, correct. This is exploitation, right? So any actual or attempted abuse of a position of vulnerability, differential power, or trust for sexual purposes, it's exploitation, right? So you need to understand these three terms, because in our work, we usually, in this program, we are focused on sexual exploitation, abuse, and harassment. But there's also a broader gender term. You may have heard gender-based violence, right? So it's a broader umbrella term which can define, I mean, if you can read this, it's an umbrella term for any harmful act is perpetrated against a person's will based on their gender identity. That's a gender-based violence, and it can be different forms and types of gender violence, but for our purpose, we'll focus on these three. It's understood? Yeah? Okay. So let's move to the next slide. So why are we talking about this? I think you need to understand why we are talking about this risk factors for sexual exploitation and abuse. And you can see, like, it's like an onion, you know, like think about the onion. It's like peeling, right? It starts from individual, then it starts on the community, household, and going to at the national level, right? So it kind of has that impact at different levels. So if you come to think of it, in this kind of large infrastructure projects, you know, there are many, communities or households that in the project sites that you work on who may not be aware of the consequences of there's so many people coming in their work area. There's so many, campsites that are going to be established, the construction that is being done. I mean, this also applies to not only on the risks on sexual exploitation abuse, but also on the risks related to air pollution or noise pollution, so they are generally not aware of it, right? So it's our duty to inform them of what are some of the consequences or impacts, risks coming out from these kind of projects. So that is one reason. The other is in terms of large number of people when they come to a certain location, certain community where it has its own social dynamics, it has its own social relationships with different people, different community, right? When there's a new people coming in, then it will definitely have impact on that community itself, right? Because it will come and then they will, have some interventions and in the work they do or the resources they have. So they need to share the resources, they need to share the public spaces, they need to share the roads, right? Because there are a large number of people coming in. So when there's a large number of workers or key staff that come in, then the social norms of that community gets disrupted, right? So we need to consider that. That's why we need to assess the SASH risks and then try to address it. The other is when there are project actors, there are contractors, there are supervision consultant specialists, there are other people, right, other specialists that come in the project area. So these are not local people, right? They are from outside. There are also migrant workers that come in who don't know about the social reality on ground, no? The community, how they live, what they do, how they perceive safety, how they perceive, harmful things. So they wouldn't know. And there may be a culture where the community where they don't drink, and then these alcohol, the migrant workers or someone from outside would come in and drink alcohol and make noises, right? So these are some of the things that will exacerbate these kind of risks. And the other important thing that you need to understand is that there's always a power play when this sexual exploitation, abuse, sexual harassment happens. So power play in the sense of when these things, when the construction starts, when the worker starts getting money, right? Money. Then you get that power to think that, oh, I have money now, I can buy things, right? So there's a general tendency of people using that money and have some transact that, use it as a transactional, use the money to have transactional sex or transactional kind of any, association, affiliations with the children or minor or women. So this whole financial thing kind of gives them some power over to another vulnerable person, right? Then other thing is that, it's not only money, but it's also that feeling of, oh, we are giving them services, essential services. We are giving them water pipes. We are giving them, electricity poles. We are giving them trees, good trees, right? With fruit-bearing trees. So that gives you power in terms of, how you see people as vulnerable at the community level. And the another is in terms of, as I said earlier, when there's a large influx of people, especially workers, that come and stay in one place for a long time. It may be different if it's a long road construction and the laborers are moving in. 13, 20 people just moving along the road, staying there for 20, 30 days, then moving along, that is maybe less risky. But if it's a large number of people, like in your program where they're coming and sitting there for like 3 years, right, it is more risky. It is considered more risky for people on the surrounding community level. So that's why, we really need to think about how we can mitigate this. And because it will have a footprint and on ground because of the duration of the stay that they are going to be there. And then it's in that area, right? The other is in terms of, and then the broader societal issue is that, in communities where these infrastructures are working, there may be, the literacy level may be low. There are different types of peoples. There could be, educated people also. There could also be people that are not well educated. There could be vulnerable people, because of there may be some physical disability people, right? There could be people who don't understand the language, so they are already become vulnerable in the society. And sometimes, in some societies, the gender-based violence is kind of normalized, and then in a way that people think that is normal. For example, slapping a wife, if the wife doesn't give you good tea or food, is normal. Even if you ask a woman, sometimes in the villages or sometimes where, in those communities, they would say it's normal to get one slap from a husband if I don't cooked food, right? So that is one of the indicator on the reports that are published where there are large acceptance of women taking that as a normal behavior, right? So in those societies, when these kind of things happen, it will become more riskier. So that's why we need to understand the context first in terms of, how we do the work, right? It's not only, when you do the infrastructure, when you do all the trunk roads, infrastructure, whatever you are doing here, I mean, that's not only our goal. Our goal is to do how to do it in a best practice way, following the international best practice standards, right? So that we need to do it in a best possible way as much as possible. Next slide, please. And then in areas where there are, the legislation's implementation of all the acts and legislation that was showed earlier in the previous slides by my colleague in the mornings, when the implementation is very weak, or where there are less gender-based violence service providers like one-stop centers or other NGOs, working in that area, then these things are not well understood, and when things happen, they may not get the services that they're supposed to get on time, right? And that will increase the risk. Next slide. So this is the key principle that we work, okay? So when we talk about SCSH, it's not only about, one-off kind of activity. You need to kind of have this in mind because it also requires your behavioral change. We require people to think and act and change the behavior that you currently have maybe when taking the SCSH issues forward. So these are the key principles that you have to take in mind and in consideration is, as the Additional Commissioner Sir also said in the morning, zero tolerance on SCSH, right? On child labor, SCSH, and child sexual exploitation. So those are zero tolerant, right? So this is also in the principles that I have listed here. And each one of you here has a responsibility to address the SCSH, right? It's not like saying, oh, this is not our problem. We are here as an engineer. My job is only to do the design and then make sure that the infrastructure is there and it's kind of a good infrastructure to show the world. No, it's all of our responsibility at our own levels. As a position, I don't know what you have. You are some are engineers, some are social facilitators, some are environment social specialists, right? As these specialists, you all have your responsibility in addressing this issue. The other is, the other principle that we have to keep in mind is that survivors, we call it survivors, right? We don't call it victims, okay, in our language when we talk about SCSH. Survivors always have the first say, right? So we have to keep in mind that the survivor's interest, survivor's consent is very important. We need to ask them, we cannot decide for themselves saying, oh, they're vulnerable, you cannot do that, right? We need to ask them, we need to have their consent in terms of how they would like to get help if something happens, or how do we handle the situation, right? So they always come first. And the other is in terms of time and proportionality, which is like intervene as early as possible. If there are any cases that you come across then you need to take action immediately. You cannot wait and see, oh, okay, let's see how it goes. Maybe I'll give, just be quiet and just go along and say that I haven't seen this, whatever incident has happened. No, if there's incident has happened, then it has to be taken, that action needs to be taken as early as possible, because we need to consider that the safety and the well-being of the survivor is very important, okay? And then, and also that survivor does not get any retaliation from the community or from the person that has harmed her, okay? And then the other is be aware of the context, where you are working, what kind of context that you are working, in what different context it has happened, so be aware of that. And then, as I said earlier, it's the power dynamics, right? All these kind of discrimination, vulnerable, making someone vulnerable and taking the power over someone and doing some action as a harmful action is always, it's because of the power dynamics that comes into play, right? And also sometimes social exclusion, sometimes people from different this caste, ethnicity, class, or like disability may be more danger, more risk than others, okay? And then be proportionate to how you address this issue, because there could be only just maybe small threat, or like some exploitations may have happened. Or just a small minor harassment may have happened. Then there should be ways to address that. It could be like you can give warnings, you can give take the action after assessing the situation, and then maybe you provide sanctions or even dismissal of the workers, right? So these are the principles that we work on basically. Next slide, please. So I'm now going to move on to, so how are you going to work along on this issue? So you have the CESMP, right? And in the CESMP, you have included the measures in terms of how you're going to prevent, mitigate, and manage SCSH risks, and also if there are any cases, then how you're going to manage it. So it's there in your CSMP. It should be very clearly defined in the ESMP. Based on the SOPs that you have already been provided. So those SOPs, 3 key SOPs you have to keep in mind. One is the LMP, Labor Management Procedure SOP, OHS and Community and Occupational Health and Safety SOP, and then the Stakeholder Engagement Plan SOP, right? And GRM SOP. So these SOPs will guide you in terms of what needs to be considered. For example, under the Labor Management Plan, the key would be the signing of Code of Conduct. So Code of Conduct is not only of general kind of provisions are included there. Code of Conduct will also have specific SCSH related provisions which all the laborers have to understand and sign it in a way saying that if you breach the Code of Conduct, or if it is non-compliance to the Code of Conduct, you will be sanctioned or punished, right? So that kind of Code of Conduct is the key first. Second is in terms of establishing the ICC, right, Internal Complaints Committee, which is very important, which we will talk also after this by my colleague in detail, like how you're going to form it and when to form it and how does it work, okay, if it has not been formed already. The third is in terms of ensuring that in the labor camps, that there are separate rooms for female, there are separate changing rooms, the toilets and the bathing spaces should have privacy, right? It's accessible to all the females so that they don't have to go, somewhere else during night, and it's well lit so that they feel safe going to the restrooms and going around the camp area. These are things that you can improve within your labor camps, right? And this is already mentioned in the LMP SOP that you can follow. The other is on the community health and safety plans, where you can see how to design safety measures. When you think of it on designing safety measures, you need to consider how to make it safety in terms of children, in terms of women. Like for example, if there's a big pond in your workers' camp for washing clothes, then maybe it's if there are small children also in the camp, then you need to put a fencing around it, right? And then also to have a signboard saying that there's a pond here, so that people are aware of it. So how to make those designs friendly to women, children, and elderly, that is important. The other is in terms of identification of hotspots, which can be done on a regular basis. Okay, so hotspots are those areas where you feel that there could be possibility of this risks. Like for example, maybe in the camp, there's a labor camp, there's a forest area somewhere, and along the road, there may be areas where they don't have any street lights, right? Or there may not be many houses. Then that could be hotspot. Or that could be, like bus stops, in the middle of nowhere. And that could be another hotspots. Or there could be other areas, spaces that you can identify. There could be an alcohol shop nearby the labor camp, right? There, I see some on my way back also yesterday. So these alcohol shops could also be the hotspots, right, for these kind of risks. So we need to be carefully, designing, when we design the safety measures to consider these factors. Then another is in terms of mass awareness on risks, prevention measures, right? So the mass awareness, the messaging, the training that you need to provide is very important, which we will come back to that later in terms of what messaging that needs to be given, what kind of training is suggested for you as a contractor to provide to your workers, right? That will come back after this. And then the stakeholder engagement plan is where it has already been clearly defined that when you do the stakeholder engagement, you need to bring in women. Sometimes children are also needed to do the stakeholder engagement, like adolescents, people, youth maybe, right? And then when you bring the women, make sure that you bring the women of different age groups. Because for them, the risks may be different, right? So sometimes it's also focus group discussion, only for the women is required, then you need to do that. So these are some of the, which has already been mentioned in your SOP that you can follow it, right? So stakeholder engagement plan is not only to, kind of give them one-way kind of information like this is this, but to get the feedback as much as possible from them to make things in a way that all the work that you do, the infrastructure work you do, are done in a very safe manner that is acceptable to the community, acceptable to the women, and they feel safe about it, right? So during the stakeholder consultation, try to take as much inputs as possible from identifying hotspots or if there are any things that they want to improve or things like that. And also, it is important during stakeholder consultation is to do the grievance redress, mechanism in terms of where to report and how accessible it is for women to report if there are any cases, right? Because we cannot say that with all the measures that we've taken, there will be no cases. It's human behavior, right? And it can change. And we need to have this, we need to prepare the mechanism in place to say that if something is to happen, then how we are going to address it. That system should be in place, right? And functioning. And finally is that in the contractor's CSMP, you need to, I'm sure you have also included the training plan, because and budgeted also, it needs to be there. Otherwise, sometimes there's, because of lack of budget, we didn't do the training, people can make excuses. So that should not happen, okay? Next slide, please. Next slide, yeah. So this is the code of conduct. I couldn't find a good picture to show you, but then once you've signed the code of conduct, once you've understood, right? And we are suggesting that different language, the code of conducts are prepared in different languages for different type of people that have come here as migrant workers. So for that, you need to put it on the outside, in the outside world where everyone can see it on a daily basis. So because these issues are something that needs to be internalized and it needs to be kind of reflected before taking action. To make that behavioral change, it has to be internalized and reflected, right? Then only you can make the changes in your behavior and attitude. So put it on the wall, wherever, the place where everyone can see it on a daily basis. And the codes of conduct, 3 things that I want to mention here that needs to be ensured in the code of conduct. One is to explicitly prohibit sexual exploitation, abuse, sexual harassment, and all sexual engagement with children under the age of 18, regardless of age of consent. It could be different in different contexts. Different countries have different, age group as defined as child. But in international, according to international best practice, whoever are below 18 are considered minor and child. And any misbelief on the age group or on the consent should not be an excuse to engage in sexual activity with children. So this is something that you have to keep in mind. This is complete, there's zero tolerance for this. The second is there has to be the code of conduct needs to have a framework which kind of provides, who are the key responsible person to go to. So in the code of conduct at the end, you need to provide the phone numbers or contact persons. If things are to happen, where to reach, where to go, right? And that person should be equipped and trained on how to handle the cases in case of the things that will happen. And finally is to socialize among the workers, not only workers, but all the specialists, consultants that are now engaged in this program needs to be socialized, means sensitized on this whole issue. Next slide, please. So I've highlighted some of the provisions that needs to be there in the code of conduct. They're related to sexual exploitation, abuse, sexual harassment. So number 6 is not engage in sexual harassment. So you can read that on your own. And 7 is not engage in sexual exploitation. Number 8 is not engage in sexual abuse. 9 is not engage in any form of sexual activity with individuals under the age of 18, right? Except in case of pre-existing marriage. Sometimes their child marriage also happen, right? And then the number 11 is on report violations of code of conduct. And 12 is not retaliate against any person who reports violations of the code of conduct. So if there are people who come and report on the violations of the code of conduct, or the survivor comes on it, not to retaliate, not to keep that person in safety and security, confidentiality is key. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, so with this, I'm moving to, so how you're going to do it. In the CSMP, you've also talked about awareness raising and training, right? So I'll hand this over to Gauri. So Gauri and Nitisha are the gender and gender-based violence specialists at ADCL and APCRDA. So going forward, they will be giving you all the trainings, and if you have any technical issues that you need to ask or reach out, please feel free to reach out to them. But then they will now take some of the slides, and I will come back later. Thank you.
Now, beyond the legal mandates, there are specific welfare provisions under the Contract Labour Act and the Building and Constructions Worker Act. These laws require you to ensure proper sanitation, safe drinking water, adequate lighting, secure living conditions, and separate facilities for women and mandatory crush facility. And appointing a social labor officer is not just a compliance or not just a formality. It's a vital link between the management and the worker well-being. Good practices also include hiring security guards in women's zones and ensuring that site engineers are trained and gender sensitivity is materialized as a whole. You can go for the next slide. So these are some expectations that are required, and these are mandatory, like signages of ICC committee, contact details of gender focal person on the site, display of IC materials, and ACSH code of conduct. Also providing on a monthly data, gender disaggregated data, you have to provide number of children, you have to provide. You have also have to have posters informing workers of their rights, just be displayed in local languages. Awareness sessions must be conducted regularly, and the laws are not optional. It is enforceable, and non-compliance can lead to heavy penalties. Let's now talk about what you should do as a contractor. Next slide, please. So there are 3 parts, like before the construction starts, during the construction, and when you receive the complaint. So before the construction starts, you have to take the gender risk assessment. That is, you have to know that how many women labor workers you are planning to take on your roles, and probable risk areas where the woman will be vulnerable, and appoint a GBV focal person. During construction, ensure, next slide please. During construction, ensure that ICC is active, POS training is provided, and that all workers know how to file complaints. Regular inspections at labor camps should include checking for unsafe or unhygienic conditions that may especially impact women. And if complaint arises, act promptly, maintain the confidentiality, support the complainant, and absolutely avoid retaliation, because it's both unethical and illegal too. You may ask now why I should bother as a contractor, what's my responsibility, or how it is related to me. The answer is very simple. The next slide please. Since it's your site, it's your responsibility. You have to ensure the safeguards, because it's going to lead the better productivity at your work site, because when you provide the good working conditions, labor will work more efficiently. There will be fewer legal implications, and there will not be any stoppage between your work, and definitely it will enhance your reputation to the entire construction area. So what you can do starting today: form an ICC, conduct awareness sessions in the languages your workers understand, ensure that every labor camp has clean and safe facilities, monitor the behavior, and don't ignore complaints, however the small it may be. Set up a complaint box, make a WhatsApp group for female moderator, include GBV clause in your subcontractors too. These are some small steps, but they send a powerful message that dignity matters here. We have to go further and conducting training programs for site engineers and managers also, and not only for the laborers. You have to display posters and videos on GBV in the regional languages like Telugu, Hindi, because if your workers do not understand the rules, then the rules are of no use. Think about these improvements and adopt them on your sites. Of course, we have the challenges. Many of the women still out of fear will not speak up. The ICC members may lack the training or experience to handle the complaints. Language and literacy barriers make communication difficult, and sometimes contractors resist these efforts. Viewing them, this is an extra task for me. But if you acknowledge these problems honestly, we can solve them practically. This session is a beginning and not the end. I want to remind you once again that GBV prevention is not a checklist. It is a commitment that you and me all have to do. You are in a position of power. You hire them. You train. You survive. You supervise. Use this power to create workplaces where every worker, either male or female, feels safe, respected, and valued. A safe site is not just legal requirement, it is your legacy, and let your legacy be one of the dignity. To address two more critical aspects, next slide please. No, before that. So to address these two more aspects on the construction site, one is safety of the children and protection of minors from abuse and exploitation. Child protection measure is not only a legal requirement, but also a reflection of our values. Let's make sure our work sites are safe, not for adults, but for children too. Any form of sexual misconduct involving minors is dealt with very, very strict under POSCO, with penalties including imprisonment too. To give us more information about POSH Act and POSCO Act, I now invite Nitisha to just say a few words about it.
So from morning we've been hearing that there's a zero tolerance policy against sexual harassment in our project implementation. So one key aspect or key weapon we have legally is the POSH Act, which is also the prevention of sexual harassment at workplace. Okay, this act is introduced in 2013 and it stands as one of the key legal implementation that we have on all of our shoulders to carry out, right? So sexual harassment at workplace, also known as POSH Act, covers any sexual offense carried out against women at a workplace. So ఇది మనకి చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్ అయిన యాక్ట్ అండి. లైక్ ఎందుకంటే మనం ప్రొటెక్షన్ ఆఫ్ ఉమెన్ అని పొద్దున్న నుంచి మాట్లాడుతున్నాం. SEA, SH, GBV, ఎనీథింగ్ ఫాల్స్ అండర్ దిస్ యాక్ట్, right? So so when we are saying sexual harassment at workplace, first manam asal workplace which comes under which place comes under workplace అనేది మనం అర్థం చేసుకుందాం. So any public or private organization comes under workplace, and both formal and informal places is also considered workplaces. సో ఇప్పుడు మనకి కన్స్ట్రక్షన్ సైట్స్ మోస్ట్లీ ఇన్ఫార్మల్ వర్క్ సైట్ అని అనుకుంటాం. సో ఇక్కడ ఎట్లాంటి కేసెస్ వస్తాయి, లేకపోతే ఇక్కడ ఏమైనా జరిగితే చట్టం చర్య తీసుకోదేమో అని కొంత నిర్లక్ష్యం చేస్తే మన పొరపాటు అవుతుంది. బికాజ్ POSH Act covers all forms of workplaces, both informal and formal, and it covers SEA, SH and GBV. And first, since the act says sexual harassment, we'll understand what comes under harassment, right? So first, physical harassment, which involves any physical brushing or touching inappropriately, and it also covers verbal harassment. సో వర్బల్గా మనం ఏమైనా మాటలు అసభ్యకరమైన మాటలు మాట్లాడినా, ఇబ్బందికరమైన మాటలు మాట్లాడినా ఇది కూడా ఒక హరాస్మెంట్ కింద కౌంట్ అవుతుంది. అండ్ లూయిడ్ జెస్టర్స్ ఇన్ ద సెన్స్, చేత్తో ఏదైనా అసభ్యకరమైన చేష్టలు చేసినా లేకపోతే సైన్స్ చూపించినా ఆడవాళ్ళకి ఇబ్బంది కలిగించేలాగా ఇది కూడా హరాస్మెంట్ కిందే లెక్కొస్తుంది. అండ్ ఆల్సో షోయింగ్ అబ్జెక్షనబుల్ కంటెంట్. ఓకే, ఇది సెల్ ఫోన్స్లో కానీ లేకపోతే మ్యాగజైన్స్లో కానీ లేకపోతే ఇన్ ఎనీ ప్రింట్ ఫామ్ ఇలాంటివి మనం ఏదైనా ఉమెన్కి వాళ్ళు ఇబ్బంది కలిగేలా చూపించడం లేకపోతే ఇంటెన్షనల్గా కానీ ఏమైనా చేస్తే ఆల్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ కమ్స్ అండర్ హెరాస్మెంట్. సో మనం పాష్ యాక్ట్ అనేది ఇది ఒక పెద్ద ఏదో యాక్ట్ మనకి సంబంధించింది కాదనుకుంటాము, బట్ ఇట్ డెఫినెట్లీ మన ఎవ్రీడే లైఫ్లో ఇట్ కౌంట్స్. అండ్ any working woman in any in their workplace should take note of it, and as a fellow workers we should all take note of this act. So POSH Act, first to keep in mind, it covers workplace and harassment. All of these forms of harassment comes under it. And so one of the important aspects of POSH Act is the constitution of an ICC, right? It's called Internal Complaint Committee. సో మనం ఆల్రెడీ చాలామంది కాంట్రాక్టర్స్కి ఇప్పటికీ కమ్యూనికేట్ చేశాము. అండ్ యాజ్ పర్ CSMP కూడా ఇట్స్ మ్యాండేటరీ దట్ అన్ ICC ఈజ్ ఎస్టాబ్లిష్డ్ ఎట్ ఎవ్రీ కాంట్రాక్టర్ ఎండ్. సో మెయిన్గా మనకి నేను బిఫోర్ ఐ గో ఇన్ టు ద కాంపోజిషన్ ఆఫ్ ICC, ఎంతమంది కంపెనీస్లో ఇప్పుడు ICC ఉందండి, కెన్ యూ ప్లీజ్ రేజ్ హ్యాండ్స్. మా కంపెనీలో ICC ఉంది అని there are PMCs, there are contracting agencies, there's PGMCs. Can you please show of hands where there's an ICC established and we are aware maku palana vallu unnaru, we have certain contact details that edana case vaste we can go on. And you please show of hands once. Yes, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay. So in a room of 300 we have only 8 or 9 show of hands, but it's okay. But as per Act, it's mandatory that every registered working organization has an ICC in place. So what are the what is the composition of ICC and the functions of it? So ICC should contain a presiding officer, and the presiding officer should have a senior most woman at that company. Okay, and it should have 2 more members plus an external member. So and it's the minimum that we should have 1 presiding officer and 2 members, which is the minimum, and 1 external agency such as an NGO or any other person who takes keen interest in women welfare and activism. So, and also in members law we should ensure 50% is women. So if your organization, if the ICC has 4 members, apart from the presiding officer and the external member, if the committee has 4 members, 2 of that members should be women, right? So mainly what this ICC does anedi we'll see it in the next slide. So any woman has faced an incidence of sexual harassment at work, she can approach the ICC, any of the ICC members, by written complaint or orally, and further that ICC member will have, the ICC should convene in 7 days. Ante aa committee itla complaint ochindi అని మనకు తెలియగానే సో ICC అనేది it should meet అయ్యి ఒక ఎంక్వైరీ లాగా క్యారీ చేయాలండి. బికాస్ అది ఆ కేస్ ఏంటి, ఆ డీటెయిల్స్, is it a true case or a false case, it should conduct an enquiry. So ఈ ఎంక్వైరీ అనేది maximum it should last between 10 to 19 days, depends upon the severity of the case, right? So one important thing throughout this process is the identity of the complainant and the respondent should be confidentiality. Okay, confidentiality is key, and we have to ensure that the complainant has that safe space to come forth with the problem. Otherwise oka కంప్లైంట్ వచ్చి అది స్ప్రెడ్ అయ్యి లేకపోతే మీకు తెలుసు ఇండియన్ మైండ్ సెట్ ఎట్లా ఉంటుందో. సో ఇప్పుడు నేను కంప్లైంట్ చేస్తే అందరికి తెలిసిపోతుంది, అండ్ తర్వాత నాకు ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ వస్తాయని చాలామంది అసలు కంప్లైంట్ చేయడానికి ముందుకు రారు. So it's very essential that as per the POSH Act, the complainant's identity should be confidential, right? And committee lo వచ్చే complaints annitki a case or a register should be maintained, because we should keep track of what kind of cases are coming and what is the resolution followed or taken. So ఈ ఎంక్వైరీ అయ్యాక యాజ్ ఐ సెడ్ 10 days to 90 days మధ్యలో జరగాలి. అగైన్ అండి ప్లీజ్ టేక్ నోట్ that it's based on the severity of the case. So if the severe the case, the more prompt the action should be. So once the enquiry is done, the committee should prepare an enquiry report, right? So detailed ga like what happened, steps enti, what is the resolution, what is the action to be taken. And at the end step towards this is the employer shall act upon the recommendation within 60 days. So committee oka nirnayaniki vachaka the employer must act on it. It's not like committee ఏదో ఇచ్చింది మనం మన ఇది ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేయకుండా ఉండరు. లేకపోతే సపోజ్ ఇఫ్ someone should be punished బట్ మనం అది ఆర్ someone should be terminated, జాబ్లో నుంచి తీసేయాలి, బట్ మనం అది ఫాలో అవ్వకపోతే అదొక నేరం కింద అవుతుంది. అండ్ జస్ట్ ఇందాక ఒక పాయింట్ మిస్ అయ్యాను, ఎవ్రీ కంపెనీ షుడ్ హ్యావ్ అన్ ICC, అదర్వైజ్ ఇట్ కెన్ it's subjected to any penalty also up to 50,000. So yeah. So yeah, మనం POSH అనే ఒక కీ యాక్ట్ గురించి తెలుసుకున్నాము. అనదర్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ యాక్ట్ when it comes to the safety of women and children is the POCSO Act, that is protection of children against any sexual offences. So POCSO is introduced in 2012. So any act, sexual abuse or any untowards act towards children conducted will come under this POCSO Act. And since it's against children, chala consequences chala severe ga untayi, and the punishment is also quite severe. So one thing about this act is that not only the perpetrator, అంటే నేరం చేసే వాళ్ళ కాదు, ఎవరైతే ఒకవేళ పలానా పాపకి ఆర్ బాబుకి ఇది ఇట్లాంటి ఇన్సిడెంట్ ఒకటి జరుగుతుందని అది రిపోర్ట్ చేయకపోయినా that person will be considered as an offender, right? అంటే మీకు పలానా పాప కానీ బాబు కానీ సంథింగ్ ఈజ్ హ్యాపెనింగ్ టువర్డ్స్ దట్ చైల్డ్ అండ్ మీకు తెలిసినా కూడా అది రిపోర్ట్ చేయకపోతే అది మీ తప్పు అవుద్ది. అండ్ మన గివెన్ ఇన్ ద కన్స్ట్రక్షన్ సైట్, given in the mana scenario lo, if the employer doesn't take any action, that is also considered an offense. So basically keeping silent is an offense according to this act, because it comes to the welfare of the children. And manaki site lo chaala mandi chinna pillalu untunnaru, so we have to be very wary of this act and the provisions under it, and we have to try our fullest to keep the children safe. I think manaki creche anedi okati already మనం ఏర్పాటు చేస్తున్నాము. So it's better that the children are in the play area under the supervision of an Anganwadi teacher or an equivalent person. So these are the major acts. Legal ga manaki ఈ రెండు మనం గుర్తుపెట్టుకోవాలి. అండ్ మనకి ఫర్దర్గా సైట్ విజిట్స్లో కూడా we should be able to answer, because and మనకి ICC ఉందా లేదా, or if there is an ICC, the ICC ఉండడం కూడా just on paper కాదు, they should be available to take any complaints, right? అంటే వాళ్ళు on call లో if any woman wants to approach them, they should be available. And ఈ committee details and it should be clearly displayed at labor camps and at construction sites. So preferably in all three languages, so that it's communicated to all the members. So I think this is all. I would like JR to please continue with the presentation.
Thank you, Nitisha. I don't have many, but I need to, next slide please. So what Nitisha and Gauri just mentioned is the contractor's responsibility. So when we say contractor's responsibility, it also applies to subcontractors and petty contractors and first vendors or whatever that that also comes under that broader picture, okay? And the other is on the ICC side, which is sexual harassment. That is the sexual, the harassment that happens within the agency, at the agency level, among co-workers. That you understood about the ICC, the POSH Act and all. But if there are cases which happens beyond the POSH, like it's not sexual harassment, but it's sexual abuse or sexual exploitation by a worker to the woman outside the labor camp or outside the work area or in the community, then it's considered non-POSH, right? So how do we address the non-POSH Act? For that also, the contractors are required to, have certain facility. Like you said earlier in the morning's presentation, you said there's a gender focal point in your contractors, the specialist, right? I think you have a social and labor managers in place. So maybe that could be a gender focal person, and that could be trained. And because this kind of, managing SCSH related cases requires very specific skills and procedure. There has to be a procedure that has to be followed. It cannot be just done in a very ad hoc manner. So for that way, we need to train this social and labor manager at the contractor level. And there are also social facilitators at the village level, right? So those village level social facilitators can also help in spreading, in terms of outreaching, in terms of prevention, awareness, they can do that. And also in supporting, facilitation support to the social labor manager at the contractor level, if there are any cases that happens, with support from the existing gender committees at the village level. Mahila police is there, police is also there, right, to provide the support. But what we have to consider is there are these structures, there are these people that are there to support, but we have to keep in mind, next slide please, next slide. The survivor-centric approach is always need to be practiced in terms of the confidentiality and the consent from the survivor. If the survivor does not want to go to the police, then that is her decision, and we cannot force anyone to go to the police. But if she wants to go and get some support, psychosocial support, and get other legal support, we need to help that person. There has to be safety, should be very, it's primary, that person is secure and safe and no retaliation against her. Non-discrimination, non-retaliation that I mentioned earlier, and always have that respect and dignity to the survivor, and not take any subjective judgment over a survivor saying that, look, maybe it's because of her that this thing happened. No, it doesn't happen like that, the way we think. So we have to be very careful on that, and also the timely access and quality of services to the survivor, so that no further harm does not happen to the survivor, okay? So next slide, please. So with this, I have the final slide, next. Is like, these are the list of GBV survivors, service providers that you have on ground, and from where we can get the support and services, with of course the facilitation support from the social facilitator of the project, of the social labor contract manager at the contractor level, from the gender specialist at ADCL, APCRDA, and then we can timely address the issue so that it does not escalate and it does not harm the person going forward. And whoever has done the action, the perpetrator is punished, and that kind of sanctions or whatever is taken action, right, and a decision be made. Thank you so much. I hope you understood the concept on why we're talking about this and how we proceed on this one. Thank you so much.
Yeah. You have some questions towards GBV related?
పిఎంసి ఇక్కడ ఐసీసీ కమిటీ ఫామ్ చేసేటప్పుడు ప్రొసీడింగ్ ఆఫీసర్గా ఉమెన్ మెంబర్ని ఏర్పాటు చేయాలనుకుంటే అక్కడ కంపెనీలో ఉమెన్ మెంబర్ లేరు అనుకుంటే ఏం చేయాలి?
యా ఎగ్జాక్ట్. సో ఒకవేళ విమెన్ మెంబర్స్ లేరంటే అట్లీస్ట్ ఒక హెడ్ క్వార్టర్స్ లెవెల్లో మీకు ఎవరైనా ఉమెన్ ఉంటే దాట్ ఉమెన్ షుడ్ బి యాజ్ ద ప్రిసైడింగ్ ఆఫీసర్. బికాస్ ఒక క్యాంప్ లెవెల్ అవైలబుల్గా లేకపోయినా బట్ మీ కంపెనీలో అట్ ద హెడ్ క్వార్టర్స్లో అయినా ఒక ఉమెన్ అవైలబుల్గా ఉంటే షీ షుడ్ బి ద ప్రిసైడింగ్.
ఆ కంపెనీలోనే లేరండి, లేకపోతే ఏం చేయాలి?
ఓకే,
లేరు, అదే కదా.
Otherwise, you have to hire external member who is a social worker or related to the NGO, but it has to be appointed as a woman presiding officer only. Any more questions related to any GBV issues or ICC formation?
Yeah, madam, excuse me.
మీరు అడాప్షనీస్ రిక్రూట్ చేసుకోమని అన్నారు కదా, అది అడాప్షనీస్ రిక్రూట్ చేసుకుంటే ఇక్కడ ప్రొడక్ట్ చేయడం అనేది చాలా కరెక్ట్. ఆ రిమోట్ నుంచి ఇక్కడికి లేబర్ క్యాంప్లో జరిగేది ఒక సిచ్యువేషన్ వాళ్ళకి ఎలా తెలుస్తుంది, దాన్ని ఎలాగ మనం మిటిగేట్ చేయాలి, దానికి ఏమన్నా మనం ప్లాన్ ప్రిపేర్ చేయాలా, అంటే దాన్ని షార్ట్ అవుట్ చేయాలి, క్లోజ్ చేయాలి. అక్కడి నుంచి వాళ్ళు రెస్పాన్స్ అవ్వచ్చు అవ్వకపోవచ్చు, దాన్ని మనం ఎలా మిటిగేట్ చేయాలి, దానికి ఏమన్నా మనం ప్లాన్ ప్రిపేర్ చేసుకోవాలా. ఆ ప్లాన్ ఏమన్నా ఉంటే మీరు ఏమైనా సజెస్ట్ చేస్తారా, మేమన్నా ప్లాన్ ప్రిపేర్ చేసుకోవాలా, లేకపోతే లోకల్గా లేబర్ క్యాంప్లో ఎవరన్నా లీడ్ ఏమన్నా మనం అక్కడ డిప్లాయ్ చేసుకోవాలా, వాళ్ళ నుంచి ఏమన్నా సజెస్ట్ చేయండి. దానికి ప్లాన్ ఏమన్నా మనకు మిటిగేషన్ ప్లాన్ ఉంటే మీరు ప్రిపేర్ చేయండి, లేదంటే మాకు సజెస్ట్ చేయండి.
రైట్, యాక్చువల్లీ గుడ్ క్వశ్చన్ అండి, థ్యాంక్ యూ ఫర్ బ్రింగింగ్ దట్ అప్. దానికి వీ హ్యావ్ ద సోషల్ లేబర్ మేనేజర్. సో ఇఫ్ ద social labor manager should be playing a key role in handling such grievances, and we have many more uptake channels here. We have Mahila Police and gender committees అనేది కూడా మేము ఇంట్రడ్యూస్ చేసాం మా సిస్టంలో. సో వీ కెన్ I understand that this is a challenge that many of the companies are facing, but yeah.
ICC is a more of basically reviewing the grievance complaint, proceeding on that, and entrusting the inquiry to whatever the channel that they have. It is a body committee, right? So మీ క్వశ్చన్ ప్రకారం హెడ్ క్వార్టర్స్లో ఒక ప్రిసైడింగ్ ఆఫీసర్ ఉంటే వాళ్ళు ఎలా కోఆర్డినేట్ చేయగలుగుతారు, అదే కమిటీలో ఇంకా చాలామంది ఉన్నారు. సో ఆ ప్రిసైడింగ్ ఆఫీసర్ టెక్నికల్గా చూస్తే ఇఫ్ దే వాంట్ దెర్ ఈజ్ ఏ వే అండ్ పాసిబిలిటీ దట్ దే టు కోట్, దట్ ఈస్ ఆప్షన్ 1. సెకండ్ ఆప్షన్ ఏంటంటే మీరు చెప్పినట్టు దేర్ ఈజ్ దే కెన్ నామినేట్ సంబడి, దే కెన్ పికప్ సమ్వన్ ఫ్రమ్. సో టెక్నికల్గా మీ ప్రాబ్లంకి ఏంటంటే హెడ్ క్వార్టర్స్లో ఒక ఫీమేల్ ఉన్నప్పుడు కోఆర్డినేషన్ ఎసెన్షియలీ మిగతా వాళ్ళు కూడా ఉన్నారు, వాళ్ళంతా రివ్యూ చేస్తారు. దే విల్ ఎంట్రస్ట్ ద జాబ్, దే విల్ రివ్యూ. ప్రిసైడింగ్ ఆఫీసర్ యాజ్ రిక్వైర్డ్, ద ఎంక్వైరీ ఈజ్ బిట్వీన్ 7 to 90 days యాజ్ రిక్వైర్డ్, డిపెండింగ్ ఆన్ ద సివియారిటీ ఆఫ్ ది ఇష్యూ. వాళ్ళు అప్పుడు మధ్యలో వస్తారు, మాట్లాడతారు అది. సో ఇట్ ఈస్ పాసిబుల్, it is possible for if you have somebody at the headquarters.
As I said, like there are different accountability channels at different levels, right? So at the contractor level, the social and labor manager would be the main focal person to handle this, and that person has to communicate to higher level, okay? Communicate and get guidance, because someone at the, as you said, someone at the headquarter level may not know what the situation is, right, to make decisions. So that kind of communication channel with the existing at the ground level has to happen. Then only that decision can be made. But again, I would say that the whole confidentiality and how the procedure happens, it's actually we have prepared a SOP, so you can also find further guidance on the SOP going forward also. Okay.
Hello ma'am, this is Nilanchal. Actually, I have a doubt that regarding, as you have rightly saying, that a lot of displaying of the lot of committee member and all these things have to be displayed over the campus area. So, just my suggestion is that can we display single point of contact for this kind of things? As you rightly saying that some companies having some presiding officer, they can have an HQ. So, in the site management, can we have a single point of contact in case anything happen for this particular committee?
Right. See, so as per the act, that it's mandated that the ICC members details should be displayed. But to answer your question, if there should be a single point, we cannot keep only one person's contact from the ICC. That's not possible. But we can have the social labor manager person's contact as a single response unit from the contractor end. And apart from this, we can have a woman constable from the contact number from the nearby police station. All right, and if any medical so we can have the emergency contact numbers, and from the contractors, and so we can have the social and labor manager contact number. Yes.
Thank you.
That the woman who is accused or who is not feeling comfortable, you cannot display only one number, that you have to approach to him or her only. So you have to give many members' name and contact details is not allowed. You have to give that woman many uptake channels, including entire ICC committee and their details, plus whatever my colleague Nitisha has said, that other uptake channels, what are the emergency numbers, who is a gender focal point, and where she can comfortably launch her complaint and where she feels safe. You need to understand that it's very vulnerable and very sensitive issues, so anybody cannot just go and launch the complaints here. So you have to make that complainant very comfortable and ensure the confidentiality so that these kind of complaints will come up. Otherwise, out of fear of losing the job, out of making the issue out of it, many women do not complain only. So we have to give many uptake channels here.
Thank you, ma'am.
Company level, it can be anywhere. The person can be located anywhere, and with the kind of communication available these days, it's not a problem to contact the presiding officer at any time. And basically, the channels of communication need to be open, and the person can be contacted anytime. Yes. That's what I want.
For grievance, redressal of grievance in a transparent manner and also effectively. So, I tell you briefly about the channels available for filing of grievance. That's why I call grievance redressal mechanism as RRR, because it consists of receipt, register and resolve. Each grievance should be registered, received first, registered, then resolving. So the channels for receipt of grievance, I tell you first, that is Parishkaram portal that was established by our APCRDA to receive the grievances and to resolve the grievances, of course, after registration of grievance. And at the same time, in addition to that Parishkaram portal, we have PGRS, that is of state government portal, to file complaints. And at the same time, and we have helpline number also 1902. And in addition to that, APCRDA is conducting grievance day on every Friday at Thulluru, so that the farmers or complainants can personally, physically attend that program and submit their complaints. And our Additional Commissioner sir receives personally all the grievances, and sometimes he discusses with unit officers there and resolve the problems then and there, of course, even after registration of the complaint only. Means even at Thulluru, we have arranged 3 counters. One is to help the complainant to write the complaint. Next, that complaint will be registered by another counter. Then they will approach the Additional Commissioner sir to submit and to tell the grievance personally to the officers. This is the Friday grievance day that is available at Thulluru. And today also I have participated there and came to this venue at after 1 o'clock. And in addition to that, we have, our APCRDA Commissioner sir will review on every Saturday. He reviews all the grievances, means whether they are rejected, resolved or pending. He'll review all the grievances in direct interaction with all the complainants. That is to note. We inform every complaint through IVR calls, personal calls. We call them over phone. There is a team in APCRD office. We call them, we will inform them to come the next day, whether the grievance is resolved satisfactorily or not. Sometimes if it is policy matters or complainant we may not satisfactorily resolve the issue, but that will be confirmed and reviewed by our Commissioner sir. So these are the channels available. Now I tell you about registering process. When complaints are received at Commissioner sir Peshi or Additional Commissioner Peshi or at unit offices or by post or personally, in whatever way we receive the complaints, they will be registered then and there. Means Commissioner sir Peshi will register in our Parishkaram portal, Additional Commissioner sir Peshi will register at Peshi level itself, and if I receive, I will register at my office. And in addition to that, unit offices, we have unit offices, all of you might have known by now. So those unit officers will register there itself, but all in Parishkaram portal. So once it is registered in Parishkaram portal, that automatically the complainant will receive an SMS acknowledgement that your complaint has been registered and with grievance number. With that grievance number, the complainant can update, he can know the status of his complaint. Means he can search his complaint status in our portal, Parishkaram portal itself. In addition to that, at every step of the stage, means for example, from field level, if the complaint or the file goes for that grievance, goes for approval of the officer, that intimation will also goes to the complainant. Our system is automatically updating the status of the grievance to the complainant. So that is how the system is working as far as procedure is concerned. And thirdly, here, teams. We have different types of grievance also important here as far as APCRDA is concerned. If it is PGRS, it is multiple. But when it comes to APCRDA, we have 3 types of grievances. Primarily I am telling you. One is land related. So far we are receiving only land related grievances, mainly from farmers of different complaints that road hit, you might have heard, and similarly land disputes like that. And in addition to that, now the complaints may be labor related complaints and what they have discussed, gender based complaints. These complaints also will cover under GRM. All the complaints will be taken by the GRM. If ICC, what they said, if ICC failed, actually it's the duty of the ICC to comply the grievances at contractors level. If it is failed, they may approach. This Parishkaram portal is always available to all the complainants, including gender-based survivors also. So that is how GRM is available for all types of lands, labor grievances, and gender grievances. Now the main part of PMC and contractors is, contractors, we have already requested whatever contractors I have come across, display is very, very important to bring awareness among both laborers and also staff. They said, our GBV team clearly told, they should know do's and don'ts. If what we shouldn't do, if we do, what is the penalty, what is the consequences. So what we should do. Similarly, that display should be made at all labor camps and workplaces and everywhere I think, yes, that was already included in our CEMP. PMCs are newly joined. The duty of the PMCs is to resolve the problems, especially labor and gender problems at contractor level. Their main responsibility is to ensure that the grievance is complied. PMCs. Then comes if it is not resolved at the PMC level also, always Parishkaram is available for them to make any type of complaints. And so, procedure, I said, receipt, register and resolve. Resolve definitely be as per rules, we go by that. And similarly, the CEMP, if whoever come across or completed CEMP, they know their duties and responsibilities, how they should meet, how they should facilitate, accommodate laborers and also communities. So we should follow all those safeguards that are provided in that are our responsibility, of course, social responsibility. I said because World Bank is pursuing, we should follow. That is not correct. When it is, law is there, we should obey it and we should follow it. So my request to all the PMCs and contractors is, this is about GRM. And if you have again GRM display also, we have made it MVR and whatever NCC offices also. Display of GRM means these channels, what I have told you, PGRS, Parishkaram, and in addition to that emergency numbers, all these should be displayed at labor camps and workplaces. This is also giving awareness to the employer and to the employee or laborers at workplace. So, wide publicity should be given regarding these things for giving awareness to both. Triple R, I think, receipt is completed, register is completed, and resolution. Of course, because you are also part of administration, we always try to resolve the problems. Now it is up to PMC and contractors to resolve labor and gender grievances at your level. And wishing all the best. Thank you for giving this opportunity. Thank you.
I just wanted to add that apart from all the registers that you were asked to maintain this morning on labor and etc., and form a GRC for or an ICC for CI and SH related risks, there may also be during construction there may be complaints from local communities. So these may be related to construction and may not go directly to the channels that APCRDA has already. They may want to come to you. So please keep that option open. Have a complaint box for the local community and a complaint register available at every work site. So that's what I wanted to add. It's very important that smaller complaints are resolved immediately at the local level without being escalated to the top.
Yes, I missed it. Complaint box should be maintained, and all the complaints received in the complaint complaint boxes should be registered in the complaint register. Means should make entry. Complaint boxes may be at different places, workplace, labor camps, and if required at any places. All those complaint boxes ఏవైతే వచ్చినాయో అవన్నీ కంప్లైంట్ రిజిస్టర్ అవ్వాలి డే వైజ్. అలాగే అదే కంప్లైంట్ దాన్ని ఎవరికి ఇచ్చారు, ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ పిఎంసీకి ఇస్తే పిఎంసీ, అదర్వైజ్ ఎవరికి ఇచ్చారో సైన్ చేసుకొని ఆ హ్యాండ్ ఓవర్ చేయాలి. దిస్ ఈజ్ ఆల్సో ప్రాసెస్ ఆఫ్ రిజిస్టరింగ్ దట్ కంప్లైంట్. ఫిజికల్గా వచ్చిన వాటినండి, అదే మేడం చెప్తున్నారు ఇప్పుడు. థ్యాంక్ యూ.